they qualified, but there's going to be some familiar names here for sure.
Yeah, as we said before, MrFreshAsian up there on top. I think he's already got a few fans in the audience. Those people perhaps realizing he's not going to be streaming today, so they thought they'd come down and check him out in person to see how he goes.
Pay attention as well to the number next to their name, because I believe that will be the identifier for them as well. So if you need to spot them on the mini-map, be looking. You know, for number one, it's going to be MrFreshAsian, for example.
Again, as we've said, Vandy, a lot of names in here that are perhaps unfamiliar to us. A lot of players, though, that we do recognise. A lot of players, of course, playing for competitive gaming organisations here in Australia and perhaps around the world. Look, Zabi's in there, Big Hark. Kieran, look, sometimes you have to come up with a cool name and sometimes you don't. Just use your own. I used to have a cool name and then I decided I wanted to call myself Ben. So we'll go with that one from now on. Here we go, our last players here, rolling out the top 100 again. Everyone on this list is down, ready to play. All of these players already picking themselves up $1,000 just for qualifying through in the top 20 of their heat yesterday. Vandy, if you had to pick anyone of the 100 here today, who are you looking out for?
Is the boring option if I say MrFreshAsian?
Look, I don't know, because that's who I also want to say, but I think we're going to get some surprises.
No, but I will say something. There was a player yesterday, kind of unknown to me. His name was Desire, and I really enjoyed the way he played the game. So I feel like this might be a bit of the underdog that I'm going to be rooting for. There is also so many other great players. You've got Spoiling. You saw also Xiaodu in some of those highlights. It's really hard to call. Once we start to see these first couple of games play out, we might start to see some favorites coming out.
Yeah, for me, there were players like Colt yesterday as well who got a ton of limbs, and it's really going to come down to, I think, firstly, how do you handle the pressure? Because there is a lot of pressure. We keep talking about it, but it's quite a surreal experience coming from home and now having the opportunity to play here in Margaret Court Arena as part of the Australian Open, right? You bought a ticket yesterday to play. Today you got a pass. You walk through nice and early. There's no one else around the grounds. It's a little bit quiet, a little bit surreal. There's a bit of a buzz here as well. At the venue, of course, the men's finals this evening. So there's a lot going on, and now you can take that sort of feeling of being part of the Australian Open, now walking in to MCA here, sitting down, getting your settings right, getting ready, and then you have to settle and think, wow, by the end of today, I could be $100,000 richer. I know I'm not going to be $100,000 richer by the end of the day, but that's not the story for one of these 100 players remaining in our solos.
We get a rich viewing experience, okay? At least I'm taking something away from this. But it's not only that, I think it's also the exposure. We do harp on a lot about the prize pool because it is unheard of to have this much money in Australia going for us. But also, you saw a lot of those players already are content creators. There are a lot of YouTube tags, a lot of Twitch tags. So it just comes down to these players as well about the exposure, maybe getting some new opportunities, signed up to some gaming organizations and going pro.
Well, that's it. I get a lot of messages online. How do I get noticed? How do I go pro? How do I get picked up by a team? Play well today, and I think that's going to be pretty easy. Right now, however, we've got Elfish Guy down courtside. How are things looking down there?
Thanks, Ben. G'day, everyone. It's great to see so many people here in Margaret Court Arena. Now, I want to touch on what kind of an event this is for all of you guys out there overseas, maybe watching online in America, in Europe, that kind of thing. We're in Australia and we don't get events like this very often. So to have $400,000 up for grabs in the solos, playing in Margaret Court Arena, I think is a massive, massive deal for all of these players that have qualified through to the top 100. So for all of these players, a lot of pressure, a lot of excitement, a lot of hype, and I think there's going to be also a lot of excitement out from the crowd. So guys, I want to hear you once more. Give me some noise. Are we ready for some Fortnite? All right. I think we might be almost ready to get things underway with game one. So let's send it back over to Ben and Vandy.
Thank you very much, Elfish Guy. Well, it looks to me, Vandy, like our players are ready. It definitely sounds to me like our audience is ready.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone at home around the world is ready as well. We're getting very close to kicking off match number one. Vandy, if you had anything to say to these players right now, if you were coaching one, then what would you say? Would it be just enjoy the experience? Would it be have some fun? Would it be get out there and grab a win? What are you thinking?
Go hard or go home.
Go hard or go home. I like that one for sure. Look at this audience. Are you guys having a good time in the crowd? What better way? Would you think you're coming down to the tennis to watch some Fortnite? I do love my tennis, Vandy, but my video games are just one level above, so I'm a little bit excited here.
Well, you don't need to really compete because we do have Fortnite all day at Summer Smash, and then you can wind down with the tennis. So how good is that?
Yeah, come in this morning, play some Fortnite, win 100K, go and watch the men's finals, and easy life.
Watch someone else getting sweaty on a court.
Yeah, exactly right. Better than me yesterday trying it out on Show Court 3. That is for sure. We won't do that again. So, of course, it's not just about our solos today. We do have 100 players finding it out in just a moment, but this afternoon, our Pro-Am event, we're going to have 100 more players fighting there. And, of course, the nature of a Pro-Am, Bandy, is that you've got your experts, but then again, you've got some real celebrities. We take a look at our notable players going to be coming out this afternoon. MrFreshAsian in there again. He fortunately got to qualify. You know he's a pro when he's going to be playing in both. We've got Loserfruit, Lachlan, DrLupo is going to be taking a bit of a break from the casting desk. Lazarbeam, Valkyrae as well. One of the biggest streamers in the world, flown all the way from the United States down here to Australia. I saw her yesterday out on the court playing a bit of tennis. She's not half bad.
She's a lovely soul as well. A fun fact about her, she actually did used to play tennis quite a lot in her younger years. So it was just a bit of a trip down memory lane for her. As we do know, Loserfruit, huge influencer. Same with Lachlan, MrFreshAsian. They did also try to qualify, but unfortunately, they weren't able to make it through. Only MrFreshAsian was able to get through his heats. It just shows you how fierce the competition was.
Yeah, it shows you how serious business this is, Vandy. I think that's the best way to put it. You can be a good player, you can stream, you can do all of that sort of thing, you can play a lot. But at the end of the day, there could just be someone better than you.
It sucks to say, but I mean, these guys over here, they give us the content. They don't need to be making, plays left, right, and center. It's all about the entertainment factor. For these players down here, however, they need to bring out the serious skills.
Yeah, it definitely serious business time for our 100 solo finalists still in the Fortnite Summer Smash. We're getting ever closer to kicking off match number 1. Everyone's ready to go. I think our Lions people are down there ready. You know, Hawkeye's good to go. We've swept the court. We've checked all of the balls, checked all of the rackets. Our players have stretched. They've got their tennis gear on. They're good to go, Vandy.
That's what it's all about. If the players are ready, if the crowd is ready. Ben, are you ready?
I am most definitely ready. Guys and girls, the time is now. Match number 1 here at the Fortnite Summer Smash is good to go. DrLupo, over to you.
$400,000, 100 players. The Fortnite Summer Smash.
In the Margaret Court Arena in Melbourne. Just can't believe it. This is the best stage I've ever had a chance to cast on. It is an unbelievable event and showing, and I'm really excited to see who's going to rise to the occasion.
Now, we have the battle bus loading up right now, all 100 players getting ready to go. These players have all taken time to tune their setups, get everything exactly how they want it so they can play as comfortably as possible. But you have to remember, this arena is different than at home. I mean, I play in the basement of my house, no windows. Dude, I mean, look at the lack of tan.
This guy's been getting melted by the sun.
We're in a different situation now, so all these players are going to be trying to adjust on the fly. Everyone is kind of in the same situation. So I expect to see people trying to adapt to the changes that they're going to experience here. You know, not only just environment, but playing against players that maybe they don't always, the quality you don't always run into.
Yeah.
A lot of these people have gotten used to the same techniques, a lot of that we've seen in previous Fortnite events in North America and Europe. They call them 90s, the ability to build and elevate very quickly, get the top-down advantage. We have people that have, a lot of the meta setups have changed. A lot of these players are electing to take like hand cannon, pump action shotgun, anything to push through a wall quickly and get a lot of damage dealt as fast as possible, and then can themselves. harvesting. They listen for it, the audio cues, knocking walls and stuff down. There's only so much down there that he can farm off of in order to build against before that player's going to have to make a move.
Yep. Look at his nade. Actually, I'm not sure if he's
starting to make a rotation to the side. Yeah.
He's going to actually go out to the parking lot, trying to get a cheeky shot in across the balcony here, playing it patient. What a fight that this was, and it's going to be, I think, oh no, missed opportunity. I thought he connected for a headshot there. I definitely jumped the gun.
Almost had it.
Looked like it was a pure headshot right there.
I don't blame you. It looked like Nade was potentially trying to bait a shot from Slaya, just play through as much ammunition as Slaya might have left.
And I'm the one that got baited in the end there, so clearly.
Baited and outsmarted. Well, that's why you're behind the desk,
Clearly.
not down on the floor.
Not playing. 100% agreed. It looks like that's going to be a rotation coming from Nade. I wonder if Slaya's going to follow, though, and try and continue on that rotation. Meanwhile, moving back over to, I believe this is Pleasant Park, as you see. The fight is wrapped up. Smile still rotating on the outskirts as well.
You're going to see players early game try and avoid each other as much as possible. Literally in the top left, you see this 98. I believe that includes the spectator count as well. Keep that in mind. But roughly 90 players left on the field, and the first circle has not even closed yet. So we have quite a bit of time here. The feed there, Jax picking up an elimination.
And I just saw those two players you just saw pick up those limbs, Jax and Spoiling, two dark horses in my eyes. A lot of people are looking at the Mind Freaks of the world, the twin, of course, Jesse playing, but I think Jax and Spoiling both placed first in their respective heats. Dark horses not signed by an org or a team. They're looking to prove themselves this weekend. Keep an eye on that.
We saw a clip from pre-depression earlier. Gets a elimination feed down there, but ooh, wow. The building drops out from underneath, and Adams picks up an Elam.
I think that was his own dynamite, too, that actually ended up costing him his life there. And now Adams, I'm sure if I don't see a plane there in spawn, so he's going to have to rotate the good old-fashioned way as the storm is closing. It looks like here. Moving on over, Nade going to get taken out. See, I saw Nade earlier over by the motel. Looks like Dark Rock comes out on top. So the rotation, avoiding that fight versus Slaya from Chief, did not work out in his favor. He does get taken out here as Dark Rock is just going to heal up. Meanwhile, Wally Hack, I like his name already. He's going to be tagged up by a stink bomb here. Trying to rotate in a tough position is Wally Hack as he is getting hunted. I mean, absolutely hunted right now.
The stink grenade's coming out. He's going to try and rotate away from that. The top down, that's a tough one to move away from. He's got to use every single build that he can to try and stay alive.
Oh, who is it? It's Jalen. We mentioned him earlier as a favorite. One of the most aggressive players in Australia. Looks like
quick
he's
edit coming in.
Oh, I like the builds. I like the edits already from Jalen here. Interesting fight. He has high ground, playing patient. Get tagged up by Wally Hack here. And looks like he's just going to try and heal up with those minis.
Little pauses in between fights. So you're going to see competitive players take every moment they can to utilize their time. If you waste time like that, if you don't build, if you don't heal, if you don't do everything you can to stay alive in the middle of fights, things can go south real quick.
Yeah, well said. He's building high here. I'm thinking he has glider redeploy in this situation, as he has confidence in building high. Of course, the glider redeploy added to the game recently gives you the ability to redeploy your glider. He's going to actually take out Wallhack. Huge plays from Jalen. I believe that's his second. And Jalen, again, a heavy favorite, is going to go a little cheeky for the crowd here as well, as Jalen is clearly trying to make some fans today, and he's doing well with 2 eliminations to his name.
That laugh emote might be one of the worst ones in terms of having to listen to that.
Cringe, nails in a chalkboard.
I feel bad for myself when I hear it. Now, I would like to point out super quick, obviously, for everyone watching at home, and if you're here, we're working through some spectator issues. Obviously, materials, player count, storm, all that is slightly off based on what you're seeing on the screen and what's happening actually in the game. So we'll try and stay on top of that for you. Snowy here, just outside of Tomato Temple. He's gonna, right now you can't see it through the spectate, but he was holding the edit on that triangle piece, because if you're standing there and you're, the top of your character is through there, so the camera is through the top, when you edit, you can see through the pyramid. It gives you the ability to kind of, you're scouting without exposing yourself.
Exactly. Place a pyramid above your head.
MrFreshAsian going down
and
Devour.
Indeed. Well played by Devour there, as it looks like MrFreshAsian 1 game down. Of course, he has 5 more to be able to make up for lost time here, and he's going to continue to roll.
That's the thing about competitive Fortnite is you may have 1, 2, 3, even 4, or quite honestly 5 bad games. But the fact that in 1 game you can pick up 6 points if you hit both the elimination count required and get first place, you get the victory royale. That's huge. So a bad game doesn't mean the end of things. And left, right, going down, sliding down the outside.
Look at that.
That pump action shotgun, a 160 crit.
Great shot. And the headshot from Slayer, making pure definition of his name right there. Taking out 1. That's going to be 1 elimination to his name, as he rotating over towards Fatal Fields right now. Going to get an RPG to his name, and he has that Rift to go as well for a quick rotation.
And suddenly we have Spectate update there. Appreciate that. We have the second storm starting to close. We're going to be in ring 3 here in just a second. 61 players left. You're going to see high player counts early game from this. And at some point, hopefully, we can get a full map up so that people can see just how tightly compact the players are going to be as this next circle starts to close. We have a very far southeast, Paradise Palms focused circle. Okay, Jason, little 1v1 here around a plane.
Well done.
Taking advantage of Season 7 here in just a second. A1 Beats goes down.
So he'll be hopping. That's one thing we haven't talked about or seen much of yet is the use of Storm Wings. They, of course, were recently nerfed and obviously took a little bit of a nerf. Less spawns exist and it takes a little bit less damage, and you also take some damage if you die.
They're still incredibly powerful, though, and you're going to see competitive players very much focus on trying to get in one of these because it gives you the ability to not engage, have in like a prominent position, and just kind of stay away from combat for a while. You can scout from up top. You can even go so far as to swap onto the onto one of the wings, heal quickly, and jump back in and keep flying. They're very advantageous if you can get one.
You see here our first view of the overhead map. Look how many people still alive, 57, and we're coming down to our third storm here in just a minute. As it looks like rotations are coming through from a few folks. You saw some names over in Paradise Palms. You saw Jax. You saw Price. Price is the player who is a person to keep an eye out for. He actually is currently sitting in first place with 4 eliminations. Price, a leader in the pro Discord scene of Oceania, looking to perform here and make a name for himself today.
He's the only one with a point thus far, as we haven't gotten high enough replacements. These redeploys are going to be super important as well. Even just little steps, little jumps to get closer in the safe zone, but it's not enough.
I think that right there, Lupo, shows the importance of early rotation.
Oh, yeah.
Something you talk about often in casting in the past with Courage and team. Talk about the importance of rotating early in competitive Fortnite.
The longer you wait, the worse a position you're going to be stuck in. Now, I'd like to point out real quick, 2 teammates, Twiz and Vibe, stuck almost right on top of each other here, just outside of the racetrack. Looks like they're west side, which means they're not in the safe zone. They're going to have to rotate south in about a minute and 10 seconds. 55 players left. We're going to be heading into circle 4. But still a very stacked lobby. Vince takes a couple shots there. He's going to box in.
And this is an unfortunate situation to be in for Vince. Looks like he might be able to breathe for a sec, but when you start getting tagged up by someone, it's crazy how in competitive Fortnite mentalities just shift, eyes just beam you, and next thing you know, you're getting focused by 3 or 4 people. Vince is able to avoid that in that situation, avoid getting taken out by his teammate, that's Twiz. They both land in the northeast corner of the map together. One lands in Wailing, one lands near Block. Surprised that they're both still alive here and haven't seen each other or faced each other yet.
We got Jinx with a very good top-down view, that putting a good show on for that Twitch clan tag that he's wearing there. Now, Hype, who we saw earlier, put himself in one of the best positions. I watched during one of his heats, he had rockets, a pump-action shotgun, a suppressed AR, 2 medkits, and minis, and 100-100. He was kitted to the teeth and ended up winning that game. Very intelligent player. He had a really good kit previously. It looks like right now maybe in a tougher spot, stuck underneath Jinx here, stuck in a 1-by-1. They're kind of building up this wooden apartment complex around each other. Goes for the waterfall and looks like he may have missed the wall builds, catch himself, so takes a little bit of fall damage. Arwen goes down in the feed.
And that's Jalen picking up his 3rd elimination. That's a point for Jalen, a point for Price right now. Both of them showing up so far. I believe unsigned players over in Australia making a name for themselves. It looks like action is about to ensue here. Twiz and Vince right next to each other once again as teammates of Mindfreak.
I think patterns like that, these players ending up near each other, I think it shows that they play together quite a bit. And by the way, in the feed, Korax eliminating. Actually, it looks like the Storm claimed another life there. But those teammates from MF, they're going to play together a lot. They're going to play off of the same rotations quite a bit. And that's both good and bad, because in a situation like this, it's solos. If they run into each other, they don't know that it's the other person, so you may eliminate a teammate. But oftentimes, especially in competitive Fortnite like we've seen in the past, these players are going to sit on top of each other and avoid engagements. Now, Twiz picking up one there on Kojos.
Twiz, a consistent player in the CPL. That's kind of the pro league over in the Australian side of things. He is going to get his 2nd elimination. So Twiz of Mindfreak, a very reputable team and organization in Australia, is performing. His teammate Vince also alive here. A good start for the Mindfreak team.
You know they've got to have a big smile on their face right now. For a second, you saw Jordy sitting up top in an excellent spot. I think he might even have the best height advantage right now. And Circle 3 is going to close in 5 seconds. 48 players left. We have only 2 players, Jalen and Price AK, with 3 eliminations or more, a point apiece.
Yep. You got a couple players that are hovering at the 2-point. Looks like some
Phil
shots
sitting
coming
on
on
2
Phil.
HP tops.
He's not
inside a box.
Any explodes here would really help Twiz in this
Sting
situation.
grenade would be literally a one-shot.
You could breathe on him, and I think he'd fall over.
Bill's gonna have to play his life down there and try and stay away from any engagements. A stray SMG round could spell elimination for him.
Yeah, I think it's looking grim for him. Looks like a few players hovering at the 2 elimination mark. That's Twiz, Skeletia, Samuel, Glorious Mop, Jax, and Skinfade Jason that we can see right now. So keep an eye. If you see one of them pick up an elimination, that's going to be a point for them. Desire gets taken out, though.
Twiz
It's going to
picks
be
one
by
up.
Twiz. He gets his 3rd point.
There it is.
His 3rd elimination. That's a point for him. So Twiz gets on the board here with 1.
Hype in an effort to rotate, gets caught, basically pinched between 2 players, but Jinx gets
Phil
back from the back. Phil eliminates Hype. Jinx goes down to Parpy, the 5th party at that point. So many players taking every advantage they can. Those, wait to the last second, edit a window, take a couple shots, and close it off. You don't want to expose yourself too long. Like you said earlier, the second that you start throwing shots out at players that are even mid-rotation, everyone else that's in a safe spot that has an advantageous position, they're all going to look at you. They're going to lock eyes on where the shots are coming from and where they're going, and they're going to look for every chance they can to just pick up even 1 elim. That could mean the difference between 1 or 2 points or even 0 or 1 point.
And that's a great point. Also says and stresses the importance of an early rotation. Looks like Twiz is hunting now. Phil somehow still alive with 1 HP. He actually picked up an elim earlier. So some way, somehow, Phil is making mountains out of molehills here.
Now this circle coming in is going to start applying pressure. Twiz kind of canning himself off from above. He's going to take side shots at Parpy.
He wants that launch
Take
pad.
advantage of the launch pad, and it gets eliminated. It gets
Denied.
destroyed. Twiz trying to move in, but can't make the jump in time.
Oh, that's the 1 shot on Phil that he needed. There it is.
So
Twiz is going to connect for his 4th elimination. What a start from Twiz here. Top player in competitive Fortnite down in Australia, and he's showing why.
He's got his teammate from Mindfreak there, Vince, rotating at the same time. Stale stuck underneath, trying to rotate up and follow Twiz's builds, but just barely falling off the edge. Going to try and go for the shot and can't land it. Build to defend and get up above. The Storm still applying pressure at this point, so he cannot sit. Glorious Mop going down on the feet to devour. And Twiz is trying to look for any shot on players up above that may have rifted.
Oh my
Vince
goodness.
eliminating Soda. Stale eliminating the Storm claiming him. Jordy takes Vince out. And we're down to 37 players left, 45 seconds left in this circle, and everybody's stuck building on the side of a mountain.
This is not a good situation to be in. You want to rotate early to get natural high ground. Natural, we mean by the mountains that are pre-built in the game. If you can get on top of one of those mountains early, you have a huge advantage. Getting stuck at the bottom or mid-ground of those mountains can put you in a tough spot here. So we'll see what Twiz is going to do on that mid-ground. Meanwhile, Jax and Co. still posting up over here by Paradise Palms. Jax on the brink of a 3rd elimination, which is going to get him a point. Keep an eye on Jax here. A key dark horse in this tournament in my eyes.
Now we're coming up on probably the most panicked situation in competitive Fortnite. That is the first time the circle moves, and that starts in 5 seconds. A number of the players in the feed in the top right there you see already stacked up inside the safe zone, but man, I'm going to say that's probably 10 tops, which means the entire rest of the field is about to rotate. You're going to see a lot of layered building, and things are going to get pretty hectic pretty quickly.
You got to think right now, Jax with 2 RPGs and an legendary assault rifle, full health, and yet you just pointed it out, full health and shields nearly. He's in a good position to get that 3rd elimination. He's going to try and stay mid-ground, stay high ground, and rain RPGs down on his opponents if he can. Keep an eye on Jax at the bottom left. Jalen, meanwhile, going to pick up another elimination for him as well. On board with Chiefs Parpy right now with ultimate high ground in the game, as you'd expect from Parpy himself.
Now you want to make sure in a situation like this, you see he's layering back over his own stuff. He's on a pretty individualized branch of that build. A shot on him.
You don't see this very often in North America. You don't see people contesting a lot of those storm wings.
Most of the time this is ignored and they pay more attention to what's around it. But I think Parpy in this situation, he knows there's nobody is going to challenge the height. He's trying to take just slow tap shots. Look for first shot accuracy on Unity all the way up top. He's getting a couple hits.
That's it.
Taking him out of the plane.
He's out of the plane here, I believe.
This is an opportunity. Parpy could pick up a 2nd or even 30, depending on what he goes for, what's left in the air. It's slow, just got to pace those shots.
Yep. Trying to thread the needle here with that heavy AR. Tough to do in that situation. We're going to hop back down to low ground and see how this fight is ensuing. Minkin, a player to keep an eye out for. Very, very late game oriented player. Very passive in his play style as well.
Now this next circle rotation, you already saw rifts popping. Players trying to take just a float in approach because this circle is making everyone move, and the end zone for where this is going to end up is just on the southwest corner of the hill, the mountain north of Paradise.
You see that med kit floating down. I think that was actually whoever was getting focused there that actually got eliminated out of the sky. On board,
did in fact.
It was. Yep, there you go. It was him. So on board now with Jalen, launching some dynamite. This is going to actually shake things up here. Expect a lot of that low ground cover and builds to be destroyed. Some opportunities here for everyone. A close range fight. It is going to be Jalen. Connects in the first shotgun, and he's going to get the elimination. That is going to be a 5th for Jalen. That's his 2nd point.
It is indeed. We've got 24 players left, so we're getting close to the point where ranking is going to start mattering for points. 10 seconds on the finish of the circle move. This is what I was talking about. You're stuck on the side of a hill.
Brutal.
Everyone is going to be stacked vertically on top of each other. You're going to see some crazy edit downs and edit down and up vertical edits to take advantage of that. Keith from Gosu building up, trying to get top on everybody, and there is still a tower up there, but nobody's left in. Now, at the end game here, we have the 7th, 8th, 9th circle left. There's no downtime for movement. It just goes and goes and goes. So you're going to have players moving constantly to stay ahead of this with 16 left.
Yep, that's a great point. And this Paradise Palms end is just brutal because you have so much natural high ground. Looks like a jump pad is placed. That's Oz Mass we're on board with right now. Just trying to stay alive and trying to land somewhere that's advantageous to him. He's going to find a nice little mid-ground spot. Not Naper.
Little nook he can sneak in just barely.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Naper clear here does have mid to high ground in his end as well. Minkin's going to pick up an elimination as well. Fights are ensuing. It's going to be a nice shot on Hershicles of Renegades, but no, he is going to get taken out there by Shy. Hershicles gets cleaned up as well. On board with Zenith, looking for high ground to his name. Back to Jalen with 5 eliminations to him.
11 players left. We've got 40 seconds on this next circle move. Everybody's going north, and it looks like Jalen has ultimate high ground here. A number of minis still, a full med kit. His kit is looking really good for the situation. He doesn't have to engage. He can wait it out. He needs 2 more elims, and at this point, third partying and waiting is going to be key. But everybody's going crazy during this circle rotation. Shy, and they're getting dropped by Keith. Gosu. Ozmas is just waiting. A little peeks from the window shot.
Want that one back. He's going
his opponent there, Devour, not realizing that shots are coming out from an opponent in the side. He was just kind of caught looking straight up, it looked like. Mass waiting, just every single little edit. There we go, another shot on Devour. Goes for it and gets the shot. There's another elimination.
And here now on board with Jordy, another fan favorite, a streamer, and a fun one to watch. And Jordy's going to connect for the headshot on Keith. Well done from him. Jordy sitting with his 3rd elimination. That's the point. He is finally...
picks up his
Jalen
6th.
picks out LZ Mass. Wow. 1 more limb for Jalen, and he gets his 3rd point of the game. 4 players left.
Jalen has sitting on 1 HP. Jordy, twins.
Med kitting up.
Only a few players left, and this is the final circle. He's going to have to sneak in here, and that might be all she wrote. Jalen going down with 6 elims, should still feel good about that.
Oh, look who's still alive here. It's going to be the X2 twin. That's Jesse, who qualified, going for the heal-off. We know how well he plays in the late game, a more passive player, very smart, very consistent player, and it looks like one of the X2 twins is looking to win this first game.
Chances are Minkin's going to go down the storm here in a second. Snake just throwing it all the way down. That redeploy maybe. Could not land it.
And it's going to be Jesse.
It home.
Can you believe it? Game number 1. With 5 HP to his name, it is Jesse, the X2 twin himself, representing for the brothers here, and a nice cheeky dance to celebrate as well. What a performance from the X2 twin as he comes out with the first victory royale of the day.
One thing that you pointed out in the middle of that, now over the course of the entire match, we saw a number of players, a lot of go-to strategies that we've seen in the past. You mentioned though, Parpy taking shots at players that were all the way up in the air, knowing full well that he was not going to be challenged. That's that kind of awareness. We don't see too many people North America side taking advantage of that, so it was excellent to see. But man, positioning, timing, Jesse taking home the first victory royale of 6 today. Can we get some noise in the audience, please?
For Jesse and the X2 twin, but what a performance across the board. Jalen would lead the way with 6 eliminations in the elimination category, and a good performance from him. I see Price up there with 4 as well. Interested to see what the standings are when we get that updated. A good start from Jesse here. You see him on your screen right now. He's representing, and he's representing well. And one thing I thought was interesting, Lupo, it was everyone was true to character. A lot of players that follow the Oceania scene know Jesse likes to play for late game, likes to play smart, going for late rotations. I was talking to his twin Jordan, and he was saying that he's such a good mechanical, smart, rotational-based player. It showed right there. You saw the same thing with Jalen, who's known to play aggressive. Well, he picked up 6 limbs and made a lot of noise here for the crowd.
There were a lot of good opportunities for third partying too that we didn't necessarily expect. Some players getting caught off guard, even during those final rotations. Things get so hectic that if you are not aware of every single movement from every player around you, and let me tell you, as someone who's played in a handful of those kind of situations, it is tough. to know exactly what's happening every step of the way. So for players to take advantage of that, it really shows just like the competitive level that they're playing at is so far above what you or I might be used to. It's
true.
Especially on
I'm about to say, yeah, me more than you, I think. This guy's been around. He's played in a couple games before. But I know you're also that style of play. You like to play more for late game, a little bit more passive early game. You don't like to play aggressive in those early game fights. Why is that? Do you think there's an advantage playing that way, or is it just a personal preference?
I think it's kind of a personal preference. The way that these competitive games play out, you have to play, if you're shooting for the victory royale, if you want to get good placement and pick up as many elimination points as you can, I think the strategy is to kind of wait it out for that. Now, we actually have Elfish right now over with Jesse. I'm curious, what was the play of choice there? Elfish, over to you, my friend.
Thanks, Lupo. Yeah, obviously I've got Jesse here with me, the winner of Heat #1. Now, I spoke to a lot of people in the CPL Discord before we came into this event, and I sort of asked them who they thought was going to perform well, and your name actually came up quite a lot. Now, we did film a little bit of a video earlier on before this event started. I actually said Jordan was my guy to look at because he shares the same name as me, but unfortunately he's not here. I want to speak to you about that, though. There's a lot of eyes on you, I suppose, coming into an event like this. Do you feel like maybe there's a bit of pressure or nerves coming into this?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with my brother, he didn't qualify, so he's a bit bummed out right now, and a lot of pressure, I guess, on us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to talk to you as well about how your strategies were working going into that game. Saw you in a plane in a Stormwing a little bit earlier. Then you obviously got knocked down onto the ground, went into that heal-off. Was that kind of always the strategy going into the late stages of the match, or did you sort of kind of have to pick that up on the fly?
Yeah, no, 100%, that was my strategy. I was running around with one shotgun and just full heals, so I wasn't really going for kills, just going for placement.
Absolutely, and that certainly worked out quite well for you. Now, last question. I think there's a lot of good players coming into this top 100. Is there anyone in particular that you're looking out for?
I'd say all the Mind Freak boys and Contest. He's doing really well recently.
Awesome. Well, we'll see if any of those guys are going to make it through in the next couple of heats. Thanks very much for talking to us. Congratulations on the win. Let's go up to you, Ben.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, well, that was an interesting one for sure. And I think, Vandy, there is definitely a bit of pressure there, particularly for those of you who may not know who the X2 twins are. They're a couple of the really well-known Fortnite players here in Australia.
Yep.
They were picked up by one esports organisation, and then a week later they were taken by another, and now they play under Renegade's banner. Renegade's a very well-known team here in other games. So I think coming into today and this weekend, a lot of people did expect those X2 guys to come through and really show us what it's all about. But I was very surprised to see Jordan did not make it through from the heat. So I think extra pressure on the other side now when there's only one remaining.
Absolutely, but I think you really handled it well. So we saw in that final Eye of the Storm, there were still so many players alive. And this is what I mean, where it's so different from the environment of your public games. So as we heard DrLupo saying, you need to be so aware of everybody around you. But you could just see, even with all the added extra pressure, he managed to just stay cool, calm, and collected. And that's really what got him the victory royale.
Yeah, I think the thing here is, as well, is that you have to play to what you've got. So we saw Jesse come through. He said, look, I found myself a shotgun. I had a ton of healing, but that was it. So in that sort of situation, you don't want to go out and play those long engagements. You don't want to get too caught up. He jumped in the plane. He flew around. He stayed in the game until things were a little bit closer. Things were a little bit tighter, perhaps. The Storm Eye closed in. And that's when the healing really came through. Some interesting plays coming out there. Some control players as well. I'm going to be very interested to see how those players competing with controllers go up against those playing on keyboards and mice. Who comes out on top, we're yet to know. MrFreshAsian, we spoke about him this morning. I think he was eliminated about 66 or something like that.
Had a rough start.
Yeah, that was definitely not the start that he wanted. However, it's only match 1 of 6.
To be fair, though, he is from the same organization, Renegade, so in a way, this would be a win for him. He also shares that squad or that team with, you also have Hershicles. But I guess something I wanted to highlight, which the commentators were highlighting, was Jalen, who was newly picked up on the Legacy roster. This was only announced on Friday, just days before this was happening. 1 day, in fact, before the qualifiers were to happen. So already to come out and play so well and have so many eyes eyes on you. It was really a nice pickup by Legacy.
Yeah, I think it's also very nice for Legacy because they were the organisation who originally had the X2 twins before they moved across to Renegade. So Jalen was one of those players as well who we saw yesterday in the heats. Was very strong in eliminations, and obviously in match number 1 here, very much the same story, getting the max number of points. If you're taking a look at the scoreboard and you're wondering how this works, we're giving points for eliminations and we're giving points for placement. So if you make it into the top 10 placings, you know, top 10%, you're going to guarantee yourself a point. The higher you go, the better it gets. If you do, of course, get that victory royale, you're going to find yourself with 3 points. On the elimination side of things, 3 to 4 elims will pick you up a point. 5 to 6 will get you a second, and if you get 7 or more eliminations in one match, that is 3 points. So the maximum number of points that you can find in any one match is 6. A lot of players going to be looking to at least try and get 1 point per match. 2 to 3 is always pretty good though.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, a player that would be happy with his performance as well was Jordy, finishing in that second place. We saw that he was trying to make a little bit of a sneaky play happen. However, it wasn't meant to be. You can also see in the standings as well, once we've tallied up the points between the eliminations, between the placements, looks like Jalen's on top.
Yeah, sitting up there on 3 points along with Jordy. So they're going to be feeling pretty good right now. A few players there sitting on 2. Skeletia, Osmas as well. And look, anyone there that you sort of want to point out, Bandy, in particular?
Twiz, he did have a pretty decent early game, we did see. I believe his point was due to eliminations because then he wasn't quite able to rotate in once we saw the mass of the players trying to get in. But he did have a pretty good round, and you can see he did enough to get that point.
Yeah, so no one getting more than 3 points. So even those players who came up on top, like Jordy, of course, who got that victory royale, didn't. He played it nice and safe. So he played for placement, which found him 3 points, while Jalen played for eliminations. And I think he lost out maybe at 11th or something, just out of finding himself 1 point there for staying in the game long enough. But both those players are going to be feeling nice right about now. 3 points on the board. Again, if we, I guess, relate what we're seeing today to what we saw yesterday, the most amount of points that we had after 2 matches in a heat was 7, and you would think that a heat is a little bit easier than today because there were, it was a bit more open. Today, it's the 100 best players remaining here in our solos finals. So getting 3 points, you're going to be feeling real nice right about now.
Yeah, even just getting 1 elimination is a pretty big feat because all of these people made out their heats. They earned their spot to be here. But something that's interesting as well, you had 2 aggressive plays making it into position 1 and position 2. So when you do see that as well, it kind of, I guess, raises the question, is this our meta? A lot of the Australian players do identify as being quite aggressive. They say that they're happy to sacrifice their building to mean that they can play off their aim. So what that means is as well, their sensitivity is a lot lower. So their ability to make those 90s to really scale up nice and high can be limited at sometimes.
Yeah, you really got to pick and choose, can't you? How do you want to use your mouse and keyboard? If you want to be an aim player, if you want to go for those 6 shots, then perhaps your sensitivity on your mouse is going to be a little bit low. It means you're making big movements to really achieve anything. And as you said, it's a little bit harder to build. When we talk about competitive meta as well, what we're talking about here is how the players choose to play, the way that they want the game to play out. And you can be good in one type of meta, but if everyone else is playing something different, sometimes you won't find that. It's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, I suppose. Yeah. If you like playing rock and everyone else is playing scissors, then you're in a good spot. But if 90 out of 100 are playing paper, it's going to be a pretty tough day for you.
That's right. And you can use Twiz as an example. He likes to focus on the high ground. And a lot of the time when he was taking those skirmishes, those engages, he was constantly on the high ground. So for a player like him, he focuses on every single aspect. Whereas for a player like Jordy, he's happy to, as I say, really sacrifice a little bit of that building potential because he knows in a firefight he can win it.
Yeah, my question though, I'm wondering, we do of course have the Pro-Am a little bit on later on this afternoon, 100K up for grabs there for charity, and we've got some Australian celebrities coming in from that one, some from traditional sports, some from music. I heard maybe that Hughesy was coming through as well, and I want to know whether they're out there watching now getting a little bit worried, seeing just how good these guys and girls are playing today. Maybe they're thinking, oh, I thought I was good. I've been playing at home. and they're just sweating just a tad now.
Maybe, but remember, they do have their pro to help them out, really carry them along. As long as they listen to their pro and not try to make their own plays that you see unfolding in their head, I believe they'll be fine. But this is good inspiration, maybe picking up some secret strategies that they might be able to bust out. I heard a lot of them as well were practicing in the lead up to this.
I hope so. They practice for everything else they do in life. And this is a pretty big deal. I suspect a lot of these guys and girls coming in the Pro-Am maybe haven't had a chance to play in something like Margaret Court before. So maybe only one or two. So that's certainly interesting. Of course, we have some of our huge influences from both Australia and overseas. DrLupo, who's been down on the casting desk, travelled all the way from the United States for this event. Lots of people here to see him today. So he's not just casting this morning. He's also playing in our Pro-Am a little bit later on this afternoon. Let's go take a look about what DrLupo is all about.
My name is Dr. Lupo, Benjamin Lupo, and I'm here to cast and play Fortnite. Should be a good time, I'm pretty excited. It's really warm though. I definitely have the skin for it, for sure. Playing Fortnite at a competitive level it's difficult. There's very clear, who the people are that adjust well and who is truly competitive versus those that maybe have a little more casual viewpoint from the game. And I like watching that. I like seeing the top end really show why they're the top end. So for the solo side of things, you have $400,000 on the line, which is an insane amount of money.
Well, DrLupo, again, as we said, traveling all the way from the US to spend some time with us down under. I think perhaps the heat was getting to him a little bit yesterday as well. Thankfully, he wasn't out on the court a little bit earlier on in the week when it was hitting 40+ degrees for us. We get a lot of cool experiences, Vanding, being part of the gaming scene and doing competitive games and things like this. But one of the cool things we really got to do was be part of the Australian Open. Yesterday, you can see us out there on show court number 3. Some of us looking a little bit more prepared than others. Perhaps you can see at least DrLupo brought his sunnies and what some people suggested were mandals, which I think are man-jandals, but we did correct him and let him know that what he's actually wearing are called thongs here down under.
Yeah, we took to the courts. It was a lot of fun, just having some casual matchups. You can see Fallout over there. You got MrFreshAsian, you got me walking over there. And it was just a lot of fun. So me and Lachlan, we were really trying our best, but it's all just about the environment. And as you said, just being able to be here, doing an esports event, it was something special. And this is definitely something that I'll remember for a lot of the years to come.
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting opportunity. We got to take a look backstage. We got to check out Rod Laver Arena and things like that. For me, the most difficult part was definitely playing tennis there on the ground. I certainly was
we were dressed for it.
A little bit sweaty, that's for sure. As I suspect some of our players are, it's time, guys and girls, to head into match number 2. Let's throw it back to the man himself, DrLupo on the desk.
Game 2 of 6, $400,000 on the line. Fallout! The battle bus is taking off. You ready?
Yeah, buddy. Game 1 was a show. Game 2 and every game following, I think it's going to get better and better. I need to point this out, though. Did you notice how you took a seat while we were all out there playing tennis and being athletic?
I assumed the managerial position. I want to make sure everyone was. I didn't want to fry.
Coach Lupo.
Yeah, that's not what they call me, but I can appreciate that. No, so typically, just a reminder for people that are watching at home. When you watch competitive Fortnite, the first game oftentimes is people play a little slower. They're a little bit more reserved, especially with this amount of money on the line. I would almost guarantee you, as we go further through these 6 games for $400,000, remember first place is $100,000, people are going to start to get hungry. You're going to start to see people play more aggressive. You're going to see more common. We call them W key loadouts, where you just hold forward and push into
or the Aidens of the world.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to see more of that come out. Now, you have to remember, too, that because there's not a lot of the more common names that we've seen in previous North America Fortnite events, we don't have to see Nick Merckx die until the towers repeatedly. We don't have to see, that kind of stuff isn't going to happen.
You put my boy Nick out like that, by the way.
I did. I absolutely
really called him out.
And I do still believe that a gorilla would win versus a grizzly bear.
I'm agree with you on that one.
That being said, we have a ton of new stories being shown. We've already seen The players from Mindfreak both putting on a good show, landing near each other and playing very similarly. Still, obviously, in situations like that, taking shots at each other. But, man, things are about to get pretty crazy. We got Game 2 coming up.
And that's a great point. I'm glad you bring up some of these new players, new stories, because I was actually chatting. I know you were chatting with a lot of the fans out here in the crowd. You ask them who their favorite players are. They say the players, the ones we know, we love, DrLupo, Tfue, a lot of the streamers back home. But we're making some fans of Australia here today. Support the local heroes, because there's quite a few of them that have been performing so far. We got Jalen, who played huge, the X2 twin, Jesse, who had a great first game as well. I'm excited to see what these guys can do, of course. We haven't seen any Tilted Towers action, speaking of Aiden and Nick Merckx yet. I'm excited to see what's going on at Tilted. I know Jordy likes to drop there often.
Now we've got, as you referenced just moments ago, Dusty Divot, we're on board Jesse here, just farming up a little bit, try and grab as many of the, there's a lot of chests that are sneaking, kind of hitting the top side of these buildings. You've got decent locations for material farm. Great. Sitting on a chug jug already, but only 5 builds, just running between, grabbing as much of the loot as he possibly can. Yep. You want to try and get this gear as fast as possible. You don't know who's going to, randomly show up. Potentially an inopportune moment,
Yep, I know in talking into Jesse, he loves to drop in Dusty. It reminds me a lot of Ghost Bizzle, speaking of the North American side, the Ghost Bizzles of the world in NA, who dropped Dusty, the great in materials, great in opportunities to pick up some loot. And here you have the Tilted Towers fight. Looks like Battle of 2. It's perhaps the Australian Nick and Aiden. We got Jordy, and I think it was
Jason over there.
Jason, yep, Skinfade Jason here.
These kind of landings are typically players will stay away from each other as much as possible. Locations like Tilted Towers, there are a lot of chests that spawn here. There's a lot of opportunities for loot, and players early game, competitive Fortnite, they don't want to push each other. They don't want to get involved too early, because that could spell an early elimination. Imagine dying, being eliminated this early in the game, like you see the number going down on the bottom left there at the feed. People picking up a couple already. No one has more than just one elim. Soda, Glorious, Casper.
Names we haven't really talked about yet.
Rubsy, Adams, at left, right. A number of players already having one elim, but nobody's sitting on 2. Nobody's close to a point yet.
Yeah. Checking out the Tilted Towers battle here. Lupo, can we expect you to drop here ever in a Pro-Am or any future competitive Fortnite event?
In competitive Fortnite, this is one of the most difficult drops, especially against very good players that know this location inside and out. Jordy's running through here. He's ripping out every piece of furniture that he can, get as many materials as possible. Back over here, we refer to these yonder yards. Herschel's going down.
That's a big drop there. Renegades, Herschels. Renegades, one of the top teams in competitive Fortnite here in AU. Hirsch goes down early. He loves to drop over here towards yonder, but it's going to be Fleshes who picks up the elimination on Hirsch. Well played from him.
Early game Fortnite, you are in a situation where you get to choose, let's say, 2 weapons. What's your go-to loadout?
Ooh. Pump has to be one of them, undoubtedly. Pump or a heavy, whichever one I can get my hands on. After that, honestly, with this current meta, has to be a deagle. And the opportunity to use, really the opportunity to break down cover with one shot, hit for a lot of damage early. I think that's a good loadout right now in current meta.
Early game hand cannon is very good. Looks like we maybe still experiencing a couple little issues there. Apologies for that. We're working through those. We have to fight back. Jason, Jordy, little 1v1 action and L's. They're going to go these little, in and out of the doors, try and pop up walls and go for an edit. He's trying to get the replace there, and just can't quite land it. Jordy holding down left click there. The edit, the corner edit out there. A couple shots, a lot of shield damage dealt. They're going to disengage. Like I mentioned earlier, Jordy, you saw there popping a mini. Every chance they have to heal, they will take it.
Ooh, Jordy's been doing a good job placing cover. He has edit rates too. Meanwhile, MrFreshAsian picking up an limb, but Jax goes down as well. That's a key one to keep an eye on. But this fight here, Jordy getting tagged up significantly by Jason. A crucial one-on-one. The winner gets all of the loot from Tilted, and it is going to be Jason in the Battle of Tilted Towers.
Shotgun tag there, just enough around the corner before Jordy could get a wall built. Gets the elim, and Jason's in a very happy spot now. At this point, maybe potentially owns Tilted Towers. Going to have a kind of majority loot to himself. One thing you have to look out for, I was literally about to mention it. Colt, a third party coming in. He was listening to that fight. I guarantee you from the distance. But nope, gotta go.
Jason's on it.
That rift to go coming in clutch here. Colt gonna take some shots from distance while Jason's trying to rotate. Not enough.
And our apologies for some of these spectator issues you guys could see on screen. Doing everything we can to get that fixed here, of course, on our end. But again, our sincere apologies there. Looks like, I think in that situation, Jason was really, really low in HP after that fight with Jordy. Of course, we didn't have the full indication, but I think that's what the picture was, and which is why he wanted to back out reset. Meanwhile, Slayer, ANZ, going to get taken out at the bottom left of your screen. We talked about him and saw him a little bit earlier. Samuel and Mingovi in a fight over here.
Polar Peak.
On the Polar Peak side of the map. You missed the sword? Any part of you?
Absolutely
Infinity Blade, sorry?
I think I speak for Fortnite in general. have some chat. The spread here is still very significant. We have 80 players left, 2 minutes and 25 seconds till this first circle closes. We have only a number of players with 1 elimination only. Nobody's sitting at 2 just quite yet. This first circle will close and start to make players move in from the outside. But it's pretty, I mean, it's almost centered on Tilted Towers at this point. Down here in the very southwest corner, Frosty Flights, a pretty common drop in a number of scrim games that I've seen. Fly or Visual both just hanging out down here. We have a number of players up above on the cliff as well. Barn. Everybody just kind of scrambling at this point. It is not uncommon to see players drop out here, grab a couple things, and try and jump in a plane and fly away. Those planes coming in big for positional rotations, you know, try and get way ahead of the rest of the crowd, try and find a safe spot to land, just kind of sit, build up, defend yourself.
And quite a few plane spawn opportunities over here towards Frosty Flight, and of course some of the outposts in this area as well. This time, we're actually going to see the circle start to wrap towards the southwest corner of the map, so not towards Paradise Palms where we saw last game. So expect the rotations to come early. At this point in the game, you really want to rotate early. I know we talk about it so often as casters. Well, the reason is because it's significant. You'll see some rotations coming through, and now Urban Visual trying to get ownership of the wall.
That hand cannon shotgun swap, you see a lot of that coming out in competitive Fortnite. Right now, the hand cannon extremely good. You just break down walls and easy double shots. But a shot from behind, Buoys gets a big one with the shotgun. Trying to rotate up and stay ahead of his build. He's going to edit his way back down potentially, depending on the position of his opponent.
And great
Urban does have a top down.
Yeah, great defensive builds right there from Urban Visuals. He able actually to maintain high ground, even though he got caught kind of with his pants down, not in an ideal situation. He was able to kind of maintain control. Now he has that med kit, popped 2 minis, back to 150 total HP to his name. Good job at Urban Visuals. This Frosty Flight's fight is heating up.
Booze does pick up an Elim there. He's going for the second one on Urban Visual. Can he get it? The shotgun just barely misses the wall blocking. A second shot, and he took a little bit of shield damage. Urban there, he's trying to just catch one shot. It may be a pellet or two from the shotgun that could mean another Elim for him. He's going to sneak underneath, pop one of those med kits, sitting on a decent amount of materials, assuming that is accurate. And this first circle is about to close. We have 77 players remaining. Try and keep that number updated for you.
And look how tagged up Buoys is there. We don't know how weak Urban Visual is, but sometimes you really got to capitalize, and that's the difference between some of these top players and maybe mid-level players. As finally, Urban Visual does get the elim, but you got to take advantage of that fight early, especially when you're in Storm. You got to play aggressive. Urban Visual is going to do exactly that. He picks up the elim, and now he's going to rotate over. Not sure if he has a glider redeploy, but the Storm's pretty close. Should be in a pretty good spot.
I'd be surprised if he had not already checked to see if there was a plane. He's not too far out from the circle right now, though, so it's not a huge issue. Now, Samuel up there on the cliff, I'm curious if he remembers whether or not, if he's keeping track of who was still alive down there, how many players, and kind of using audio cues to see if eliminations have happened relative to what's in the feed. Kaz and Snowy stacked on top of each other. Wally Wallhack going down to Keith in the feed. We have our first player at 2 eliminations, Adams.
Adams is 7
HP right now.
And honestly, look at this elimination count that we have here. A lot of the new names looking to prove themselves. We got Adams, Jinx Twitch, Clicky TTV, Taylor is me, Soda, Glorious Mop, Tommy. A lot of names that we haven't necessarily heard of in competitive Fortnite as necessarily top players looking to prove themselves, and it's great to see that happening so far. We'll see if they can finish, though. It's not about how you start. Of course, in Fortnite, it's about how you finish. As MrFreshAsian is going to get taken out there, it's going to be by none other than Jalen himself. Well played, well shot from Jalen as he continues to roll.
Pair of tough games in a row there. I guarantee you, though, somebody like MrFreshAsian is going to come back third, fourth game and put on a show. It's kind of it's a reinforcement. You know, maybe you suffer a couple games in a row there, and at a certain point, determination just going to kick in for a player like him, and he's going to crush.
That's a great
you know he's going to crush.
And he picked up our highest elimination game, single game yesterday in the Heats. He had 11
in a single game.
Yeah. So to your point, I think you definitely can see him pop off in one of these later games.
For those that may not be aware, 11 eliminations in a single competitive game of Fortnite like that, that's nuts.
Unbelievable.
That's a lot.
I know we're used to seeing Tfue and Co drop 20 in public matches. A lot different when it comes to competitive play. So yeah,
we're out here in Australia, my friend. I don't know who those people are. What are you talking about?
I like that. We're talking about the twins here. We're talking about Jordy. We're talking about Hirsch and Co instead. I would love to see some new names in Fortnite.
Little 1v1 and Clicky gets eliminated. Slaya picking up his second elimination, 1 elim away from a point. Getting a pretty solid kit there too. legendary pump action shotgun, a legendary AR. He's got a Rift to Go, which is a huge mobility item.
Especially with the vaulting of the grappler now. That's really one of the key mobility items. Yeah, he's in a great spot here. Slaya, I believe, recently signed to Chief, if I am correct. So Slaya looking to represent his organization. A strong start from him. Meanwhile, big fight ensuing. It's Synergy versus Rubsy. Looks like Synergy has the upper hand in health right now, as Ziadis, who had the pickaxe elimination yesterday in the heats, picks up one at the bottom left.
Still sitting outside the storm here. Both players going for a little heal quick. Just excuse me if you could, please. Don't push me just yet. I need to pick up some more hit points.
Yep. And again, back to the point I made earlier, the best players know when to play with aggression. Oh, and that's going to actually cost Synergy. I believe he had the upper hand in the fight as Rubsy is down to 5 or 10 HP, but because he did not play with confidence or aggression, Rubsy pops the med kit, drops low ground, and picks up the elimination. Huge play from Rubs instead of an easy elimination that could have been picked up.
At this point, we've got 32 seconds left until this circle closes. 58 players left in the game. Coming up on third circle soon. Now sitting inside a box here. Slaya. Slaya right now might be in the best position gear-wise of any player that we've cut to. Spectate Colt picking up an elim on Jason in the feed down there. Player that we're going to try and keep our eyes on as well.
I still don't have that Rift to go out for a second. He wants to save that for late game if I'm Slaya, which I think he will do. It looks like over here a fight going down towards factories of Loot Lake. Former, rest in peace. He's now spoiling. The player, again, I labeled as a dark horse personally. He did win one of the heats yesterday. Let's see what order spoiling can do in this one. Some good shots in, keeping some pressure on Kieran. Kieran is under just a world of hurt. This is the situation we talked about yesterday, or last game, Lupo, where when you get starting to get focused, everyone just turns their attention towards you. It's a tough situation to be in, but it is going to be spoiling that picks up the elim on Kieran and is able to capitalize on that misfortune from Kieran over towards Loot Lake.
With the exception of trying to just spin your mouse and build as fast as you can, when you're getting lasered by multiple people simultaneously, there kind of isn't anything you can do. Yeah. That's a tough spot to get out of.
That's a great point. Jinx Twitch, who had 2 elims, is going to get taken out here by Johnny Lingo. And now, just a quick moment as things are slowing down just a little bit. If you have not noticed yet, Fog is disabled and Ice Legion is not in the game for this LAN tournament. So Epic Games, if you missed it, made a blog post announcing that they'll be taking a close eye on competitive Fortnite and recent updates. This is the first event that they announced they'll be doing that in, and they really showed. They listened to community feedback, and it's awesome to see Epic Games taking that in action.
Just a quick point, too. Player number 31, that's Jesse, the Twitch X2 Twins, the winner from our last game, is still alive. No eliminations, but he's still out in the field. Looking to pick up maybe a back-to-back. Blow my mind out of the gate. I'm down for that. Tilted looking pretty hot and heavy right now. The number of players building up. This, what you saw there for just a second, this structure, what they do is they knock out the wall and replace it with their own build so that they take ownership of that surface. What you can do with that is even things like this. You saw quick window edits to reset kind of the transparency, or even take a shot through real quick. People take ownership of these surfaces as much as they can because it gives them the ability to traverse a building faster than other players. They have to knock it down. They've got to replace it with their own stuff, and if you own it, it's your building. Good luck pushing in.
Great insight and great ability to break things down. One of the things you're great at is now high ground advantage. We have 2 members of the same team and organization that's breakaway above each other. That's Hype and Colt. We'll see what they can do. Meanwhile, look who it is. Jesse, still alive, playing passive like we know he likes to do. And you said it earlier, if he can win the first 2 in a row, if anyone can do it, it is Jesse. He's one of the most consistent players in the Oceania region. Let's see what he can do in this situation, as he's just kind of playing it slow. You don't expect a lot of action from him. A Tilted Towers finish is what we're looking at here, Lupo. You know it, you'll love it. And Skyla at the bottom left is going to pick up one as well. He's going to be happy for this Tilted finish.
If this next circle closes on Tilted again, this may potentially be one of the most hectic last couple circles we've seen. Circle 5 would be absolute insanity with this many. We have 48 players still left alive. Oddity going down to going down to Devour in the feed down there. Players starting to stack up on top of each other. So many players with only 2 eliminations. Fresca, Adams, Rubsy, Ziadis, Slaya, Soda, and Skyla all just sitting on 2 eliminations. No one's picked up the third for that first single point. 48 players left in a minute until this next circle goes. And I don't know if you saw, but we're looking at a Tilted Towers finish soon.
Indeed, we are. It's going to be the big building in the middle, Big Bertha, as people like to call it. Mind Freak Twiz picks up one. We saw him perform in the mid to late game last game. Let's see if he can do it again. Twiz looking consistent here. One of the more consistent players in the region as well, as we continue to tell the stories of these local heroes that deserve all the recognition in the world in front of a global audience and stage. Vince still alive. His teammate, his duo, in Tilted as well. And like you said, Lupo, it is going to be most likely a Tilted Towers finish. We'll see where the first rotating storm goes.
They must have lowered rent or something, because this big red apartment complex has more players in it in a competitive game of Fortnite than I think I have ever seen. People literally stacked on top of each other. And that is going to get crazy towards the end, because in a situation like this, especially in Tilted, you have a lot of vertical structure already. Rotating down just to sneak underneath builds is kind of a good call. Looking for a snipe down there. You see Casper in the bottom right corner of your screen just trying to sneak one in with that sniper rifle. Couldn't land it. Ziadis the top down. But as I was saying, you're going to see a lot of people choose to go down to the bottom and sneak underneath everything, because there's so many lines of sight that are blocked because of all the structures already. Harpy, somebody we saw stand out earlier, picking up an elim there. Urban Visual getting another one. And Casper's going to have to rotate in. He took a snipe shot a moment ago. Let's see if he can avoid one of his own in a second. Cans himself up against a wall. He's going to try and just build up. Getting stuck against a surface like that can spell elimination for some players if you can't get out of it very quickly. Luckily, Casper is okay. Phil, Soda, Jesse's still there, stuck. He's sitting in the same box on the north side of Tilted, and I don't blame him, because it is safe. Yep. There is no reason to move from that, and minus maybe going after loot from a third party from somebody else. If he's sitting on a lot of build already, I'd take a nap in there and just wait it out. Look at it. Actually, look at his materials. Are you kidding me?
This is textbook.
He's on 2,500 already. He's got a blue pump, a green AR, not a whole lot of ammunition for that, but the heals alone, 2 full shields, a med kit, 15 bandages. Jesse is looking endgame, like you said earlier. That is the strat, and he's going for it.
Yep, I love it. And I love how you pointed out the fact that some of these players are content with just making their own 1x1s. Rather than that expensive rent at Big Red Brick, they're going to make themselves their own little shack, a 1x1 box and post up. Expect that to happen here. As rotation's coming early from Jesse, the X2 twin. Smart play, smart decision to rotate early, and we'll see if it helps, as it looks like we are going to be traversing a mountain, or is it in Tilted?
It's still in Tilted.
It's still in Tilted, that second
this
circle.
This is going to get absolutely ridiculous here in a moment. We're going to have a lot of players trying to replace walls and move at the same time. You see here Jesse's building up. Literally, he's gluing himself to the side of the big red apartment building. You hear traps going down inside too. He's going to have to keep his eyes and ears open for that. Wow. Left, right going down in the feed to Sync from Chief.
Yep, that's 3 members of Chief still alive. That's Skyla, Slaya with 2 eliminations to their name, and Sync has 1, I believe. So what a finish here from a lot of the household players in Fortnite. If you don't know X2 twin Jesse, there are 2 twin brothers. One of them, unfortunately, did not qualify, but they play next to each other. They stream on one channel. They jump back and forth from gameplay. They have a YouTube channel as well. It is some of the most entertaining Fortnite gameplay I have seen. Make sure to check those 2 out as content creators in Fortnite. Fun players to watch and top players as well.
And we only have 1 player currently sitting at 3 eliminations. It's Rubsy, which means that is a point for him already out of the gate. 39 players left, and we have the rotation starting. We have 30 seconds until this circle finishes. Ziadis just trying to get some third-party tap fire there on Sync. Chief's rotating in. Harpy very close to the edge of the circle, gets a couple taps there and gets eliminated. Ziadis picking one up there. That's 3 eliminations. That is a point. 37 players left. 10 seconds till the next circle. If this stays in Tilted,
oh my gosh.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Your hands and other body parts here. You're
no
standing,
idea.
it's going to be insane. You're losing your legs here, too. It's going to be
go.
Absolutely nuts.
Rotating just on the northwest hill.
It didn't go to the big shack mountain, which would have been a huge rotation they'd have to traverse. But
here's the problem, something to keep in mind. Because this rotation is going to push a lot of players up a hill, you're going to have people that are on the lower layers of Tilted right now. They've got to move early or risk just getting popped on the move, because they have to push up the side of a mountain.
That's a great point. And these players with high ground are going to just absolutely be able to beam them as they're rotating. So again, high ground prevails. That style of play, Chief Sync likes to do it. You see him there. A couple people in Stormwings as well.
You've got 4 people too. Looks like they all took the same rift to go as soon as it was popped. But just kind of spiraling in above. You don't want to drop too early, because if you do, we're going to land on somebody like Jesse's branch that he's building there. You see on the left side of your screen, he's going to try and sneak his way in ahead of the move. Ziadis gets tapped a little bit there. Rubsy, one of our elim leads earlier, actually the only one with 4 eliminations, goes down to the Storm, claims another life there. Ziadis gets an excellent shotgun shot off there.
Here comes the madness on the rotations. You see these players just tunneling their way alive. Phil's going to get taken out by the Storm here. Ziadis in a bad spot. He's going to get shut down by Dolph. And it looks like during the rotation is where you see a lot of these eliminations picked up. Look at these tunnels and this pure building right now from the Australian region.
Absolute madness.
Insanity. This is what you expect from a tilted finish.
Like I said, you see a number of players, Hype and Colt, both kind of stuck down towards the bottom. Adams getting caught by the storm, rotating on the outside. Player number 71 gets eliminated. Surprisingly, Barn still alive down at the bottom. Spoiler, I say K picks up an Elan. Colt down to the storm there. You see the feed is going to be the place to watch people on rotations like this because things get so crazy. So many players moving in the same area. Quick shotgun shot. Spoiling trying to pick up an Elan, but the wall stopped it. Jesse way ahead of the game down there, trying to stay up on his opponents. That branch is pretty weak, not a whole lot behind it, but he's way ahead of the game.
So smart. The fastest to rotate. Both times we saw the rotation over to Big Red and back over to his original 1x1. He's the first to rotate. So smart, so methodical is Jesse, and he has full health, full shield right now as well. And look how many mats he still has, 700.
You have to remember though, he was sitting on 2,500 roughly before this rotation when he moved out of that little building he had on the north side of Tilted. He was sitting pretty. He's already burned through all of the wood and all the brick. That's how much building goes into rotations in competitive Fortnite. People are trying to layer themselves off defensively as fast as possible.
Down to our final 10 players here in game number 2. You see Jesse, you gotta say he's a favorite with the most HP total. Big Hark is gonna get shut down here and he's gonna get taken out, down to 9. The rotation's coming through. Keith gonna pick up 1 as well. Jesse, again, the first player to rotate, so smart, and it continues. He's gonna take the 10 HP tick in the storm here. That means Jesse wants to play for the heal off. Expect him to go for late game heal off with that med kit. He loves it, and he does it so consistently.
320 materials left. He's starting to run out of mats here, and this branch, if somebody shoots down the structure behind him, granted, he has multiple layers of metal to keep him alive. That's why he's going to rotate back. That thing's already set up. He can move to the next circle, and this is the final one. The circle's going to close as soon as it gets down to a pinpoint there. It's going to turn into a heal off. 7 players left, or somebody up above. Keith may be the one to go for a big push. He does not have the ability to heal any HP at this point, unless he's got a campfire hidden away somewhere that I can't see. Dole's going down to Taylor in the feed. 6 players left, 15 seconds left until this circle closes, and it's time to make some choices here. Keith going to look up above, no builds left. He's got to start shooting stuff down. Try and get every elimination that he can. We'll see if he can do it. He's got 3 left. He's got to pick up 2 elims before his HP ticks out. If he wants another point, gets one down to the bottom. Taylor falls, eliminated by storm damage, and Jesse picking up a back-to-back.
Can you believe it? X2 twin Jesse does it again. That's 2 in a row for the hero, the king of Australia so far, as he's looking to cement himself in the history of competitive Fortnite. How smart was that gameplay, Lupo? You knew he wanted it early based on the fact that he took that 10 HP tick, he had a med kit, he had bandages, and he played that so incredibly smart to secure that hail-off victory.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I think we have a list of 99 players that need to start taking notes. I don't have the time to name them all, but obviously Jesse from the X2 Twins, he knows what he's doing. He's putting himself in advantageous positions. The amount of materials he's sitting on to stay ahead of every single rotation. His builds are on point. He's layering multiple layers simultaneously to try and keep himself up. If he has to build a branch, he's ahead of the game there too. How do you beat that? If you were in this situation, you see this guy doing what he's doing right now, what do you do?
You know, this hasn't happened a lot in competitive Fortnite. I think this is where the meta of competitive Fortnite is going to evolve this year. You gotta fight him where he lands. Everyone in competitive Fortnite knows that Jesse loves to land Dusty. If you want to take out the king, go beat him. Drop Dusty and fight him. We'll see if that happens here in game number 3 or at all. But in my eyes, if he continues to be able to get the resources, the materials that he wants in Dusty, if he's able to continue to grab a Stormwing, play for late game like we heard him say in game number 1, no one's gonna stop him.
I'm going to be honest with you, Fallout. If I were in these, I absolutely would avoid Dusty at all costs because he would probably smack me.
That's my controller style of play versus your.
No, thank you. I will avoid that. But he definitely knows he's on top of his game. Imagine a 3-peat. Just imagine for just a second. Take a big deep breath, close your eyes. Imagine a 3-peat and how ridiculous that would be.
Unbelievable. And if anyone can do it, I said it game 2. If anyone can do it, it's him. He did it in game 2. I think if anyone can do it, it's him. 3 in a row. Wow, that'd be insane.
He's in a position to do so now. Let's see. Elfish has him over at the over for an interview. Elfish, tell us what the man's thinking.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, obviously back here once again with what you guys are now kind of calling the King of Australia. Certainly the case for these first 2 games. Guys in the crowd, can I please get a bit of noise for Jesse, our back-to-back winner? All right, obviously you've heard this King of Oz business going on. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's nice to hear, especially with all the practice I put in. Just last year, 10 hours a day, just scrimming. So.
Absolutely. So you have quite a lot of experience in the competitive side of Fortnite. I want to know kind of how the meta is shaping up individually at this event. Is it sort of playing out how you're used to, or are there some differences that are starting to take effect now here at the Australian Open at the Fortnite Summer Smash?
It's very similar to what we practice, but normally we do placement scoring, not kills, so a lot of people are being more aggressive towards endgame, so you got to make sure you rotate early and stuff.
Awesome, awesome. And speaking of those early rotations, we did see a bit of a different playstyle out of you this game, potentially based on the location of the circle. You weren't in the Stormwing so much this game. You were rotating really, really early. Was that sort of, again, a key part of your gameplay?
Yeah, couldn't find the plane that game, so I just got as many mats as I could, just turtled and...
Awesome, awesome. Well, best of luck in the next game. Maybe we'll chat to you again a bit later. We'll see. For now, we're going to go back to Ben and Vandy.
Thanks, John. Yeah, some interesting strats coming out from one of the X2 twins there. Back-to-back victory royales, Vandy. You don't see that every day of the week, particularly not in an event of this type, I suppose, to me. Look, if he can't make it as a competitive Fortnite player, I expect to see him on the next season of The Block, to be perfectly honest. He's building, he's in Melbourne. What more can you ask for? He is very good at what he does.
He is. That ability to really identify, okay, well, my game plan's changed a little bit. Let's get as many mats as possible, and then we're just going to play and make sure we rotate early and just hold our fortifications. It was really well done. Some upsets happened as well. I mean, we did see Geordie taken out early in Tilted Towers. Also, we did see MrFreshAsian taken out by Jalen very early in. So a couple of upsets, but as the commentators were saying, these players still have plenty of games left. We still have 4 games exactly where they can make a comeback.
Yeah, we've only 2 matches through of 4 as we take a look at some of the top plays from match number 2. I think a couple of the key points here, Vandy, was that as we were moving from the 6th Storm into the 7th, we went from 34 players to 10 in the space of about 30 seconds. So a lot of people playing for placing, and at the end of the day, I think for them, maybe their positioning wasn't correct, their rotations weren't correct, maybe just a little bit unlucky. We've seen twice now from Jesse just how important being ahead of the Storm is, getting those rotations in, having enough mats to get you through and sort of build out if you need to. And whilst everyone else is fighting it out in the final Storm, he's just sitting there bandaging himself up.
That's exactly right. That's something that I did want to bring attention to. The meds, he made sure that he had an ample stockpile as well. So even if people were trying to take shots at him, he had enough resources to make sure that he could build himself a safe spot and then continuously heal up. Make sure that he had constant maximum shield and maximum health. So if he did have to take a fight, he was always ready and prepped for it.
Yeah, and I think something interesting to note from his interview there with Elfish Guy was that he said normally what he's used to playing for is placings. That's how they would prepare normally. That's how they would play locally here. So back-to-back victory royales definitely indicate that he's pretty good at placing. That's the strategy and the style that he uses. For me, the question is now, what does everyone else do? Do they change it up? Do they go searching for players in building? Right now, everyone's sort of thinking about themselves, I think, thinking about, I just need to stay alive. I just need to stay ahead of the curve. I don't want to be eliminated, but it seems to me that not being eliminated isn't necessarily going to get you the win because Jesse is better than everyone else at it.
Well, I think Fallout had an interesting challenge. He said, we know where the man drops, you go to Dusty. That's exactly it. If you want to try something different, you can try get him in the early game. That's probably going to be your best shot. Otherwise, you can stick to your game plan. If you felt like the rotations weren't working up, work on getting there earlier. It's very, very difficult, though, because you said there were 40, 34 people, 10 people. That's a massive drop, but that's a lot of people to contend with.
That is, again, we keep hearing about third partying as well for anyone who might not know what that is. If you're battling it out with someone perhaps across the other side of the storm or on the other side of a building, sometimes it's going to be someone that you're not watching out for who's in there looking in. We take a look. A lot of people in the crowd here as well today. It's great to see so many young faces, so many mums and dads in here as well, checking out not only we've got the tennis tonight, the Australian Open Melbourne Park, a very exciting place to be. A lot going on. There's concerts, there's film festivals, there's a lot to eat and drink. It's just a fun time. And for me, having something here that is close to my heart, competitive gaming. I wish I had this when I was a kid. It's very lucky.
You can still be a kid, aren't you?
I
Just
do
a big
act
kid?
like a kid. Yeah, you're right.
But I do have to agree with you. This is a wonderful opportunity, and I think a lot of the players are really taking advantage of it. Maybe they're not getting the placings they want, but it's more the experience they're getting. And also, it's quite humbling to hear that our region maybe might be being looked at worldwide as maybe a new meta emerging. So that's quite humbling to hear from, us little ones down under.
Yeah, there's someone behind you, buddy. Give us a wave. There we go. All right. So I think you're very right there, aren't you? Like it is about the meta and how that plays out. And very clearly, the meta that currently works, at least across the first 2 games, has been from Jessie, staying alive, bandaging up there at the end of the game as well. For me, though, things are going to start to change, I think. As we get closer, match number 3, match number 4, 5 and 6, push comes to shove. You've got very little to lose by the end there. You've got to start perhaps being a little bit more aggressive. You're out of the points maybe now. You have to start pushing towards those eliminations as well. As we take a look at our results from our second match of the day, as you can see, Jessie once again coming out in first place. No elimination, 3 points though, getting that victory royale. A couple of other players coming through, Keith and Taylor is me, both with 3 points on the board. Some of that might be from a limb, some of that might be from placing.
That's exactly right. And you see as we go further and further down the list, the elims, it kind of starts to change a little bit. Some of them do have those eliminations, but others were just placing. So it's really interesting to see the strategy. Maybe some of these players are making sure that they're in the middle of the leaderboard and then start to focus for eliminations or vice versa. So it just opens up. I guess, are they going to start to change their focus? Do we want to see them going for elims? But I do know one thing, for Jessie, he doesn't need to change a thing.
Yeah, for Jessie, things are definitely working out quite well for him. And I think it's more about other people stepping up their game. For now, what he's doing is working. I think it's smart. Clearly, even particularly at the end of match number 2, no one was challenging him at all. Everyone was fighting out. Everyone was eliminating everyone else. And he was safe. He did not even look challenged. So something's going to have to change from the rest of our competitors. They should be starting to get a good idea of how this is playing out. They should be ready to make those changes that perhaps they need to be making, maybe a little bit more aggressive, or perhaps try and beat him at his own game. If there's 3 or 4 people trying to play the same way at the end of the match, maybe he does not come out on top.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that's interesting as well. I guess one strength that we do have of the players down here in Australia is that the decision-making is very, very quick. I have noticed a lot of the times when we're watching those pro streams or even when there's some LANs, it's just the ability for them. If things aren't going to plan, we immediately change gears. It's not that we're going to be trying and beating our head against a closed door.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing here that we need to keep talking about, obviously the prize pool, $400,000, the largest ever prize pool here for competitive gaming in Australia. It's absolutely incredible. You're not just playing for first place. If you can get top 20, you double your money. You go from $1,000 guaranteed to 2. Become second or third, still $50K. I suspect as a young person here in Australia, Bandy, $50K is going a little bit better perhaps than your casual job on the weekend working retail.
It would, and now we do have the updated standings, Ben. So, as we do know, Jessie taking that first position. Now, Keith is someone that we haven't really touched on a lot, but he's been consistent, and this is what we will start to see. These are the players where they may not have the flashiest plays, but they're keeping themselves close to that top position in standings. So at any time, he could swing. It just takes that one game. We saw from Geordie, he was in that second position. He had a massive upset at Tilted, and it's put him back down.
Yeah, I guess the other thing to talk about as well is you don't have any control over where the storm ends. Last game, it almost ended up right smack dab on top of Tilted Towers, and in that sort of situation, your strat can really sort of go out the window as well. The other thing to point out as we start moving through, we were talking about at least making top 20 to double your money, make yourself a little bit richer there by moving up to 2K. Look, at the moment, 20th through to 30th, that's 1.0 points. There's still plenty of time to make your way back. We're only 1/3 of the way through today. And I've seen time and time and time again at events like this, some people start off slow, but they really bring it home as the day starts to get on. And I think that this is only going to get bigger and faster from here, Benny. I'm expecting some sick plays across the rest of today.
I think you're right, because this is going to be the third game. It'll bring us to the halfway point at the conclusion of it. So if you are looking for the points, now is the time to try something a little bit more riskier, because even if it doesn't work out, that's where you pull it back in game 4, 5, and 6. But if you're not starting to take risks now and you're still in those 0 points, you're already starting to see people are building up leads.
Yeah, you definitely got to start finding the right time. The time is now, I suppose. You've had your warm-up. You've had your couple of matches. We talked about, hey, match 1, match 2, maybe that doesn't matter so much. Maybe we're wrong now when Jesse's already come through, sitting there on 6 points, looking very strong. But there are a lot of points still up for grabs across the rest of this competition. And with 4 matches still to go, it is definitely anybody's game. I want to see how they play out, what they're going to do. I'm also a little bit excited for this afternoon's Pro-Am. I want to meet some of our celebrities, see them up here on stage. We're going to be here all afternoon long as well. Once this is finished, of course, into that Pro-Am, I want to know who they're playing for. And maybe the pressure's even bigger when you're playing for charity, Vandy. It's not your money then, you're playing for someone else.
That's it. That money can change a charity, well, a person's life, but it also means a big deal to the charity. So it is a little bit more. It's something that a lot of the streamers, a lot of the pros, celebrities hold dear to their hearts because they get to choose the charity.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, someone maybe like Nick Kyrgios as well coming through that one. We'll see how he plays out on the court. Someone else we'll be seeing, one of our big influencers here in Australia, of course, is Loserfruit. We saw her yesterday out on the court. Let's take a look at what Loserfruit is all about.
And I'm here to be very nervous, to hide a lot, go to unnamed locations. Hey guys, I'm Loserfruit. I'm here to be scared and hide in the shadows.
Loserfruit, of course, one of the big Twitch streamers here in Australia, one of the most followed around as well. Look, if the competition was talk to people in Twitch chat, read what they say, respond to them, and play video games, I think she would probably win. Because that is exceptionally difficult to do. You should try it sometime. But when it's here, it's a little bit different. There's no one to talk to. It's all just about how you place in the game and how you play that one out. And the focus is different, I suppose.
Yeah, although she did make it through from the qualifiers into the finals, we're still going to be seeing her taking part in the Pro-Am. So there's plenty of room for her to still make her mark. And I love that the tactic that she said in her video was hide. Hide as much as I can. So already starting to let us in on a little bit on the intel. We're going to be doing placements.
Yeah, maybe Jesse sort of got a hold of Loserfruit strats and it's been playing out well for him today. Someone else we brought down here to Australia is, of course, Valkyrae, one of the biggest streamers from around the world. Let's take a look at her.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Valkyrae. I'm gonna play super aggressive today and let's freaking go.
Both Loserfruit and Valkyrae will, of course, be playing in this afternoon's Pro-Am competition. I suspect up against some of our celebrities and some of our amateurs. These two in particular will be ripping them to shreds. No love lost there, playing for charity, doing their best. And look, I think it's a great opportunity as well to get someone like Valkyrae down to Australia. I know she has a lot of fans down here as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you watch these guys and girls online, you get to see them play, but it's so great to have an opportunity to see them come down and meet them in person.
It's just a sneak peek of what's to come. So already I'm feeling so amped. It's really interesting as well, just the difference between the two. Loserfruit strategy, I'm gonna hide. Valkyrae's like, I'm gonna play super aggressive, let's freaking go. Girl after my own heart. I love that strategy already.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I want to see them go head to head. That would be perfect.
That would be
the hider versus the aggressive player. We'll go back again, just recap some of these notable players. We saw Loserfruit and Valkyrae. We saw their videos a little bit before. We also saw DrLupo. MrFreshAsian, though, whilst he isn't getting the results perhaps that he wants right now, he is a very, very good Fortnite player. He's sort of come to fame here in Australia, playing online, playing on Twitch, streaming for friends and I suppose fans around the world. And that's because he is so darn good.
That's exactly right. Also, rounding up the list, we do have Lachlan and Lazarbeam, big powerhouses in themselves. The crowd loves them. Their YouTube content is top-notch. If you haven't been watching, you've been doing something wrong. They're so enjoyable, and you're sure to learn something new.
And of course, the real Mr. Muselk is around here as well today. Every time I go somewhere and I see Mr. Muselk, there's a line of 100 fans following him around, so hopefully no one can get down on the court.
It's a bromance.
Yeah, they love him, and because his content's pretty good, I'll give him that much. It's a bit of fun, I do love it. Always manages to find something sneaky, something new in each and every patch that we didn't know about.
I think that's really also why the Pro-Am is going to be so enjoyable for us. Even though they are playing for the charity, it's also about the entertainment that they're going to bring us. A lot of them are content creators in their spare time, entertainers. We have musicians, AFL stars coming to join us. It's going to be huge.
Well, Vandy, I hope you're ready to be entertained, because I certainly am. Guys and girls, it is time for match number 3 here at the Fortnite Summer Smash as part of the Australian Open. DrLupo, take it away.
Sorry about that. Fallout was stuck looking at his phone to see if anybody had followed.
Jump the gun on the camera switch. I didn't know. That's my
True.
fault.
No one
Talking about
follows
shout to CPL Discord, talking to those guys saying hi.
Game 3 starting up, Fallout. We've seen Jesse put on a good show. 2 in a row here, the back-to-back, potentially a 3-peat, but we do have some notable players from previous games, even the Heat starting today. MrFreshAsian, he's got to turn it up at some point. I mean, nobody else put up Elam counts like he did. He's got to show up. If you were MrFreshAsian, this situation, you've seen the way that Jesse has played twice now. Granted, two victory royales, no eliminations yet, though. Obviously, the safe play is paying off. Do you adjust your strategy to fit that, or do you try and stand out and go for elims, maybe play a little more aggressive? What are you going to do in a situation like this?
I think his gameplay is the type of, might go exact opposite of the feedback I shared of maybe challenging Jesse and Dusty. But his gameplay is that stick to your plan. You're going to have a game where you're going to pop off. You dropped retail first game. I think you dropped retail second game. Stick to it. I think we'll have one here in a moment. But Lupo, you shared a statistic. I almost fell out of my chair. Speaking of eliminations, halfway through that, what is that statistic of this man we're watching right here?
He literally has not eliminated anybody yet, and he's holding steady in the first place spot here after 2 games. The end of this, like Vandy said earlier, is the halfway mark. We've got 6 total for the day. And the go-to spot, Jesse popping down in Dusty Divot yet again. Gonna pick up a couple of these chests. These are very close together. There's a lot of floor loot, chest loot that he can pick up. There's shields on the ground in the form of the mushrooms. There's a lot of opportunity to farm up wood. It's one of the best spots to drop, but it's also kind of hectic because building around trees, especially when you get to like the third or fourth story up, it gets difficult if you're too close to the branches because you kind of get canned out by those. You have to farm the tree down in order to push through. Yeah, you get the wood materials from it, but situationally, it's not going to be optimal because you have to worry about positioning versus debris almost.
Yep, that's a great point. And, you know, honestly, I keep saying it, but I really do compare him very similar to Ghost Bizzle on the North American side. Looks like a fight here, ensuing right outside of Shifty, close, and heads down right now. Fresca is ultimately going to come out. Actually, no, I lied. I thought that shot connected.
You kidding me?
But it was Colt who ended up on top, and a little take the L dance thrown up as well from Colt of Break Even.
Absolutely
breakaway, sorry.
Unbelievable. So in the middle of that, I don't know if you noticed, all Colt had to his name, what it looked like was a scoped revolver.
Wow.
And that was it.
Unbelievable.
He needed 1 or 2 shots, and that's what he got.
That take the L dance was definitely deserved.
That's tough. That's tough. To walk that off later. A number of players stacked up on top of each other here in Whaling. Also another ridiculously high source of wood materials, depending on what you're trying to do here, trying to farm around. It goes all the way up top. Looks like we have a hand cannon shotgun combo here, super common.
Oh
my gosh!
We hit those, Krabby.
Krabby!
We hit those. What a shot with the hand cannon from Krabby. And another takedown. These Australians are just putting on a show here.
I've never seen such BM in my life, and I love it. I want more of it. Don't stop.
Exactly what you could expect.
A repeat fight here. We saw this 1v1 the first match. Slaya and Nate, as many boogie bombs as possible. Here we go, the measured shot against Slaya. That pump action shotgun.
Another one!
Another one!
What's happening? Australia, who are you people? I love you.
These players are going to have to hug it out when this is done.
Yeah,
wow.
Clearly. A lot of DM being thrown around here. I love it.
Slayer taking out Zadis in the feed there. Sink picks up an Elam. Lelouch picks up an Elam. I'm pretty sure at this point they're just memeing, and I love it. They don't want that to stop. Nate, take the L there.
Please keep the memes up. Oh,
shot from the side of third party. Dark Rock from a distance up on the hill. And he's already, you can see the minimap, kind of rotated back away from that.
He only dinked him for, I think he dinked him for barely any HP there, so Nate will be okay totally fine in that situation. And you saw the Wailing Woods fight. And one you want to keep an eye on, as Vince of Mindfreak likes to drop Wailing Woods. Of course, everyone knows the North American side, Team Liquid has really dominated that spot until Gank6 actually took over that spot without Liquid's involvement at WSOE 3 featuring Fortnite just a couple weeks ago. Of course, on the Australian side, you see Vince like to stop to head in that area.
Barn Buoys stuck kind of in the same little 1-by-1 here. Trying to drop a couple grenades underneath, mix it up. He's going to have to push in a second if he doesn't have too many left. All depends on the builds that he might be sitting on too at this point. He's looking for it. He's trying to get one. Meanwhile, Buoy's down below. Imagine a snipe. Imagine a snipe right now.
Oh my God, a blindy, and then to take the L dance to suit if this happens. No, he's going for it. Okay, no, he's not.
Oh, Buoy's pulls an elimination. Doesn't need to go for the snipe. Tac shotgun up close, still very reliable. With the tac shotgun, the rate of fire, you don't really need a swap weapon like you would with a pump. And so just kind of getting up in your opponent's business isn't necessarily a bad idea.
Yeah, aimbot Christian, perhaps Calvin's Australian twin or cousin over here.
They might be related.
Perhaps.
Zyre, Clicky, Johnny, first.
Are you hearing this?
Actually, yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is, I hear some Let's Go something chats.
I believe actually it's because Lazarbeam is up in one.
Lazarbeam is literally just making the whole crowd go nuts right now from the skybox. That's awesome. Meanwhile,
MrFreshAsian stuck underneath here, looking for a shot on Hype, tries to build up. The quick edit. There it is.
No way.
And Hype goes down.
What?
Picking up an elim there.
And what a shot that was. He had low ground on Hype. I was about to say, kind of an ill-advised play right there for MrFreshAsian on low ground, and still he's able to connect for a headshot with the shotgun and come out on top. So there it is. This might be the game that MrFreshAsian is looking to get going here to gain some momentum.
For a big pop off. That little 1v1 there. Price building up, trying to get high ground above. Taking just a second. Heal up. Please don't push me yet. Gonna build down. Try and place those floors. Any opportunity to waterfall on the way down just to keep yourself alive. Don't want to take any fall damage there. Price looking for a shot. Gets a little one there, but it's getting tapped in response, and it's a tough situation. He goes down.
I like the aggression. You know, we talked about it earlier. I like the aggression from Bryce right there, but unfortunately it's not going to pay off in his situation. So that's the balance of, yes, you want to play aggressive and you want to pick up the elim, but you got to do it in a cautious way. Unfortunate for Price that he gets taken out, but he did play it pretty well in that situation. What is Vexus?
Now, Colt, currently the only player with 2 eliminations to his name. Nobody's sitting on an elim point just yet. Might happen before too long. Vexus stuck underneath, gonna try and build himself into a box. That just barely farming the branches of a tree through a wall, but he gets replaced above. The shotgun shot, it might be in a bad spot for him right now. Vexus gonna try and maybe do it. He's gonna go for the replace, can his own roof off. Unknown, might try and take that back. He has a moment to heal up, pop a couple minis, and then push back in. Here's the replay. The edit almost there. Vexus trying to take a shot at him. Rotation out towards the trees, gonna just stay. That little peeking, the back and forth, trying to play the angle every single time, and the zip line might have changed the result up just a little bit there.
Boy.
He's gonna use that to get away and slide back in.
Oh,
they run right into each other on the zip.
This is like jousting in Fortnite on zip lines there, as it's going to be ultimately Vexus that gets taken out. Man, that was a rough spot for a zip line to be in. He has glider redeploy, and he should be able to glide his way into the storm there as he ended up on top. What a fight. That was an interesting.
Circle's starting to close. Hopefully we can get that updated on the minimap soon. Ultra rotating in. Still up here at Junction. Fleshes down underneath. Snowy in the bottom of this structure at the block here. You don't see not too many fights so far have taken place here, at least not ones that we've seen. A solid pump shot there. The wall blocks the follow-up, going for the elimination. And right now, Samuel's got to be thinking, I need to push on this right now. I got a big hit the first time. Snowy's going to be weak. Let's drop in on him and say hello.
How cool is this? What are the creators that built this block creative spot? Gets to be featured in an Australian Open Fortnite event right now. That is great. Shout out and kudos to Epic for that awesome feature and community activity and engagement. Really cool to see as a fight is ensuing here. Samuel gonna connect.
The shot, he gets the elimination. Samuel picking one up off of Snowy, puts him at his first.
Well played there. Wow. See Krabby, who connected on that beautiful hand cannon shot earlier. He's still alive over towards Wailing Woods.
Quick note, Ultra right there. If he gets this elimination, this will be his third. That'll be the first point of this game for him. He's going in as fast as he can. The swaps, and he gets taken out. Can't pick up the third elimination. No point in game 3 here. Lachlan gets his first. Desire and Johnny still here at the basketball court. Tilted Towers, the focus of game 2. maybe a third party, maybe not, but these two are more worried about each other right now, although it seems Desire is opting to just rotate away. Now's not the time for this fight.
It was interesting, that fight with Ultra, just to break that down. I mean, he had 2 eliminations, like you said. He also had a shotgun to his name, so I don't know if that shotgun was on reload or what the situation was, but he got caught with just an SMG out. Not the right weapon in that situation, in my eyes.
In the feed, by the way, MrFreshAsian being eliminated. Lands 65th place with only 2 Elans, still no points. Harpy gets hit by the stink. He's going to have to rotate away and reposition. Stink grenades in this game are not necessarily the go-to for picking up an Elan. Oftentimes in competitive Fortnite, they are more about zoning. You can take an opportunity. Maybe you have someone you're gatekeeping and someone's going to try and push you and you know that they're low. You can drop one in front or to the side so that you are forcing the player that has to stay away from the storm to choose the path that you want them to choose. You kind of put yourself in a better position for a 1v1. Oftentimes, you'll see players overtake with ease with a stink grenade. That's why they're so important right now.
Is that Jax?
Jax
wow.
gets the Elan.
And what a play there.
Now.
If you missed it, Jax lost high ground. He was clearly underneath, quote-unquote, Harry Pottered right there, and was able to retake high ground with the defensive ramp that he placed inside the build of Slayer ANZ. Instead, Jax, who was a hero in game number 1, is trying to show up here in game number 3. He did not have the game 2 he wanted. We'll see if Jax can make it to late game with his 1 elimination right now.
We've got 3 players still in the game right now with 2 eliminations apiece. Colt and Jovi, Urban Visual. Nobody's picked up a third just yet, so no points getting handed out. 57 players left. The circle starts to move in 7 seconds. And it's a north side circle. We've got Lazy Lynx almost in the center. The only POI actually still in the next zone. We'll see how things play out there. Rubsy, 1 Elan, but he's sitting on a single rocket. Pretty good loadout right now. Quite a bit of ammo for 50 players left. You'll see a detriment of ammunition pretty often in competitive Fortnite. Oftentimes players wait until literally the last second to burn through some of their ammo. They don't want to. You don't want to spend it early because if you run into somebody in a box and you don't have any shotty shells, that's a tough life to live.
Yeah, could be a little rough. Rubsy right there, being what's known in competitive Fortnite as a little bit of a storm chaser, right? Trying to fight and take out, I'm not sure who it was he was going up against with that 1 RPG left, but he decides, hey, I got to value my life, I got to rotate early. He's going to leave whoever that is in the dust, who's just going to rotate with a nice glider redeploy, I believe.
He got 15 bandages, though. He has an opportunity to make his way in, but he's got quite a bit of ways to go. 1 minute and 13 seconds on this rotation. We've got Jesse there in the bottom right corner, your back-to-back winner. Oh, Rubsy gets taken by Lazarbeam.
I think that was the person that he was hunting earlier.
I believe it was.
Oh, boy.
Yep, there it is. Going to pick up all the goodies.
Lazarbeam gets the last laugh.
Jesse's still hanging out in Lazy, though. I believe sitting on 0 eliminations again. He's playing for position. He's playing for rank every single time because I don't blame him. It's paid off 2 games in a row. There's no reason to change up the strategy at this point.
Completely agreed. It's what he's known for, late game, early rotations. We kept saying it. He was the first person to rotate in every moving circle last game. And let's see if he does it again here. But Jesse is just such a textbook player, so smart. Again, I keep comparing him to Ghost Bizzle on the North American side, but you really see a lot of comparisons there. Meanwhile, some people just trying to stay alive in some Stormwinds, hanging out.
Snake and Happy just hanging out in the outside zone. Those planes coming in handy. You see this quite a bit in competitive Fortnite. These players, you don't want to elect to fight somebody when you have a plane like that because they have limited HP. They get blown up, and you're stuck being forced into a rotation that maybe is not advantageous for you. Your best bet is just to stay away from everybody and circle out in the water. Just wait it out. The next circle's about to close. 3 seconds, and we'll see if those planes are going to have to make a move, potentially south over quite a few other players. Still a little bit of water. We have a rift to go just hanging out down here.
So, yeah, that's actually a planted rift. He's just hold on to it. Different person. No, I'm not sure which one that is. Actually, yeah, smart decision. He's just waiting because he's going to have that for a late rotation whenever he wants. So he could be the last to rotate here, and then he can actually retake ultimate high ground in one of these last circles before moving circles. Smart decision from Darkrock there to wait and to hold that rift.
No reason to push whatsoever, like you said. Yeah. Just kind of set up shop and wait for everybody to move in. We've got quite a few players that are going to be forced to rotate in. We still have 1 player way on the southeast side, just south of Tomato, that's going to fly in right now. Makes it in from outside the storm just barely. You can see it on our map on our screen. We've got, I believe there it is, somebody who's just floating in on the right side of your screen.
Herschels of Renegade still alive. Top player on the Renegade squad. We'll see what he can do. He hasn't had a great game 1 and 2 yet. Looking to perform here today. Jax, you see at the top of your screen as well. Keep a close eye on him. Still 50+ people alive in this one. We're going into storm number 4 here in a moment.
I hope people that are watching understand. These players in a competitive environment, no one wants to engage unless they absolutely have to, or they have the opportunity to pick up a free elimination. Those points are key. If you put yourself out there in a bad spot, you call a lot of attention to yourself by engaging somebody that you shouldn't necessarily engage. You're asking to be eliminated and not land any points. Nobody wants that, so that's why you see really high player counts going into late game circles. This is circle number 3. It's going to start closing right now. We have 51 players left. You have a number of players sitting at the top of the little buildings. Jordy's sitting in the top of 1 by 1. You see him kind of editing and resetting walls to make them transparent so we can see through. A1 Beats is taking a couple little peeks there to see if he can get a pick on somebody as they're rotating in. But there's no reason for him to just sit and tunnel on somebody without paying attention to his surroundings. He's deciding here very clearly to say, I don't like the fact that you're sitting in that box. I'd like to take a couple shots, kind of mix things up. You make players nervous by doing what he's doing, and that will potentially push them out of their safe zone, and they'll get eliminated. He's not necessarily looking to pick up an elimination of his own. He just wants to make sure that he's not the guy that everybody looks at.
That's a great point. Putting some pressure elsewhere. If you can take the pressure off of you in competitive Fortnite, that's a win. That's a great thing if you can stay alive and make it to late game. The same reason a lot of people like to fly around in those Stormwinds. It's pretty much a guaranteed way to make it to top 15, top 20 in competitive Fortnite. So if you can grab your hands on one of those Stormwinds, good things can happen. That's a great point you brought up earlier, Lupo, as well, about not drawing too much attention to yourself, because if you do, you become like a fly on fruit in the summer. You get really everyone focusing on you.
Here, Big Green, Lazy Links, you've got 4 players all kind of built into the same structure. You see a couple on the north side just kind of waiting, seeing if somebody's going to move at that time. It's going to be a tough situation for these players to make it out of, depending on where the circle goes. It's still Lazy Links focused. Gotcha Smile sitting all the way up top.
Yep. You guys might hear the screams of children in the microphone and in the background. Literally, there are swarms of people that are flying towards the skybox that I think Laser and some of these other folks are hanging out at. You love to see it here in Australia. A lot of fans coming to hang out for the first time with some of their favorite streamers. It is really what I think Fortnite has really done a great job of.
A lot of players still in those planes just floating around up top. Nobody wants to make a move and put themselves in harm's way at this point, and I don't blame them. Gancho waiting in the top of this, the top center structure of Big Green here. Lazy. There we go, the top right corner. Your back-to-back winner from game 1 and game 2, Jesse. Waiting to see what kind of move is going to happen here in just a second.
Yep. I think Jax picks up his second. It's going to be big for him. I think, if I remember correctly, game 1, he either got 2 or 3. I think he was just under that 3 threshold. I can't remember for a fact. And I think he just got taken out. He misses that 3 threshold as well.
I'd like to point out super quick, Jesse's loadout is literally an RPG and a shotgun.
No way.
He has healing in every other spot.
You got to be kidding me.
This man is focused on late game, 100%.
He has a strategy, has a vision, and he sticks to it.
He's got a rift to go as well.
Look at this.
2,500 materials. This is the strat to go for late game every time. He doesn't want to fight a single person, and I can't blame him, because with the weight on positioning, it's the way to play if you're going for the win. And he's there's $100,000 on the line for first place. You can't blame him.
You can't blame him one bit, but I think this is unprecedented, Lupo. I don't think we've ever seen someone win back-to-back games with 0 eliminations. I mean, they usually get 1 at least.
Reddit is going to have to check the facts on that one.
Donnie,
I'm not sure.
out there.
I think that might be the first back-to-back with 0 eliminations.
And one thing to point out, too, my friend Donnie sent me a Twitter DM and mentioning this. Thank you all for the feedback on Twitter, but he also said that he didn't take 1 tick of damage going through that entire tilted fight in game number 2. He had the same 200 HP total from the beginning of that tilted fight to the very end. It goes to show how good he is at just staying alive, rotating early, and really conserving his resources.
If that's the name of the game, he's definitely focused on it. We've got 42 players left, 35 seconds until this circle closes, and then it starts to move. At this point, it would surprise me if there are many players left in the air and planes. People are going to have to start popping out of those just because pulling those tight circles a little too close together. You will have elected to drop down and try and get high ground. Here's Hershicles making a rotation into the safe zone. He's going to box up Halfty, pick it up an Elim there, right there, and Glorious. Style, I believe Stale going down in the feet as well. Zarby and Craze, the only players alive right now with 3 eliminations. Manjobi looks like he got 49th and picked up 3 eliminations. That's a point apiece for all 3 of those players. Vince and a number of others are sitting on 2. Nobody's pushing too aggressively right now.
So Vince looking to pick up his first point. I don't believe he's gotten 3 limbs yet. His teammate Twiz has. We'll see if he can do the same. Try and put himself on the board here. There it is. Jesse of the X2 twins still full HP, full shield, in a great position right now.
I spoke too soon. There are actually still people just waiting it out top. Can't blame them. The election to avoid combat is the smart play. If you're going for placement every single time, that's the smartest play. Eliminations will happen when they happen. They'll happen organically, and so you don't really have to worry about pushing too much. You have to worry about safety more so than anything else.
That RPG from Zarby actually connected for damage before. Zarby at 4 eliminations right now. Another limb here on Hershicles under a World of Hurt would be his second point. That'd be huge for Zarby. We'll see if he can do it. Meanwhile, Minkin TTV picks up one. He is known to be a very passive, smart, and slow-paced player playing for late game. He is showing he can also get some limbs here in the late game as well.
Hershicles might be in a tough spot here. Looks like Dolph's rotating above him. We'll see here in a second when he gets caught off guard. He's going right underneath Zarby. He's going to have to try and station up basically in the same box as another player at this point because so many people in such a small area. And you see Hershicles getting a little third-party damage. Somebody caught him rotating.
I think it's Zarby. Zarby wants his 5th limb, and he's
34 players left.
Wow.
20 seconds until this circle ends with a southeast rotation. And this is where things are going to start getting crazy. The next circle move, if it is far enough away, everybody's going to have to relocate. You're going to see a lot of rift-to-goes pop at the last second before the zone starts to tick on these players. You want to wait until the last second because floating in the air for as long as possible keeps you out of engagements. It gives you the best chance to get high ground above your opponents. Avoiding fights is key here if placement's your goal. And it should be. $400,000 total on the line is insanity.
Yeah, Keep My Big Bonus is not activated here. That's a game format that Epic used in the Fall Skirmish series where every elimination after 7, I believe, is 1 additional point. That's not activated here in this game system, so placement becomes even more important. You can't knock a player like Jesse X-Twin for playing the way that he's doing and playing smart here and not even putting shots in, just trying to avoid fights. And doing a great job at it. It's really, I mean, he's smart, he's methodical, he does it in such an intelligent way too. It's not like he's just taking an easy win. He's playing so incredibly consistent and smart, and it's hard to do against these top players in Fortnite.
I'm going to try and remember specifically, but I believe he had 13 shotgun shells about 10 minutes ago as well. Literally avoiding every fight he possibly can. Krabby goes down to himself. Looks like the Storm may have taken an elimination there. Rocky picking up an elim at Dolph.
And I was gonna point out, he was low ground, and like the first 2 games he won was high ground and mid ground. I didn't realize he had a rift to go in his pocket, so he was staying low ground just long enough to regain high ground now with that rift to go. Keep an eye on Jesse here, as Zarby currently does have ultimate high ground.
Time for the rotations. A lot of these players building branches in to try and maintain high ground. Zarby trying to take shots from above. Doesn't get enough damage dealt out there. And there, the fall damage a little bit. Almost a risk there. Almost eliminated by gravity itself. Zarby building back up. He wants to stay above every single player that he can, especially sitting on an RPG at this point. 22 players left. This circle's about to finish. We'll be looking at circle 7 rotation. And it's another south move.
I was just about to say, this is Zarby's game to lose. He had high ground, he had mats to his name, and he had an RPG, a good position to get a 5th elimination, but he gets taken out because he didn't build a pyramid and additional fortification on his builds, I believe. Twiz takes himself out as well after getting that a limb. Still on board with Jesse, the X2 twin.
I want to point out, too, that Keith, the 2nd place, I believe, after placement from last game and elimination count, he is still alive as well. So we have the 1 and 2 still. Yeah, there he is, Keith, all the way to the back. He might be trying to pop a bandage right at the edge of the storm here. He's going to have to scoot in before he ticks out. Vince, ultimate high ground. Contest in the bottom there, taking a little bit of damage. Araki and Jesse both way ahead of the rest of the field here. Arwen trying to float in, a late drop in, and it might not be fast enough to get down. He's trying to dodge through the structure, and he makes it. Vince cannot get the elimination. 8 players left. A top-down view for Vince. He might be in the best spot right now. 11 HP left. Gancho's on the shotgun drop on contest. Surprise, I'm above you.
Peekaboo says Smiles. He picks up 1. And now, again, Vince does have ultimate high ground, so it could be a good opportunity for him. Smiles going for a second. Look at, he has 11 HP, and he's playing like he has full shields, full health. Smile with ultimate confidence, not high ground in this one.
What an absolute savage. He's trying to pick up as many points as he can. He's got 3 eliminations. Gonna have to go for 2 more. The shot on Arwen gets it. Are you kidding me?
Smile, welcome to competitive Fortnite on the global scale. He's performing here, still alive some way, somehow. Who is it? None other than Jesse, who's actually rotating first and early again, but he's gonna lose his mid ground here. He's gonna take some shots, so Jesse's gonna have to shoot some bullets finally in the late game.
Potentially the first damage he's taken the entire time. He's sitting on 13 shotgun shells, a full shield potion, 5 bandages, and barely any materials. He's canning himself up against the wall. He's looking for a late game heal off, which means with 4 players left, Vince, Araki, or Keith, somebody's going to have to make the decision to push Jesse right now if they want to get this. Otherwise, he's in the best spot. And Keith goes down. Araki picking up the 5th elimination. That's 2 points, a top 3 finish.
There it is. Vince.
The drop down to 1v1. Vince versus Jesse. Can Jesse pick up a third win in a row?
He's going for heal off. 2 med kits and a campfire here for Vince. I'm whispering so Jesse doesn't hear me. Vince versus Jesse, the heal off. Jesse only had 5 bandages earlier. Vince has high ground. He stops healing. He decided to stop healing. That's going to cost him the game.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness. I'm lost for words, Lupo. Wow.
That might have been one of the biggest upsets we've seen at the very last, the 1v1. Vince absolutely had that covered. All he had to do was sit in the campfire, but he didn't realize that Jesse had no healing left. He was rotating with the circle, and that was it. As soon as he canceled that med kit, that was it.
Wow. And listen, my hat goes off to Vince regardless because he netted himself 2 points, maybe even a third if he had 3 limbs. But what a blunder that was. Again, he did not have the intel that we had by any means. But can you believe it, Lupo? 3 back-to-back-to-back endgame first place wins for Jesse with 0 eliminations.
Can we please get a round of applause here?
You have to show respect for that.
I don't think we've seen that ever. I don't even know what I really just watched, to be quite honest. He sat on, I believe, 3 rockets and 13 shotgun shells for an entire match, waited in the bottom of Lazy Links, the big green building, and elected to avoid every fight possible. People need to start realizing that playing for placement and avoiding engagements might be the best strategy we've seen thus far, which is almost contradictory to what you would expect. There's points for eliminations, but at this point, if he can just keep landing victory royales, that's 3 points every single time. He's sitting on 9 already without having to do much.
Unbelievable. And I'm so mad that they're making you look so smart right now because we've been disagreeing all weekend about aggressive play, tilted towers, push people in W key, which is my preferred style. I'm more in the Aiden camp. Lupo is looking pretty smart right now.
Play for placement is the key when the format is what it is.
Not big bonus especially.
I can't blame him from doing what he's doing. It's shown up big. I have to admit.
Yep.
So now we've seen 3 games in a row Fallout where playing for placement, playing strategically, slowly, taking your time, and not necessarily being, putting yourself out there. It's paid off repeatedly. Do you change your strategy if you are one of the other competitors? Do you do that? Do you assimilate that? Or are you going to try and at this point, people have to know where he's dropping every single game.
That's a great point.
Are you going to try and contest the drop and maybe feed him an elim or 2 or overtake him? If you have a perfect drop, you can land on a weapon that might win a 1v1. Imagine if you pull an RPG from a chest and Jesse's standing right in front of you. What do?
That's a great point. Listen, if you can't beat him, join him. Try to play for the heal off, try and beat him in the late game. Look, at the end of the day, he has 9 points. He's sitting in first place. Another school of thought is, hey, that first place finish is $100,000. We all know how life-changing that money is. So, honestly, if you're not going for first, what are you doing? I actually might have to go back in my own words here. Play with aggression in my eyes and try and find a way to take him out. He's just playing so smart, though, that you can't outsmart him. No one's able to outsmart Jesse right now. It's amazing.
The king of Australia, yeah?
I think so.
Speaking of said king, we have him over with Elfish right now. Elfish, please. Is there any way to beat this man?
Guys, this is absolutely insane. 3 times in a row, Jesse. Crowd, I need some more cheers. This guy is an absolute monster. Now, I want to talk about the atmosphere here in Margaret Court Arena. You've won 3 times in a row. There's lots of cheers. Everyone's getting hype. Is that affecting you at all? Are you getting sort of inside your mind, or are you kind of blocking it out? Is it just your own little world?
I'm trying to block it all out. It's pretty surreal having all these people watching me. Like, in real life, it's different, because in stream, it's just cool. It's a nice atmosphere.
Awesome, awesome. I want to know as well, the casters were just sort of talking about maybe changing strategies, either other players or yourself. Now that you've won 3 in a row, it seems like a silly question. Are you planning on changing your strategy? Do you want to go for some more aggressive drops? Maybe land tilted, something like that?
Nah. All placement, all the way.
Absolutely. I think that's probably a good strategy. Do you think, though, anyone else is maybe going to change their strategy up, start to try and snipe you? Obviously, there's $100,000 on the line for first place, and you're gunning for that at the moment.
They can come try if they want.
Ooh, fighting words, fighting words. I'm excited to see it. All right, last question. In that clutch situation, I think that was probably the closest things I've gotten so far for you today. Did you recognize the situation that you were in where it looked like if it was going to be a heal-off, you were actually going to lose?
Yeah, I have no idea. If he had more HP, he won that, so just got lucky.
Lucky, maybe, but I think a lot of skill involved there as well. Let's go back up to you, Ben.
Thanks, Jordan. Well, if Jesse is the king of competitive Australian Fortnite, does that make Elfish Guy the jester? I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see. Look, for me, it's X2 Jesse, but in reality, it's X3 Jesse, because he's 3 from 3 and doing an absolutely amazing job here, Vandy.
You know what's really funny as well? DrLupo tweeted at him being like, 3rd time lucky, and if you ask for it, Jesse's going to deliver. That is a really impressive feat. I don't think we've seen anyone do this, so this is really history in the making, yet again.
Yeah, well, it absolutely is. We're talking about, of course, the largest prize pool in Australian competitive gaming history. $400,000 on the line across the 100 players here as we take a look at some of the replays from match number 3. Look, there were some big plays there at the start of the game as well. A lot of dancing. I think there were some sick elims coming out from some of the Chiefs guys. Or was that maybe Chief Slayer going down here? Yeah, it was. Actually, Nate XC coming through with the elim there and doing a pretty good job. Other things for me was, I guess, Twiz was a little bit unlucky there, heading closer towards the end, falling down, just not being able to get that build out in time. This one definitely felt like it played out a little bit differently than some of the other matches.
Also, the player Goku Keith, he's been placing quite well so he's keeping that consistency that we were talking about, and it just takes that one bad game to give him a good chance, but constantly I'm seeing him at least top 5. So to hold that positioning right there, he's not changing up his game plan and it's working for him.
Yeah, and I think the thing to reiterate as well, Vandy, look, yes, Jesse is 3 from 3, sitting on 9 points, I suspect, by the end of this one. But there's no elims to add to that. There's no extra points on top. You can get 3. You don't have to come first every time. If you're picking up the elims, you're getting 7 or more, you're going to be getting 3 points anyway. So I think you probably have an idea of how Jesse's going to go. You can sort of count out the points you expect to see him getting across the rest of the game. You expect, yeah, probably he's going to make top 10 each time.
Yep.
In that match, we did see that it was almost 50-50 on whether he came first or second. He's not guaranteed first every time. The thing I feel that he has going for him, however, is that he's used to playing this style, right?
Yep.
If you want to change it up and play the same way he's playing, but you're not used to playing that way, and he's used to playing that way, then for me, that actually gives him quite a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. So if you're used to playing full aggression, you're used to taking every fight, Jesse's style is not going to suit you. It's going to be very, very different. So you can't really copy that, but a player that really did take advantage was Gancho Smile. We saw that he had no chance of rotating in. He was late to it, but then he capitalized. He knew he was only a couple of points away, a couple of eliminations away from getting those points. And what did he do? He changed his strategy, jumped into the storm, got those eliminations, got the points. That's the decision making we like to see.
Yeah, on the move, sort of on the feet, quick thinking. Smile played pretty well also across that game. And I think, again, the thing to take away here is that Jesse didn't come into that with the perfect fit out. He didn't have everything that he wanted. So you know that you can beat this guy, right? If you play it smart, if you get there to the end, he's not guaranteed to have every bit of kit that he needs to win. A little bit of luck is on the line too there. So maybe if you do start playing his way, maybe at the start you're playing for a limbs, and then once you get your point on the board, you get your 3 or your 4. Maybe that's the point where you start to slow down, play it a little bit safer. I'm interested to think what everyone here is watching as well, what everyone, all the fans think, how they would play it in this situation, what they would do. Because again, it's very different to being at home. It's again different to being in your gym jams, Vandy, on your PC, on your console, lazing about, playing with friends. It's a bit of a different situation.
Well, you hear the insight coming out as well in the interview. He's saying, I'm trying to block it out as much as I can. It is very cool, but you do get amped with the atmosphere, but it can also be distracting. There's lots of people walking around. There was even Lazarbeam being spotted. I saw
that was a bit of a ruckus, wasn't it?
And center. I heard chants. So all this is going on while the players down here are trying their best. And although they do have noise-cancelling earphones, it's still a lot that they need to contend with. So there's also these external factors that they are dealing with.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about, and you can see how important as well I think this is for the fans, all the way from WA. That was a pretty cool one. I love to see enthusiasts of competitive gaming or fans of perhaps some of the influencers of the players today having a chance to come on out and meet them, because it's, again, different to that online world. You go, hang on, these are real people. Look at them play. It's not just watching them on Twitch or watching them on YouTube or something like that.
you get to see them in their natural environment where really they're just in the game. You can see how focused each of these players are. And yes, there are a lot of distractions, but you can see on their faces, they're just in the game.
Yeah, that's right. You have to really zone it out. In the same way, I suppose that if you're a tennis pro, you have to zone out there. The difference for us, though, Vandy, is that there's no one on the mic going, shh, quiet, please, anything like that. Not in Fortnite, that's for sure. We encourage fun times as we do now take a look at our match 3 results. Of course, once again, X2 Twins Jesse up there, first place, 1 elimination, 3 points on the board, 3 from 3. What a great result. Vince followed him up very close, a little bit perhaps unlucky there, could have come away with a victory royale in his plays as we make our way through some of the other results. Look, 5 elims, that's actually very impressive. You can see that's almost as good as getting that victory royale as well.
It really is, and with the points you talked about, Twiz, he did have a little bit of an unlucky situation. Contest as well, another player dropping right on top of him as he was trying to heal, just a bit unlucky. So you always need to be prepared for the unexpected. But still, these placements mean that they should be still around the top half of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and again, we've been talking about it all day, Vandy, but it's not just first place. Second and third place going home with $50,000 as well. There's a lot of money up for grabs. Once you get to the top 20, you double your cash. The closer you get to the top, obviously, the better it gets. So if you go, you know what, maybe I'm not going to come first, but look, I'll take 50K any day of the week, any day of the year, any day ever. I'll take it.
Vince as well, he played very commendably. A little bit of the nerves getting to him at the end, cancelling that heal. But still to come in second place, it puts him in a very good stead. And these are the mistakes that you learn from. These are the mistakes that you'll be sure never to repeat. So although it might feel a little bit bad for a moment, you're still going to be able to come back from that.
You take a look around the grounds here at Margaret Court Arena. A few people jumped out for a snack or what. We essentially are in the equivalent of the halftime break here, Vandy. We're the halftime entertainment for now. No dancing, though. I'm not going to do that one for you, unfortunately. But you can see the players as well. They've been making their way in and out, getting a little bit of a break now because we've been playing for a little while, a couple of hours. So maybe it's starting to take its toll. Take a toilet break, have a bottle of water, something to eat, a snack, some sugar. I don't know. Just trying to find something just to get you going again.
Okay, here's the thing. What's your favorite gaming snack?
My favorite gaming snack. Look, I just like, and this isn't a gaming snack, but I really like chicken, Vandy. I really like chicken.
Chicken nuggets, chicken breast, chicken stir fry?
Chicken anything.
Okay, so just chicken.
Yeah, that's, but you got to wash your hands real good afterwards. Otherwise you get greasy keyboards,
that's not a gaming-friendly snack, Ben.
No, it's not, but I don't care.
Okay, so maybe for me, I'm thinking chips. You can't go wrong with chips. I've actually seen some very creative gamers start to eat them with chopsticks. I think I'm going to give it a try. So you keep your fingers clean.
Right. You keep your fingers clean.
So you can keep the gaming, unlike your chicken.
Look, well, you could eat chicken with chopsticks.
Exactly. Let's see. Do you want to try this and see how we go?
Look, if someone wants to get me some chicken, I'll eat it. That's for sure. Some of our fans out here, give us a wave, guys and girls. Look at this. Having a good time down at the Australian Open today. Of course, the men's finals tonight. The solos for this Fortnite Summer Smash right now here on the ground in MCA. And then this afternoon, we do have our Pro-Am competition. Celebrities from across Australia. I heard Husey was coming down, Nick Kyrgios, some musicians, some supercars drivers, perhaps some other tennis players, AFL players, AFL umpires. That'll be interesting to see how they react when the pressure's on them and they're not the ones in control.
I also hear the crowd making quite a fuss because Loserfruit is down there doing a little bit of an interview. So that's going to be probably coming up a little bit later, but the crowd is still loving it. So this is that thing that we talked about, being able to see these influencers in person, in real life, and maybe get a chance of an autograph or a picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I think it's really cool. This could be very well a lot of people's first ever gaming event that they really get to go to. The first time they get to see some of their fan favorites, I suppose, in person. Come down, maybe meet some friends who you play with online. You play Fortnite with them every night, but now you can come down during the day and check them out here, play or watch everyone else play. Of course, you heard before a couple of those influencers in the crowd, everyone going a little bit wild as well, trying to meet their idols, perhaps. That's a little bit exciting. I'm always excited to meet Elfish Guy every time he's out and about. I don't know if anyone else is, but, you know, we take what we can.
You just called him a jester.
Yeah, it's because he's a jester. He's having a bit of fun. He's doing a lot of hard work there on the court as well. Oh, look at that great picture. I absolutely love it. And this is our new digital generation coming through, Vandy. These guys and girls here today who may be growing up with competitive games, growing up with Fortnite, being able to grow up and come to the Australian Open and watch the Fortnite Summer Smash. Absolutely incredible for them. An amazing experience.
I've also seen a lot of fan-made signs, as you said, that photo, a lot of like little memes that all of these game communities have. So I think to just take that little extra bit of care and also just to support your favorite player here today, it really just shows how much we've got vested in these players here.
And I think even for the players themselves, Vandy, so if you're a fan of one of these streamers or one of these pros and you made it through the top 20 in your heat, perhaps you're down on the ground playing today against the people that you watch online. And not only that, maybe you have a chance to eliminate them.
Oh
my God, the crowd is going wild. They're cheering. It's
for Lazarbeam.
Oh, Lazarbeam, look at them go. They're very excited. He's not even playing necessarily. Not till this afternoon.
Not yet, not till the pro-ams, but you can already see everyone is just off, like knocking their socks off, just wanting to get a piece of him.
Yeah, big fans, of course, and look, this is all real, this is all fun times. The dollary dues are real, the fans are real, and the experience is real and very unique, yeah. So I think everyone so far has had a great time. Of course, we're not even halfway through the day, Vandy. We're only through 3 matches of the solos. We have 3 more solo matches coming up. Yeah, then the duos per M. That's a whole other world. That's not the 1 versus 100. That's 2 of you together fighting as a team, Vandy. If you were my duo, I think we do pretty well.
Do you think so? Okay,
No,
who would be the builder?
We'd get destroyed.
Yeah, we would, but who would be the builder?
Not me.
But not me either.
Well, that's why we're going to lose. Well, guys and girls, that is halftime here for the solos competition at the Fortnite Summer Smash. We are going to take a very quick break. When we come back, it's match number 4. We'll see you soon. Hello and welcome.
International gamers DrLupo, Valkyrae, MrFreshAsian, AlexAce, and Lachlan. The prize money are
2019 Australian Open.
Lost one member over here. It's just Kiki, alive with a bit of a dream. I mean, we do have the bandages. We haven't used them yet. We're just
For MrFreshAsian into the 1v1 now, though, and it's going on all around him, Skylar.
apart from the aggression, they
Last game as well, where a lot of players
for me,
here by the player named Dongers, managing sticking to that. If you are going to play for placements, don't alter your plan. So we did see a little bit of, I guess, where we saw some players maybe trying things a little bit outside.
Location, Melbourne, Australia. The plan, take 100 of the best Fortnite players in the world and fight it out in an unforgettable showdown and then launch into a memorable Pro-Am event. The players, international gamers DrLupo, Valkyrae, MrFreshAsian, AlexAce and Lachlan. The prize money a cool $500,000. This is Fortnite Summer Smash at Australian Open 2019 and it all starts now. The famous Margaret Court Arena has been transformed from a tennis heaven to a Fortnite factory. Elite gamers from far and wide have descended on the venue for today's battle. After a grueling day of qualifying, the tournament is down to the best 100 players, and they've got their eyes on the title and their share of the $400,000 main event prize money. A star-studded celebrity pro-am event will follow the solo showdown. Strap in, get set. This is the Fortnite Summer Smash at the Australian Open.
Well, what an incredible day it's been so far here at Margaret Court Arena. We've had people fly in from around Australia and, of course, from across the world. I'm joined now by Fallout. You've moved back up here, promoted to the big stage. How are you feeling? It's been a good day so far, right? What's been the highlight for you of the games?
Honestly, there's been a variety of things. You've seen these players really step up to the plate. And yeah, speaking of flying across the world, it's been a crazy trip and a crazy weekend, but it's been a fun one, that's for sure. Seeing the Oceania region on display has been my highlight personally. You've seen a lot of North American and European Fortnite, and now for the first time, these players have a chance to prove themselves. I know there's a lot of under 16 players at home that are grinding, a lot of people in this room that one day will cast on main stage as well. The future is bright, for Australian Fortnite, and I couldn't be more excited.
For me, the huge takeaway here is Dolph just said in his interview, obviously with you heard it, right? This is his first LAN, and for those of you unsure what that means, it's the first time that you're not playing online, you're playing with everyone else you're competing against. The pressure's on. A lot of players in the past, when you talk about competitive game, your first LAN was an internet cafe or a mate's house, or you build up. There's no building up to this. It doesn't get much bigger than this, and I am amazed at just how well some of these players are dealing with the pressure here.
Yeah, that's a great point. This is the event that you separate the goods for the greats. Who has the ice in their veins? Who is really able to perform under pressure? Players like Dolph showing up today, and gosh, their first LAN ever being the largest prize pool tournament in Australian history. Just let that sink in for a little bit. It's unbelievable.
That just shows how fast the times are changing here. That you can go from not having played competitively at a big event before to step into the arena, step into MCA, come to the Australian Open, play for history-changing money, life-changing money for a lot of these players. It would be for me, that's for sure. It's such an amazing opportunity. I just can't wait to see where things go from here, because this is an incredible start.
Yeah, of course, this is just the beginning. Epic announced that this is the first event of 2019, that they'll be looking at some competitive format changes compared to the regular game. And we all know what's coming after this. We have World Cup. We have so many great events coming with 2019 and Fortnite. Australia gets to kick that off. Something tells me we're going to see a lot of these players competing on that big stage here in a couple of months. And man, I'm so excited to see the likes of the twins, of a lot of these players contest the meme artist himself showing up here in the World Cup this year.
It's been a pretty exciting day so far. And of course, Jesse having an incredible job. 3 of the first 3. Fourth one falls a little bit short, but look, he's already created such a great base, I suppose, to build the rest of his games from.
Yeah, and this is solos, by the way. We all know the X2 twins thrive in duos. Their chemistry, their ability to make decisions on the same page is unmatched with their ability to play together every single day. So I can't wait for that duos format. I can't wait to see those two in particular, Mindfreak, Vincent Twiz, a lot of other players in duos playing alongside each other on the big stage.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. I think we got some of the Victory Royale replays to take a look at, so we'll throw those up on screen for me. I want you to talk us through these Fallout. What do we see here? What is this strat where they're just healing?
Yeah, at this point, really, it's a tough situation, and really, the Jesse of the X2 twins is just watching these two fight, hearing the sound and the audio and saying, having the last laugh, knowing that he's going to get the easiest win of his life right there. And that just goes to show the intelligence that he has. Hey, he's playing the game by the rules. He's honestly taking advantage and capitalizing on the game format, and it's really shown. 2 in a row here. This is the third one he got from Jesse, and finally, Dolph was able to dethrone him.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing there as well was it was a sort of situation where the other player actually had an advantage, but perhaps wasn't used to playing out the last part of the game like that. They're quite used to going for the limb perhaps, and clearly Jesse knows how to play this style. So when we've kept talking about, do people change it up? Do they start playing for placing in the same way Jesse does? It can potentially be difficult if the person you're going up against does this all the time, and this is what they're great at.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not as easy as it looks. A lot of people might think, oh, he just happens to be the last person to survive. Well, do that 3 times in a row in the biggest tournament Australia has ever seen. That takes consistency, that takes skill. What he's doing well is setting himself up for success. Farming early mats, he's sitting at 2,000 or 3,000 mats at mid-game, at end-game, and his ability to rotate early during the late game before anyone else during those rotating circles is really what's setting him apart and setting himself up for these wins. He's playing so incredibly smart, much more smart than I think people realize.
Yeah, you just don't get to the end of the game, do you? And all of a sudden find yourself out ahead. Look at this. The crowd amping up now with some of our players, some of our influencers who we're going to be seeing a little bit later on play in the Pro-Am.
Vikkstar just starts cheesing.
Oh,
absolutely cheesing. I see you,
loving
Vic.
it. He's loving it. Look at this. Having a great time so far. And as they should be, as they should be. But yeah, for guys like Jesse, it's almost like the TV show Preppers, right? Where you're getting ready for the end of the world, except it happens every round.
Yeah, honestly, that's the reality behind it. When he plays that consistent, you really you wonder, can anyone top him in that first place spot that he's at? I believe only 9 points. I don't think he got any points there in the last.
Yeah, no, he didn't. Obviously, he's not playing for a limb, so if you get eliminated early on, there's nothing to work with, right? So he loses a whole match there, still, of course, out on top. The thing for me is interesting to see, 5 points is second, so still quite a distance away, but one more match like that, and the gap is going to be very, very close.
And listen, I'm going to turn it on you real quick. What has it been like to be in the middle of this entire arena and this stage? You see Vikkstar and these guys out here interacting and engaging with these fans who've been going absolutely crazy. You see the audience, you see the ambiance. It's really been awesome to see. I want to point out, I beat Vic in a doubles tennis match yesterday when we were on court 3. Just want to put that out there that Vic is 0-1 against me all the time in tennis.
That was with the children's tennis rackets and the children's tennis nets.
Rackets, yes. Yeah. Listen, me and Muselk are the best children's tennis racket players in all of Australia. We challenge anyone out there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. For me, I've enjoyed it. This has been great. This is, of course, one of the greatest stages we've seen here in Australia. Again, to be as part of the Australian Open. It's one thing to come on down to Melbourne Park and have some fun and put on a sick event. It's another thing, again, to be with such an iconic sporting event. I said before, they crown champions here year on year. History is made, and today we can do it in competitive gaming for the first time with this prize pool.
Our first Fortnite champion going to be crowned in the same exact arena today. And honestly, though, you're back to the Jesse conversation and topic. He had a great first half. We had a little halftime there. First 3 games, back to back to back. It's going to be hard to top that. But if a player like Dolph, for example, who just netted himself 4 points, can consistently do that in this second half, do you think there's a possibility, any way we could see someone topping him for the first place $100,000 prize?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think Jesse is limited to 3 points a map. It's very difficult because you have to come top 10. It takes a lot of work, firstly, to come top 10, just to even earn that 1 point. So if someone's going out there playing for a limbs, there's potential. If they're coming through with 4 or even 5 points in a round, which would be quite incredible, definitely possible. This is where I feel like people start to find their legs. They've warmed up, right? They're used to the crowd now. They're used to the peripherals. All their settings are right. They've had a break. They've had some lunch maybe in the downtime at halftime. They're ready to go, and I feel like some of these players who perhaps were less experienced on LAN, were less experienced with competitive gaming, now they're going to start to find form.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think one thing we're going to expect in the second half is a lot more desperation from some players. We've seen that in past competitions at TwitchCon, at PAX West, at Winter Royale, and so forth, where the games 4 through 6 are when people start dropping tilted towers a little bit more. They start playing a little bit more aggressive and expect all that type of energy, that type of aggression in the second half. Expect a slightly different style of play here for some of these players like Dolph, who are on the brink of that first place finish. They're not content with $50,000 and beyond. They want that first place spot.
They're looking for the 100K, and I don't blame them, to be perfectly honest. Aim for the sky, and if you fall slightly short, take 50K home as a consolation prize. Easy peasy. I'll take it any day of the week. We're going to take a look now at some pretty sick plays that we've seen across the day. Talk us through here what you think we're seeing. What were some of the highlights, some of the standouts from you, short of course, Jesse coming through with 3 from 3 to start things off?
Honestly, that element right there that Jax pulled off. I've been talking about Jax when I was casting with Lupo earlier. He's been really impressing me. Hasn't been able to make it to late game just yet, but again, I had him as a dark horse. His ability to win that fight against Slayer, despite having low ground, showdown was great to see. And then there's players that are on the brink. A lot of these players like Price, I think it's Jalen, who's also looking to really perform here, that are so close but so far. They're getting eliminations that they need, but they're not able to make it to that late game. So looking at the overall standings, there are a few players on that brink. I know we keep talking about Jesse, but I want to talk about some of those players that are so close and have an ability to immediately pull it off.
Yeah, for me, there's been a few players who are still so very close, and I think still within reach of making, firstly, the top 2 or 3, but of course, still within reach of coming first. So I want to see how that plays out. And of course, people playing for top 20, playing to double their money, to go from $1,000 up to 2 just by coming through into the top 20 today. And the top 20 is not going to be that high in score because it's difficult to get points.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's a lot of opportunity there. And another team, another few people that have really impressed me are the Chief Boys. You saw Skyla and you saw Slaya, both alive and making some noise in a few of those games. Another 2 players that are getting some eliminations, that are on the brink and have an opportunity to really explode in the second half. I'm excited to see what they can do. 2 more, Mind Freak, what a reputable organization and name in Australia. Let's see what they can do as well. I'm looking at them, Twiz and Vince, to see if they can pop off and go off here in the second half.
Yeah, I just want to see who's going to make a name for themselves today. What is that going to look like? Oh my goodness, the real DrLupo himself walking around the crowds.
I had to sweat, I had to sprint, and I had to run to get a wave started here in this audience.
Oh, this guy.
My man Lupo just has to wave a camera at people in the crowd, and he's getting them going absolutely bonkers. You'll love to see it. This audience has been so much fun. I hope this is not the last we see a major event in Australia.
Oh man, DrLupo, too famous for his own good, I think. We have to put him into secret shuttles out when he goes and walks around. Needs a security guard of like 6 or 8 or something like that. They won't even let him through half the time. He'll of course be playing in this afternoon's Pro-Am.
Yep.
So look, he's a pretty good player, right? He streams a lot. Oh my goodness, crowd.
He has 1 or 2 wins. I can't remember exactly how many eliminations he has total, but yeah, he's played a little bit of Fortnite. And honestly, it looks like he has a magic wand right now that he's waving at people, and people have to cheer when it goes by them. That's actually insane that he can do that with his phone. Followed by the selfie, because we all know how good looking.
Oh yeah, you got to get the selfie, and if he's not taking selfies, he's tweeting out codes or something like that, isn't he? Doing pretty strong, but I don't blame him, to be perfectly honest. And we'll see who he teams up with later in the Pro-Am, see how that plays out, because he's big on the charity, right?
He's huge on charity. The man's donated so much to St. Jude. A big shout out to any DrLupo fans out there that have also donated to St. Jude and helped him with charitable causes. Every time he gets those skins at events like PAX West, TwitchCon, and this one, rather than using them to farm clout or to get some retweets, he uses them to donate to charity every single time. So big shout out to that guy, besides his retweet.
But besides that one retweet that's still going forever and ever, it's like the song that doesn't end.
50K retweets. The last person to retweet gets the code that's
expired.
Stop
retweeting it. The code's expired, boys and girls. You don't really want it. DrLupo, we brought him all the way down from the United States. Again, one of the biggest Twitch streamers, one of the most popular Fortnite streamers. We had a chat to him earlier. Let's take a look at his video.
My name is DrLupo, Benjamin Lupo, and I'm here to cast and play Fortnite. Should be a good time. I'm pretty excited. It's really warm, though. I definitely have the skin for it, for sure. Playing Fortnite at a competitive level it's difficult. There's very clear, who the people are that adjust well and who is truly competitive versus those that maybe have a little more casual viewpoint in the game. And I like watching that. I like seeing the top end really show why they're the top end. So for the solo side of things, you have $400,000 on the line, which is an insane amount of money.
Well, he's a big name in competitive gaming, a big name in Fortnite, a big name around the world. I'm glad that we've got both him and you Fallout down here with us this weekend, helping us out, explaining all of the Fortnite jargon to everyone watching along at home and getting a bit of that expert analysis as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Obviously nothing compared to that man, DrLupo, but it's an honor to be down here as well. So much fun, and it means the absolute world to be involved, really supporting the growth of Fortnite. And one fun fact on that man, we just saw that nice piece, he is the 3rd most followed Instagram profile in the state of Nebraska. So if you're out there, please help my man Lupo get to #1 in Nebraska. I don't even think Warren Buffett is #1. It's some other person. So let's get Lupo to #1.
I don't even know anyone else from Nebraska, to be perfectly honest.
I think he's the only person that lives there, so I'm confused on the whole top 3 thing.
Right. Maybe if they converted the Instagram follows to dollary dues, maybe that'll work out for him or not. I know he does love that. Look, we're very, very close to getting into match number 5 here at the Fortnite Summer Smash. We are live from Melbourne, Australia, the Australian Open. What a cool place to be. I've had a great time across the last couple of days. We had some really cool opportunities yesterday for me. I think checking out the commentary box in Rod Laver Arena for me as a a gaming commentator to see how the sports pros do it was pretty cool.
That was awesome. Yeah, that's for sure. And you talked about it earlier, but want to start like planting some seeds and hyping up the upcoming Pro-Am because it's going to be unbelievable. If you're from the Australia-New Zealand region in Tasmania, can't forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. But there's going to be some huge names. A couple AFL football players, both male and female, I heard, which is great. A bunch of tennis players. Nick Kyrgios, my Greek-Australian brother.
Oh, yeah, big fan.
Excited to watch him. Huge fan, massive fan. Excited to watch him and see what he can do. So the Pro-Am is going to be the opportunity to wrap things up. This has been such fun gameplay. I can't imagine anything topping this, but I think the Pro-Am is going to do that with Lupo playing a lot of these people, Valkyrae, etc.
I think we're going to see a little bit of animation a little bit later on the Pro-Am. So very excited people are really hamming up for the camera. And talking about hamming it up for the camera, we've got DrLupo once again down in the crowd.
Thanks again a ton, Ben. I appreciate it. We are out here in the crowd right now. Look at the mass of people, how excited everybody is. You guys love some Fortnite, right? Now, while we have a second in between games, the stuff's getting set up, everything's getting ready to go. I actually I chose someone at random out of the crowd to talk about some Fortnite. And right here we have Charlie, who actually, it's your 13th birthday, you said, yeah?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, my friend. I appreciate you taking some time to talk. Now, let's talk about Fortnite, especially competitive Fortnite, because right now we're seeing stuff from people that you don't really see this kind of gameplay in public matches. Do you think you could keep up with some of these guys?
No way.
Oh, you got to be honest with me, man. None of them are very good, trust me. I mean, we watched Jesse sit, and he didn't fight anybody, right? And he ended up getting first 3 times. That's got to be pretty easy, right?
I don't know.
Now, in Fortnite itself, you play a lot?
Yeah.
Alrighty, Lupo, I think we're going to drop it there with the crowd because we are into match number 5. Casters, let's get into the action.
Thanks very much, Ben. Yes, have to cut that one short, Lupo. Unfortunately, we have got the match, or perhaps fortunately, we've got the match because obviously that's what we are all here for. Just having a look at the drops immediately, Vandy. It doesn't seem to be anything too out of the ordinary. Everyone's got a fairly even split across the map.
There's a nice spread, as you said, Jordan, but I am keeping my eyes on the tilted towers right there. As the games do go on, we are starting to see players start to get a little bit away from that placement mentality into I need as many eliminations as possible.
Yep.
If not just for the points, to stuff up somebody else's chances on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's putting them down, putting you up, as we're seeing A1 Beat starting off the proceedings, grabbing himself an elimination quite early on in the piece. Always going to be a good feeling, a nerve settler for the early game. But I think that's a big key point you make, Vandy. Obviously, you need to be looking at players like Jesse, players like Dolph that are sitting up toward the top of the standings, and you've got to be thinking, I need to get them out of the game early and finish well with placement and with good elims so that I can catch up to them. Because right now, you're fighting from behind.
If you have a look at the spread as well of these players, so you've got Samuel first and a couple of other players that were too quick for me to see, but it comes down to who wants to loot and get the heck out of there as we turn our attention onto Taylor Is Me. This player has been doing very consistent.
Oh, Dolph's down. The winner of the last game's he's already out.
Sync actually getting the revenge on him.
Yeah.
I love that.
They'll be going backwards and forwards all day, but eventually, unfortunately for Dolph at least, things are going to go the other way. Taylor at the moment in a bit of a little bit of a go, a little bit of a duel. The player needs to farm up a few more mats, try and build on forward perhaps. I mean, it is still early game, so things are a little bit different to what we're expecting to see late game when it does come to these kinds of duels. Just trying to put a lot of pressure on with that rifle, still retaining the high ground, which is always good to see. And Halfty, he just bunkered down, turtling up right now in the 2x1.
Lonely Lodge being anything but lonely. As you said, Halfty does have the low ground. His loadout is not ideal either to take on this fight. There's not really much he can do. And that's exactly why we see the high ground being really, I guess, wanted by a lot of players.
I mean, this is not going to be a fun situation at all for poor old Halfty. There's only so much that he can do. Only so many mats that you're going to have available this early in the game. And Taylor has the opportunity to just go back, farm some mats, eventually the fight. I think really at the end, it's going to be the war of attrition really that goes the way of Taylor there.
Taylor actually opting to get out of that fight, so realizing that he does need to be doing more this time, unable to get the elimination, he's going to go farm up some more mats, try and get some more items. We turn our attention onto Rubsy and Synergy Osh over here. So again, it comes down to these small skirmishes, but just like that, Synergy manages to get an elimination.
Yeah, a lot of early fights coming out here. obviously saw Fallout talking about that with Ben on the stage and saying, you know, towards games 4, 5, and 6, obviously we being now in game 5, we're going to start to see some earlier fights, and I think that is definitely ringing true. Lupo and myself were talking about it last game as well, where a lot of players eliminated really early, and Adams just get absolutely decimated, pumped into the ground. There's another elimination comes out. Really, really early fights here across the board.
And that's that aggression that we started to talk about. Players realize that the mats are really going to be coming down to, can we get a good early game? Other players know that we want to get those eliminations. 3 players here, as you said, Campfire. Lots of bullets raining down.
Yeah, looks like he's got a lot of ammo in that SMG, but going to be charged from the back. It's aimbot Christian trying to put him under pressure, though. Fight is going to go the way of Vikkstar. Aimbot Christian knocked down early once again. Now it's back to that 1v1 as we see the Stink Bomb just putting a little bit of pressure onto one of those players there. Looks like it's
flushing him out.
Against Varkin.
Forcing the reposition, that's a great use of the Stink Bomb right there. If you cannot manage to get some shots, try and reposition them. So very, very good use.
I really like the Stink Bomb. I think it's a very good space denial kind of a tool. You know, you look at grenades, you look at dynamite, some people don't like that so much, but I think Stink Bomb's kind of a nice in-between. Where it's not going to necessarily take you out in one shot. You do have the ability to adapt to it and sort of overcome it, but it also does serve its purpose in area denial.
It definitely shines through in the early and mid game. The reason being that you do have these fights that are in bigger areas. Once you start getting to mid to late, the effectiveness can be denied a little bit. That's why explosives are the go-to. But definitely, as you said, for the early, to be that space denier and really force the reposition, it's a great item for that.
Yeah, Boys and Arwen. Obviously both aware of where one another are, but Arwen taking the time to farm up a little bit here. Not a bad choice. Not much going on. Boys is inevitably going to have to push in there if he actually does want to get that elimination. I see a boombox in there as well for Arwen, so maybe we might see some tricky stuff out here shortly.
Could be. Boombox, we haven't really seen much of it just yet. I mean, the ability for it to just deny and completely destroy any buildings around it is great.
Yeah, looking for that wall reset, that quick edit out. Arwen almost getting undone there. It's really a game of cat and mouse at this point.
It is.
He's going to wrap around the side.
Luckily, he's got his sound turn right up, and I like it. It's the Juke attempt trying to come on out. Boys is playing very, very sneaky.
Oh, I just wonder how much Matt's Arwen actually does have available to him, because he has been replacing those walls quite a lot. Perhaps getting relatively low, though. As I said, he was farming up a little bit towards the start of this little fight. Really seems like Boys is the one that's on the front foot, trying to make this fight happen. Arwen doesn't really seem to want to have much of it. Here comes another attempt at a wall reset.
Playing way more defensive. There is a Stormwing for the victor of this fight as well. So Arwen not willing to give up any ground, just playing very, very carefully, playing it slow. Really letting Boys be aggressive here. That's going to be one tag.
Yeah, Arwen just trying to use that right peek. Does get a decent tag in onto
Another
both of them.
player rocking on
Third
up.
party time.
That's going to be Urban trying to cause some havoc here. Immediately, Boys is put on the defense right there.
Just grabbing that high ground for Urban Visual. Boys, he's got that mid ground, and Arwen still behind him. So this is maybe a chance for Arwen to kind of turn things around.
He can
be a little bit sneaky, come in here as the third party. He's actually got the Stormwing. Maybe he just decides to get out of here. Boys! Oh no, what's going on? Boys, Arwen, they're all
Not
going
done
on.
yet. Neither is Urban. This is havoc.
Yeah, they could hear him trying to take off. Boys was not letting that one happen. We'll see if
He's still
Arwen
got his
goes
eye on
for it
the
again.
prize. He wants to get out. He wants to disengage.
He's managed.
Finally, the Stormwing is out and away.
Well, that's good news for Arwen at least. But it still leaves the Boys a little bit high and dry. There's another player there still trying to deal with him. They catch a little bit of Stormwing action. Again, jumping out over to Loot Lake. Looks like Slayer has set himself up in quite a nice build there, but there's a ton of players around here in Loot Lake. So definitely need to be careful. Phil on the aggressive, perhaps pushing on through Loot Lake, trying to get some positioning.
Arwen as well is one of those players that we have seen time and time again in that Stormwing. That is one strategy that we've seen him employ. So to get away with that, that really does set him up now.
A couple of big names down. Jadis and Vince already dropped. And again, we were looking at those Mind Freak players to be top competitors, but so far today, they haven't really been able to sit toward the top of those standings with the exception of the second game.
Kudros is absolutely in his stride now. It just takes one of those good games to really make you start to realize that, hey, I can go up against the best and start to make this happen, make this dream a reality.
Yep.
Turning our attention onto Big Hark. We are still on the outskirts of Tilted Towers.
Yeah, no one yet actually having picked up a point out of this game. Having a look across the scoreboard, seeing a lot of players with 2 eliminations, but no one managing to crack that third.
Tags.
Hark under a bit of pressure. Does look like he's got some minis there to heal himself up. Nade caught out in the open. Oh dear. And that is a very free kill for Phil, and quite a lot of loot to boot as well.
Couple of shots means that Phil walks away with that elimination, but also the loot right here.
Yep.
For some players, instead of trying to get the mats themselves, an effective strategy that they like to do is farm other players. So if you are low and you do have a good loadout, that is often a strategy that you will see some people that are good at the aggression start to do.
Kays and A1 Beats going up against each other in a bit of a duel right now. Beats looks to be on the offensive. A little turtling down there from Kays as he knows that he's lost control of the high ground. Looking to get a better position. Nice pump shot in there, but an even better one out from Beats. See you later, Kays. Next game, maybe.
Building high and constantly scanning. Beats had that one so well controlled, and it just took that one peek for there. So he had the whole package.
Yep.
He had the building, he had the accuracy, and he didn't hesitate.
That's the second elimination as well for the game for Beats. So he'll be looking to grab one more for a point. Taylor and Noodle now trying to engage each other. Get a few builds, a little bit of a turtle here from Noodle, just trying to figure out what is actually going on. Does have a reasonable amount of shields to play with, so it's not the end of the world. Also quite a nice loadout for this close range battle, but the Stink Bomb is really going to force him out of position.
He has to edit and make sure that he pushes forward now, avoiding the damage over time from the Stink Bomb. He still has a lot of cover, Noodle, but he is on the ground. This is not the position you want to be. Often you have to be very, very defensive.
Well, looks like Taylor just deciding to rotate off, get out of there. He's fine and happy. Doesn't need to get that elimination. Looks like he's more so playing for the placement. Still a lot of action going on at Loot Lake. Gansho down the bottom there. Again, not a bad loadout. 6 minis as well. That's going to be nice if we do get into the late game situation for him. And it's going to be getting there that's the real question.
Yeah, but he's got his medical supplies well underway. He also does spot Hark, so he's constantly playing. He's rotating in, but he's keeping an eye on his flank. You never want that surprise.
Southern Circle here, so a lot of the players having to rotate out of Loot Lake right now are going to have a bit of a sticky situation. You can already see the majority of the players actually around Polar Peak, setting themselves in a good position. Tilted Towers, not a long rotate for all of those players either. Definitely not a bad circle for the majority of the players still alive in this game.
There's a lot of outliers, but you can see how quick they are to wanting to reposition now. Even though it is only going to be the third eye of the storm that we see coming on up, it just shows that players, apart from the aggression, they really are starting to put the value on rotating in, getting the spot that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Still waiting for any player to get a point out of this game. There's a lot still sitting on 2. We've got Colt, Urban Visual, Altro, Synergy, Jarlan, all sitting on 2 eliminations. No one yet being able to pick up at that third. Magic number 3. Gansho still under a bit of pressure right now. Slayer this time is the one putting some damage in, and Slayer we have seen being able to pick up quite a few eliminations throughout the day today. His placements haven't quite been following suit, but maybe this is the game. We're expecting to see Chiefs do well, and so far it hasn't been the case, but look, there's still this game and the next to go. There's anybody's chance to make it through to that top placing.
Slayer playing that one very, very well as well, really denying Gansho that nice rotate in. So Smile, he's late, he's going to take a little bit of damage, and worse, all the outskirt areas are already going to be taken. So that's what you want to do. You want to use that high ground advantage, bully them in, and then make sure that you yourself manage to get a good spot.
Phil starting to push on forward. Jack's another player that we've heard a lot about. But
Fallout's favorite, I'm going to champion him.
yeah, haven't seen so much yet, at least toward the end of every single game. He's been in there, he's been able to get the elimination.
Early to mid, but he just struggles in the late. He just struggles with those final couple of rotations. But from Jax, I mean, it's going to be live and learn. It's just how well he can adapt.
Oh, well, Urban Visual just picking up an elimination does
Hype
get himself
very low.
3.
Hype actually eliminated.
Unfortunate for him. I mean, look at Twiz on this big, long rotation. Seems like a pretty early rotation out from him as well. Quite ahead of the pack. That's definitely something that you want to be seeing, especially if you are a Mind Freak fan. Twiz has been performing well so far today, but yet to actually pick up the victory royale, which I think is what everyone's looking for. Phil under a little bit of pressure here, a lot of players around him. And again, we've spoken so often about how if you start to be put under pressure by one player, you can bet your bottom dollar that everyone else is going to get involved as well. Everyone wants to pick up that elimination. The Stink Bomb as well, forcing him out of position. This is not good for Phil at all.
Phil is under a lot of fire. Phil has actually been eliminated. 3 players with sights on you, and you're so incredibly low. No cover to be found. He will get eliminated. Papi now, he's reinforcing this area, spotting that there's going to be other threats that we need to contend with. There's going to be 24 seconds until the storm shrinks.
Yeah, Papi a little bit unlucky in the last game. Got a pretty poor position based on the storm. and did get taken down by the Storm actually itself toward the late stages. So looking to see him have a good performance. He's been consistently placing late, but hasn't actually been able to get to, you know, the top 4, top 5. That's where all the points are. Again, another opportunity for him. Looking at his loadout, not too bad. Not the best, but it's not too bad at all.
In terms of eliminations, Urban Visual has actually managed to get enough eliminations to get at least 1 point under his belt.
Yep.
So he's still alive. It's going to come down to now his placings.
And definitely a lot of action going on in the middle of the lake. Having a look down the scoreboard there, you guys can see who's picking up the eliminations. Kojo's definitely one that you mentioned earlier, Vandy, sitting on 2. Urban Visual, I might add, has picked up a 4th elimination. Well, he's leading the pack right now, but Sync picks up his 3rd and does trail just in 2nd place in this particular match so far. So a point for Sync at least. All important points towards the late stages now of this solos tournament. Slayer able to get another one. Big Heart goes down.
A lot of the Chiefs boys alive still, as you said. They're playing very, very well this time. I feel like the conditions for them really have started to align. We did also see for Twiz, he really values that high ground. So he went in uncontested. That's going to give him a good rotation. Hopefully he can set up with that. Papi, he's also just spotting. This is where you really want to start marking players, starting to figure out what are the next moves, starting to think ahead. Where am I going to go? Who's taking what space?
Yeah, that legendary heavy sniper rifle as well. Such a scary weapon to be going up against. You don't want to be peeking your head out of your 1x1 when there's one of those on the field, because basically you just get your head taken off and then you're out of the game.
Yeah, pretty much. So, a couple of players here just sharing the same compound. It's interesting to see as well. Contest. He's another player that we know he likes to play for placements. He started really ramping up from games 3 onwards.
Yep.
And hopefully maybe he could do it. He could maybe get a Royale. He came very, very close last game.
And Kieran not in a bad spot here. Speaking of the materials, about 1,500. I guess you might ideally want to be maybe 500 or so more, but at the end of the day, it's not terrible for him.
His
Problem
loadout is a bit terrible though.
he is in a very precarious position in terms of the map geography, down below Polar Peak. Lots of players around him, lots of players looking at him. He's really in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of players going to be taking some shots at him and putting him under pressure, so it's not an easy rotation in here for him. Hasn't picked up any eliminations in this game either, so no points for him just yet.
There's not a lot of cover. If you have a look at where the Storm is now, there's not a lot of cover. You can see already people jostling for those center positions. If you can build high, that's going to give you a great advantage just due to the terrain, due to the geography of this particular spot, but it's going to be hard to get there unless you were either already there to begin with or you managed to rotate in early.
Going to be very interesting to see where the next couple of circles do end up here, because look at all the high ground around where everybody is situated. If it starts, you know, toward the middle of the lake, heads up towards Viking perhaps, then everyone's going to have to start building up that hill.
And Taylor is actually taken out now by Papi.
Not good news for Taylor, but definitely great news for Papi as he gets himself in a 2nd elimination. Picking up some nice loot there as well.
That's
Minis,
great.
shields, exactly what you want heading into the late game.
Papi is doing very well for himself this game, and he's relatively uncontested. Now with Taylor out of his way, that just sets him up so well heading into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the rotations coming in on the map, you guys can't see it right now, but Urban Visual still very, very far away, sitting toward the Storm. Skylar seems to have gotten the heck out of there, as you can see him start to build up toward the middle part of the screen. He's actually managed to get some high ground, and I thought he was in a poor position, but in fact now, he's managed to find himself, he's managed to swindle himself into a really good spot.
Papi will have to move though. He has been playing on the outskirts, similar to Urban Visual. These guys will have to come in. Skylar as well, already staked his claim, and now just turning his attention up. If we can get some free eliminations, why not? No one else is contesting us. We've done a scan, but this is what I like to see. He's taking a couple of shots, but then still constantly scanning.
Just those roof peaks, the edit resets coming out, trying to get the transparency, trying to look on through, see what's going on. He only just rotated into this position, so doesn't really know exactly what's going on all around him, Skylar. Having a bit of an information game for the moment. As you can see, again, he keeps going with those edit resets, trying to look through the walls. Now starting to get a bit of a better gauge as to how the game is playing out in his particular position.
Glad to see that Boys has managed to make it out. He didn't have a Storm Wing to get him here, but he is still here. Corix sharing that space underneath him. So all of these players are soon going to be forced. That Storm is going to shrink, and this is where we're going to see a lot of eliminations start to happen, Jordan.
Yeah, exactly, 33 players left. Luckily for the majority, at least, it's not on the high ground. I guess if you were on the high ground, you would love to have it be up there. With a bit of a tag onto Twiz, but Skylar only seeing shields for the moment. Lots of players following on, spoiling tags up as well. We still see Jesse alive. Haven't spoken too much about him this game, but you got to remember, 3 wins from 3 in the first 3 games for him. Maybe he can make a 4th here. Bit of a hiccup in the last where Dolph did pick it up, but Jesse's still the pack leader on the standings.
You can see for Skylar, it's very, very hard if you don't have that sniper rifle assisting you, the drop-off range from this weapon. Not really assisting him as he's trying to take these shots, but Boys is here to join the party, and Boys is knocking on Skylar's door.
He doesn't have the ability to break those buildings. He doesn't have a deagle, he doesn't have an SMG, anything like that. The shotgun, not really going to be so great, nor is the heavy rifle. So I think he might need to just disengage that close-range fight. Unity did get a decent pump shot in there as well.
Bumping elbows. A lot of these players, they're sharing the same compounds, and that really comes down to how much of it is yours. As you said, are you able to break through to it? Are you going to have to waste time? It really comes down to every second is going to really count.
Look at Shy. He's got absolutely no health. Just flying on through.
Happy as you please.
And he's managed to get into a fairly reasonable spot. Needs to just bunker down. I guess he's got no shields. He's got no bandages. He doesn't have a med kit at all.
Just holding on. Jesse over here.
He's got an elimination this time.
Time and time again, this man sneaking into these final circles.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to his positioning, his rotation. Such a smart player.
It's
game sense, exactly.
Well.
He always gets in the good positions, and he always gets there
pace.
Safely as well. That's the key for me. Safely and with a lot of healing to boot. So definitely looking at Jesse in a pretty good position right now to maybe even finish up another game for himself.
Kojo's again on that high ground. Keep an eye on this man as well. He's going to use a similar strategy that he employed last time. It was very, very effective for him. So as long as he can maintain that, a lot of the players are so far beneath him. He does, however, he's going to start dipping into his medal.
Yeah, still just the 2 eliminations there for Kojo though. So he'd love to get one more to at least get a point on the board. Some more rotations starting to happen. We're in circle number 6, so things are going to start moving quicker and quicker. It looks like Jesse's in a bit of an engagement, gets tagged down to 20, but he's okay. Has a lot of bandages, unfortunately no shields, but at the end of the day, you need that health more than you need the shields.
I've noticed the loot from a lot of these players is quite lackluster this game. They have the basics, yes, but in terms of the supplies, it's really stock standard.
Well, that's a big one. Papi going down to himself. That's unfortunate. Arwen, he's actually picked up a couple of eliminations very quickly. Kojo's also found his 3rd onto Tainted
That's going to be a point. That's a point added onto Kojo. So that's what I said. Keep an eye on this man right here. He's also taking some shots onto Skylar. Storm is closing in, forcing him to reposition, maintaining that high ground though, but getting closer and closer to Twiz.
Oh, ramping up, but he's been knocked down. It's going to be okay. No fall damage for him there. Building back up straight away. Has no shields left alive.
He's slowly running out of materials.
Yeah, absolutely. 500 left. Not the end of the world just yet. Still a fair amount of build, but definitely something to consider. Still in a pretty good position here up on the high ground, but he is being contested for it. We'll see Kieran drop to Synergy as well. Everything's starting to come into effect now. Every single player really being put under pressure. 6 eliminations now for Skylar. He's really skyrocketed up the leaderboard.
Look at how close all of these players are, and it's really interesting to see a couple of players still in the middle ground, but MrFreshAsian, he's making his move.
What a pump. Exactly what he needs in that situation. Now going to get the roofs down, trying to keep control of this mid ground, this high ground. In fact, I think he might even be the highest player. A launch pad there for him as well to allow him to rotate. Maybe he goes all the way down to the low ground. Doesn't seem like there's too many players down there.
To glide it out, just buy some time, let the others fight it out.
Here's another one.
That's it, he can repeat the strategy. He spots a couple of players, but that's okay, he lands, and immediately he starts to reinforce Skylar. He's only got a shield to his name.
Now, if you can get behind Skylar, get a little bit of sneaky elimination in there, could topple Skylar, but at the moment it definitely seems like Skylar's game. X2 Twins down, that's Jesse out. Skylar also eliminated by his counterpart, Sync. And Sync is now, in fact, the player with the most eliminations left
coming
alive.
out. You've got to use them now. This is what you've been holding on to them for. That's going to be Sync out of the game. Naper, he's holding on.
5 players left.
Forced to glide.
Araki not in a bad spot down there, all the way on the low ground on his own. MrFreshAsian, a player that we've talked about a lot today, also up on the high ground. He's got a couple of rockets to his name. He's in a good spot, but trouble is, he's run out of mats, and he doesn't have any way to get down, so I think the Storm is going to be the undoing here for MrFreshAsian.
He's just hoping. He's going to just build as carefully as he can, biding his time.
He knows it's done, unless someone puts down a launch pad or something that he can land on toward the end there. But we have another different Vikkstar. Skylar getting 7 eliminations out of that one, but only finishing in 7th place, so he'll get the 3 points out of that one. Jinx is the real winner here for me, Vandy. 5 eliminations, 1st place as well. That's nice. 5 points on the board in those standings. Great stuff there for him.
Finally, it's time to see the aggression coming out. People know that it's going to be go hard or go home at this time. Jinx played extremely well, and it's very, very interesting. You think that you'd have the advantage with the high ground. No, not if you don't have a way down, not if you don't have a glider, not if you don't have the mats.
It's really unfortunate for MrFreshAsian. That kind of almost felt like his game, didn't it? He was up on that high ground. He had the rockets, he had a decent loadout as far as the weapons were concerned, but if he had a redeploy, if grapples were still in the game, he might have had a chance. If he had a rift, if he had anything. But unfortunately, that's the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes, and for MrFreshAsian...
I like that he went for it, though.
Yeah.
He saw an opportunity, he tried his best. Unfortunately, just a couple of millimeters off, but that was really the advantage that we saw, that Napier needed, that we also saw the other players really capitalized on. And it just goes to show it's still anyone's game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jinx this game, Dolph last game. Obviously, Jesse's still doing pretty well for himself. I don't know if he actually ended up finishing in the top 10 there to be able to get himself a point, and I don't think he ended up with the 3 eliminations. So maybe no points there for Jesse, maybe still sitting on that 9 points, but we're starting to see that gap close. There's one more game left. I reckon it's still catchable. I think someone can still overtake Jesse, even despite the heroics from earlier on today.
Well, it's funny that you say that because Jesse was playing for the placements, right? If you're not getting those eliminations and suddenly you get players who are doing both now, that's going to be the threat. That's going to be really where you can start to lose a lot of your points. I'm going to be very, very interested to see when the leaderboard is updated, how we've seen it shift.
I think that's really what we need to keep our eyes on now as well, headed into what is going to be the last round of this solos tournament. There is a lot to think about when it comes to that leaderboard. You know, we saw a lot of players that were in positions to potentially overtake. How this match is going to sort of factor into those kinds of things as well is a very, very big question. And now in this last game, we have to start to think about what kind of strategies those players that are maybe 3 or 4 points behind the top, what are they going to start to employ? Are they going to be hot dropping right on top of their opponents? Are they going to be going tilted, looking for those eliminations, looking for those early fights, just so that they can get the maximum possible points out of any given game? You know, if you can get 7 eliminations, if you can get that first place, you're going to be sitting yourself with 6 points, and maybe that's enough to take that 100 grand.
Well, Jordan, let's hear from the winner himself. Let's hear from Jinx and DrLupo. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Andy. What a set of plays there at the end, and the number of people that looked like they were actually out to hunt you, and everybody down at the bottom. We saw MrFreshAsian, like I said a moment ago, literally a desperation play to drop a rocket on everybody that he could from above. 5 eliminations, though, that gives you 5 points off that game. What do you think made the difference between you lasting to the end and everybody else?
I don't know. It's just really split second decision making. I just used my maths right and worked out, I guess.
Now, you mentioned a low material count towards late game. That kind of situation could be really tough to play out of. In your situation, in a competitive environment, what's kind of going through your head when you're completely out of materials and everybody else around you might still be sitting on something? How do you play against that?
Well, I just try and at least keep a little bit of mats. I can place a wall if I need to protect myself. And basically, other than that, it's just hit your shots.
It's incredible to see some of the plays that people have made, and this is definitely another standout one. 5 elims in a competitive environment is huge. You should feel really, really good about that. It's impressive to see. Now, your loadout wasn't one that was kind of standard as far. A lot of players right now are going hand cannon pump, and I didn't catch whether you ran into one or not. Did you just never see a hand cannon?
Never saw a hand cannon, so.
So the option was just a heavy AR. The SMG, a pump shotgun, and as many heals as you could carry, yeah?
Yeah, basically.
Well, things seem to play out exceptionally well for you. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your win. That's absolutely massive, man. Thank you very much. Can we get a round of applause for Jinx?
Well, congrats again to Jinx from the team Corvidae, coming out on top with a victory royale, doing so in pretty good style. MrFreshAsian getting pretty close, and of course Jesse not doing bad as well. I think maybe he scraped into the top 10. We'll have to wait and see how the scoreboard comes out a little bit later on. What are your feelings after that one?
Yeah, a great performance right there. That's 5 points. That definitely puts him on the map and an opportunity for Jinx to continue to perform. And we've seen so much of his name in games 1 through 4 at the bottom left of your screen, picking up eliminations and really making some impact plays. It's good to see him finally come out on top. He's another one of those players that put in the so close but so far category. Finally, he makes it the distance.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? If you've been so close for four or so rounds, if you get to round 5 and you're playing pretty well and all of a sudden you pull out 4 or 5 points at the end of the 5th match, you're going to be in a great position. We take a look at some of the highlights from match number 5. Everyone going to be warmed up now, I suspect, Fallout. Everyone ready to go. No more excuses, right? Everyone should be in top form.
Yeah, and speaking of warmed up, I'm loving the fact that the Chief boys did a really great job making us look smart. As we called them out, we said they really have been performing consistently. And who did you see right there in the last? You saw 2 members of Chief. You saw Skyla go huge with, I believe, 6 or 7 eliminations. I think Chief is a team that I'm excited to see the scoreboard for. Skyla in particular, I think, is really inching and clawing his way up with elimination points.
Yeah, and that's for me something interesting to see how that plays out, whether it is players who have been picked up in professional orgs, whether they get ahead across today, or whether it's going to be someone that we haven't heard of before. Right now, obviously, it's been all about the X2 twins sitting up there on top, looking pretty good as Jesse for now. But the gap is closing. At most, I think he's going to be on 10 points, and if that's the case, yeah, someone's going to be right up there.
Exactly. You see him on screen right now. That's Jinx, who just won. He has 5. We know Dolph has 4, maybe even more than that if he picked up some eliminations in games prior. But there you have it. All eyes on what we claimed as the king of Australian Fortnite. That's Jesse, one of the 2 X2 twins.
Yeah, sitting up there probably at the top of the scoreboard. We'll have to wait and see how that looks. And now we're at the end of match number 5. Only 1 match remains as well. And we've been talking about how this is an historic moment here in Australia, how this prize pool is incredible, how one of these players is going to be walking home with $100,000 at the end of today, part of that huge 400K prize pool. And now, just 1 match remains. We talked about it like it was this thing that didn't really exist at the top of the day, you know what I mean? Eventually, someone's going to go home with 100K. Now that's what's coming up next. You can't get much closer than this.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, really, at this point, you're going to have heaps of players that are desperate, that are playing because they know they need to place in the money by placing top 5. So you're going to see them playing very aggressive. This last game is going to be such an interesting one because to get into that level, to get into that threshold, you need at least 5 or 6 points. You need a first-place finish, maybe the Royale Flush with 3 and 3 in the points category. So I'm so excited. I think the Chief team can perform. I think Twiz of Mindfreak can perform. We've seen them play consistently. Can this be their breakout game? Or can Dolph, who we just saw on screen, go big again with another 4 or 5 points to his name? Will Jesse finish the way he started? Will he end up on top? So many storylines, and man, this has been awesome to see.
Yeah, and at the top of the day, of course, when we looked at this, we mentioned a lot of names, right? But because this is the first truly big event for Fortnite here in Australia, you couldn't really put names to faces before, right? They were just people in a digital world. These are real people playing for real money in a real building, Margaret Court Arena, one of the biggest venues here in Australia, as part of the Australian Open. It's so great for me to finally be able to truly tell this story for all the people competing today.
Yeah, that's a great point. And not only that, but the opportunity that we have, we've been talking about it often, for these players to finally put their name on the map from a global scale. I know Tfue, Chap, a lot of the players back in North America are streaming this right now, putting these people on display and able to kind of offer their commentary over the gameplay as well. I'm really excited to see, will these players continue and move on to become household names in the history of Fortnite? Will they show up in World Cup this year?
Will they be back next time here we have an event in Australia, or will they not because all of a sudden they're playing overseas for someone else? They've been picked up by an overseas org making the big bucks, who knows? Maybe they want to start streaming like some of the influencers we've seen as well.
I'm just going to say the X2 twins, that whole thing they got going on with the dual stream and switching back and forth, that's a pretty special thing. So I think big time org owners out there are watching. I think it's
well, that's what happened, right? They got picked up by one org.
Renegades.
Then
Actually,
they
already own Renegades.
Well, no, they got picked up by one org, then they got picked up by the Renegades a week later. So you can see it's all up for those 2 boys.
Yeah, that's for sure. And big shout out to the Renegades. I know the GM and the person that kind of has assembled this Australian dream team in Hershicles, in MrFreshAsian, and in the X2 twins. Awesome to see them supporting the Australian scene over from the States, actually, as an American-based organization. Amazing to see Australian Fortnite really being put on the map. And like I said, this is just the beginning. There are so many players in the CPL that are under 16 looking to compete this year. Maybe they turn 16 years old. So many players here today that maybe have a future ahead of themselves as well. The opportunity in front of these players is unparalleled, and really the best players are the ones going to rise to the occasion this year.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's all about how you deal with the pressure, how you prepare, perhaps how the meta changes as well. Now, Fallout, you're going to be heading back across to the caster desk in just a moment to talk us through match number 6. But before we do that, we have one more video to take a look at. It's about some of the influencers we might be seeing a little bit later on in the Pro-Am. Let's go take a look at that.
I'm here to be very nervous, to hide a lot, go to unnamed locations. Hey guys, I'm Loserfruit. I'm here to be scared and hide in the shadows.
I'm Lachlan, and I'm here to dominate the Fortnite Summer Smash. I'm trying to be realistic.
G'day, g'day, I'm Laser. I'm intending to get absolutely deleted and die very early and then go home.
Well, we just took a look at some of the influencers who'll be playing a little bit later on in our Pro-Am. That's coming up next after our big match number 6. Talking about big influencers, I've got the real DrLupo.
That's
the
me.
2 coolest Bens in the world right up here on stage right now.
Literally, there are no cooler Bens anywhere on the planet. I checked. I Googled it. This is it right here.
I think third place was the kid who came down and made a sign about how Bens are cool. I
Yes.
think he's here today as well. So
It was a
top
distant
3.
third, though.
Yeah,
Distant third.
yeah. But we're trying hard one day. How you been enjoying it so far? Been some pretty sick games, some surprising results.
It's been absolutely amazing. There's been some strategy here that we have not seen on the NA side. Just players taking engagements in ways that I didn't really anticipate. Specifically, again, Parpy comes to mind, who's taking shots at people floating in from above. More often, I think, than I've seen anybody do. And it's because of the situational awareness that some of these players have. He knew full well that nobody was going to challenge him, the opportunity to take some shots straight up and do as much damage as possible. I love seeing that. That kind of aggressive, that aggressive gameplay is good. It's a good, healthy environment. You know, people like to see it. I think everybody here has enjoyed the gameplay thus far, and we got 1 game left, man.
Yeah. As I said before, it kind of at the start of the day, we were talking about all this stuff that's happening in the future. We've got 6 matches today. It's part of the solos. 100K up for grabs first. And now, there's just 1 match left. And at the end of this match, we are going to be giving out 400,000 dollary dues.
Dollary dues, indeed, my friend. $100,000 dues for 1 person, too. That's life-changing money.
Yeah.
And I think people will realize how big that is as this game starts to play out, too, because we're going to be in the position where, based on the leaderboard, you're going to see people make gameplay decisions, strategy changes, because there's an opportunity for them to win quite a bit of money here.
Yeah, that's it, right? The day starts to change. You get a better understanding of how everyone else is playing, how you need to play, what you need to do to be in the big bucks. So we've seen Jesse play what I would say is an interesting style, clearly a very smart style of Fortnite today. Do you think it's going to work out for him?
I mean, the scoring system is such that his strategy obviously pays off. 3 first places in a row. I don't think we've seen a three-peat in a major event like this ever. And setting the stage like that, starting literally the first half of the day with 3 wins straight, is huge. 9 points to his name, but that doesn't mean he's not unbeatable. We have multiple players that have got to be within striking distance. Imagine a 6-point game from even just one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen Keith put up an excellent show, and he's been playing a little more aggressive than we've seen a number of other players. He had multiple high elim games. We saw even last game, 5 eliminations in a victory royale, 5 points on the board right there.
Very nice, yeah.
Jinx did an excellent job staying alive. MrFreshAsian, I mean, he's been waiting maybe until the last minute here to strike.
Look, he's been waiting a while, but been getting ever slowly better across the day. And I feel maybe if we had 10 matches instead of 6, if we're here all night, I think he would be warmed up. If he had another day, I think he'd be in fine form. But unfortunately, today doesn't seem to have been his day.
I'm going to be rather frustrated, actually, if these first 6 matches end up being a warm-up for when he's in the Pro-Am, because I would very much like to montage him. Please do not get any better than you already have. Just do me that favor. But it's going to be interesting to see how he plays in the final game. And all of these players play in the final game because literally anybody can still place. The distance from the top to the bottom of the board is not that big. Anybody can come from behind. You could have a 0-point player right now fly to the top of the board. And even if they don't, $1,000 in everybody's pockets right now, that's some money, man.
Yeah, look, I would definitely take it any day of the week. I've said that a number of times because I do love my dollary dues, and I'm very jealous of all of our good Fortnite players down here competing in MCA right now. I think you say it, look, when we know that Jesse is sitting on 9 or 10 points and that there's kind of a limit to how many points he can get in a game, whilst everyone else, I feel, has been catching up. If you pick up 4 or 5 points, you do that once, you have a couple of other average games that still score for you. you're going to be very close to his tail right now. Potentially, there could even be someone on top of him.
It's true. Now, the curious thing that we might see play out is at this point, depending on, he's probably still holding the top of the leaderboard. I'm not 100% sure, but whether he is or isn't, people might go specifically for his drop at this point just to play off of that, especially someone that's within striking distance of taking first place, just to try and dethrone him.
Well, that's it, right? It's not necessarily about you winning. It's about defeating perhaps someone else who is just slightly ahead of you right now. But we do now have our scoreboard updated. Let's go and take a look at our standings, guys and girls. Up there on 10 points still. He did manage to come in the top 10 in game number 5. That's going to net him 1 point total. That pushes 9 across to 10.
Now we do have a big point tie for 4th place there. Now those are obviously the tiebreakers that are at play there, but multiple players sitting on 5 points. Naper and Araki at 8 apiece, and the spread from top to first to 20, like I said, it's still close. Even those that have 3 points can land at 9 if they drop a 6-point game next game. They got 1 left. The only people then that Jesse has to worry about taking him off the top there is 12th place and higher. Yep. Nobody else can get ahead of him, and that's pretty substantial. That means a guaranteed top 12 finish at this point.
He's already sitting in the good money, that is for sure. But the great money, of course, is right up there at the top. A lot of players still sitting on, 1 or 2 points. They've had a bit of a reasonable day so far. They're going to be looking to try and secure themselves top 20. Top 20 is where the money doubles. We go from $1,000 to $2,000 as well. So as you start getting closer, jumps up to 5K, jumps up to 10K. There's a bit to work with there. For any of these players, again, that is money that you would see perhaps in 1st or 2nd place for a lot of other competitive gaming events. So if you can come 5th and pick up a bucket of cash, you'll take it.
I think it speaks volumes to what Fortnite has done for the competitive gaming scene as a whole, whether you're in North America, or down here, down under, as they say, or over in Europe. Just the mark that it has made on the gaming scene has been absolutely massive. We have actually millions of dollars over the course of the last 12 months go out to tons of different players. We saw multiple events from Epic in the past. It's been an absolute blast to see the game grow and change, and this is literally the next step right here in Australia, and it's been wonderful to be alongside all you guys. This has been an absolute blast.
Thank you. It's been great to have you here, and well, DrLupo, the time is now. This is match number 6 here at the Fortnite Summer Smash. By the end of this match, one lucky Aussie is going to be $100,000 richer. Fallout, let's take it away.
Thank you so much, mate. And yep, we are back here at the caster's desk for game number 6. For all the bread, for all the marbles, no matter how you put it, it's an honor to be here next to you, Elfish, to be bringing it home.
Yeah, likewise, mate. It is going to be a fantastic game. It's been a fantastic day so far, and I cannot wait to see who's going to take away that 1st place prize. Obviously, there's a lot of money up for grabs, not only 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, all of them going to get in the mix, but there's quite a number of players that we saw there on the standings that are within striking distance. Obviously, right now we know it's Jesse that is sitting up there on the 10 points, but you got Napa, you got Araki sitting there on 8. Not too far away. I think someone could definitely sneak in the 11th hour and steal away that 1st place.
Man, what a story would that be? It's going to be an unbelievable finish to what has been an amazing event so far, a historic event so far. We've said it so many times, but it is so true. The largest prize pool in a competitive gaming history for Australia, and really, someone is going to be walking out with 100K. Will it be Jesse? Will he return to the consistency that we saw with him so many times in games 1 through 3? We haven't really seen much of him here. He made it to top 10, top 15. I believe he was like 7th or 8th place in that last game. Can he do it one more time to secure the win, or will there be a rising star?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we really need to look at for Jesse in particular is, can he get 1 or 2 points here? Maybe he doesn't even need a victory royale. Maybe he just needs to get those couple of points, because by and large, we've seen maybe 3 points be the best that you're going to get out of any single game. If he can get 3 points above the rest, maybe that's enough.
That's all he needs. We'll see if he can do it or will. Jinx, who we saw perform and currently sitting in 4th place, can he do it again? Can he get another 1st place finish to leapfrog Jesse? All he needs is 3 points to do it. It's going to be a tough thing to do. Easier said than done, that's for sure. But let's kick this one off. Game number 6 here in the Australian Open. Fortnite Summer Smash. It's been an amazing event so far. Tilted Towers, we said it's going to be more busy. And man, look at this drop here at Tilted.
We are certainly seeing a bit of a meta develop now in the late stages of this tournament. In the 6th round, in the final game, everyone wants to jump Tilted. Everyone wants to get some points on the board just to try and elevate themselves as high up those standings as possible. So initially, when we looked at Tilted in the first game, there might have been maybe 1 or 2 players there. Now there's like 6 or 7.
That's for sure. You see Soda over by the red-blue building. You see Prex down by the pawn shop. 2 people in U apartments. That's Samuel and Serpent. A little bit of alliteration there. We'll see who the battle of the S is, who will come out on top. And I think there's probably in total 7, 8 people in Tilted Towers playing for eliminations, playing aggressive. You see iPod Clutch picks up 1. Fights ensuing right now. That's going to be a ramp build. Oh, and a nice headshot's going to be connected by Samuel. He is going to come out on top. What a play from him.
That is absolutely massive as we jump back down onto Jesse. He's being pressured out as well. Does have some pots, some minis there to get himself some shield, which is always going to be nice. But as we said, are people going to start dropping on him? Are they going to try and take him out of the game early? Maybe it's better to be coming from behind than be leading from the front. At least that way, you don't have a target on your back.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you see Care over there dropping in the same spot as Jesse. I don't know if he's been dropping there consistently or if he's not even in the running and is just trying to really put some cloud on Jesse's run so far. I think he actually just may have gotten taken out right there. So Jesse will be able to loot up and get some materials over in Whaling. The same strategy again. Meanwhile, Soda drops low ground, connects against Prex. It's good shots right there, but not able to pick up the limb just yet.
No damage onto the health bars just yet either. Both of them okay. A few shots in that pump shotgun. That's exactly what you want in an early fight situation, no matter what color it is. A lot of damage out.
He's going to want that one back, though. Had an opportunity to connect for a headshot. Instead, he's going to get taken out. Turned on was first. Yeah. What a play from Prex, and he's going to do some smooth moves here to make sure he knows that he just got away with so much.
Got to love a little bit of that banter. I think I've got to put this in context for some of our international viewers. Australians, they love a bit of a joke, they love a bit of a banter, they like to have a go at each other, and that's exactly what we're seeing here at the Fortnite Summer Smash.
Is that why we saw contests with 3 people left dancing instead of rotating?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That makes sense. I love you contests. Way to put on a show, my friend. It's been awesome to see, and definitely not shy by any means. A lot of these players here today. MrFreshAsian, what a performance he had last game. 3rd place, got a point or 2. Let's see if he can do it here. He needs to have a huge game as well. 1-on-1, still dropping Retail Row, his home in his native land.
Just get out of there with the launch pad.
Interesting. Wait, using that launch pad early, where I think he could have saved that for a later game. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit at least right now for him is that they did increase the drop rate for the launch pads quite recently. So you're seeing quite a few more of them. Maybe he's got 2 or 3 more left in the back pocket.
Yep, that's a good point. Meanwhile, Vince and Iraqi, 2 players you want to keep an eye out for, both with 1 elimination. iPod Clutch, one of the Heat winners yesterday, has 2, so he's a point away, or elimination away from getting a point. Big fight turning out here. Vakken going up against his opponent. Nice 90s going to be connected there. He's going to have high ground. It looks like he's going to lose high ground. As soon as I say that, he backs out and resets here and doesn't like the fight that he had. Way to reset the fight.
Yeah, I think that's very smart from him. He was actually the one that engaged the fight initially, but he recognized that it was a losing battle, that he didn't have the high ground, that he had the poor position. Backs away, farms up some more mats. Still being pressured, though, right now by Desire, and he's actually in a really poor spot. I think he ran out of mats.
I think he did. That's why he actually disengaged that fight. He needed to rotate to get some mats and really was put in a pretty bad spot there. I got to say on the flip side, though, great job by Desire to capitalize and to stay hungry, to stay aggressive, and to really capitalize on the opportunity he had to pick up an limb there. Nice job and well played from Desire.
Yeah, more fights going on around the map. Urban Visual starting to get involved right now. Keep an eye on this one. Prex toward the top of the standings right now. 2 eliminations. Priesty will pick himself up 1. Urban Visual goes down.
Priesty. That's one thing I know a lot of Australians add Y's to the end of their name.
Yeah.
I think that's a well-known thing. Meanwhile,
take the L.
Priesty hears his name. He knows he's on stream, and he's going to have some fun.
That is my all-time favorite emote, by the way. You know, everyone loves Take the L, but I love Take the Elf for the namesake.
You got to do it. My man, shout out to my man, Elfish guy right here. It's been a pleasure watching you cast all weekend long. Here we go. MrFreshAsian's now in a fight.
Boombox.
And that is a boombox place. You're right. Looks like it's actually advantageous for MrFreshAsian here as he's in a pretty good position, holding right-hand advantage, which is his ability to use the overhead camera to his advantage. And he's going to pick up a nice shot on Clutch there, and he gets the headshot. Well played, and you hear the crowd react after that one.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a fan favorite in MrFreshAsian. We're going to get to see him a little bit later as well in those pro-ams, so definitely more to cheer about grab up a bit of that loot. Not sure exactly what his loadout is, but I think he might have picked up a blue pump there, which is always going to be nice. Desire, we've already seen pick up an elimination now, starting to get involved in perhaps an engagement with MrFreshAsian. Definitely a bloodthirsty game, this one. Very aggressive out from all the players. And Jinx, getting rid of Skylar.
That's big. Yeah, Skylar was actually in the top 12, I believe, at 11th place.
Exactly, but Jinx in particular is one of those players that we really need to look at. He's sitting at 5 points right now, still in striking distance of Jesse. So if he can get, 7 elims, get a second place, third place, he might be in there.
And look at this pressure. Desire, again, is putting the pressure on MrFreshAsian. I'm not sure if he hears the med kit popping, but he's continuously putting pressure, not allowing the med kit to go off here. Desire trying to do it again. Will MrFreshAsian get it off? Yes, he will. We are resetting here in this fight. Desire versus MrFreshAsian looks like he's going to back out and reset. So, like you said, all eyes on Jinx. You see Price AK, who's had some consistent performances, but not a breakout game yet. He picks up one as well.
Yeah, I just want to point out, Prex has managed to hit that 3 elimination mark, leading this game so far. Has got himself a point on the board. Was nice. Coco bunkered down right now. He knows there's a player above him. Definitely a bit of a scary situation by the looks of things.
For sure. The player we haven't seen yet is X2 twin Jesse. We'll see where he is and what position he is in a moment, as he needs a performance here. Needs another consistent top 3 finish to secure his victory and his $100,000. His brother Jordan is watching right now anxiously, rooting on his brother. And man, I'm excited to watch that duo.
I wonder if they're going to share, man. I don't know.
No, right? Hey, bud, here, you take some too.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of one and the same.
They are
synonymous, really, when it comes to Fortnite as a community. But I don't know. I think I'd be taking that full 100K myself. I'm a bit of a selfish guy, as they say.
One stream, one YouTube channel, and man, it is great content. Like I said, they go back and forth between their perspectives. It is some of the best. I had actually watched a bunch of their YouTube videos.
I love it.
Prepping for this, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh,
here we go.
A lot of damage going down onto, I think it was Zero.
He takes out Sync. That's huge. Chief Sync was also in the top 9.
Here comes the Stink Bomb. That's going to have forced Zero out.
Man, he got it.
And doesn't actually get the heal off in time. Nice stuff for Kieran. His first elimination of the game. Shield there for him as well. Does he pick up the heavy sniper? Yes, he does. I'm not much of a fan of the heavy sniper, to be honest. I can't aim it very well. Give me the hit scan, and I'm a god.
Yeah, you prefer those days. And honestly, now,
no, not for me.
That every other sniper has the same trajectory as the heavy sniper now, which is great. I loved that heavy sniper trajectory, and shout out to Epic for making every other sniper kind of aligned to that. You see a lot more sniper plays, that's for sure. I think that helps speed things up as well. It's fun to watch in competitive play with such high skill players.
Yeah, having a look on the scoreboard, just touching up on some of the players with the mats and all that jazz.
Yeah.
A few players sitting around 2,000.
That's a great point. One player we see right now at the bottom left is Jalen. That's a player I've been a fan of just by his aggression. And so, games 1 through 3, we saw him make so much noise, taking out some top players. I'm excited to see if Jalen can pop off here in game number 6. All eyes on him.
Oh, he's going aggressive again.
Look at the aggression here. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
and here we go, a pure build battle. This looks like a playground one-on-one here, and ultimately it is going to be Glorious Mop who had the upper hand on him. But look at the aggression from Jalen. He had, literally, he was below the natural high ground and still pushed with the launch pad.
That's exactly what you want to see, some aggression, some fighting, some fun. Glorious Mop. Still not 100% sure exactly where Jalen is. Both of these players taking it slow now after the initial aggression.
And that's going to be a rift to go, and actually it's going to be a follow from Glorious Mop here. He's hunting. Meanwhile, X2 twins, that's Jesse. Let's see if he can do it. We know he's a fan favorite in the crowd here. Let's see if he can perform in game number 6 to close this one out. He's been sitting in first place the entirety of this tournament. Can he finish where he started?
Around 1,500 mats for him, so not too bad heading into the late game. Spots a player in front of him, so this will slow things down a little bit for Jesse. Just to farm up a little bit more. He probably doesn't want to take this engagement, knowing how his playstyle has been throughout these matches so far.
Great point.
That said, though,
notice it's a small thing, but notice how he didn't finish that tree right there. I know that's an obvious thing. We all do it, but him in that situation actually allows him to stay in that 1-by-1 and stay sneaky. Meanwhile, big fight going down. A1 beats.
Yeah, in the storm as well. They don't want to be hanging around here too long. Beats with the dualies, but running out of ammo on those. So has to swap over the tac shotgun. Not an entirely amazing loadout for him. Definitely struggling.
Spoiling, who's one of the Heat winners yesterday, had a good start as well against Jalen. Once again, Jalen is just pushing everything he sees. I love this aggression. I love the fact that he plays on LAN the same way he plays online at home. No difference for Jalen, and I've really respected his gameplay throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. He wants to get those elims, wants to get as high up in the standings as possible. Still trying to push in on here to try and spoil his day, spoil his game.
He's going to make it in. He makes all the traps. Going to go down. No, that's one way to end. I think I heard a trap pop off. Unless I'm hearing things here. What a fight this is right now.
as I believe he doesn't have ownership and build control. Trap goes off again, and some way, somehow, Jalen's able to survive there.
Big pump out there from Spoiling. Does take the shields off. Now he knows that it's just Flash. Spoiling winning the fight, and Jalen goes down.
Perhaps his over-aggression cost him there. Again, I respect it.
Yeah, I respect it. Shy starting to get involved now as well. The action never stops.
Good job by Spoiling. Pretty rough position to be in with Jalen just W-keying you. He manages to come out on top in that fight. Of course, Shy was third-partying in that situation, trying to come out on top as well. Meanwhile, pretty slow situation here over by one of the biggest mountains in the game. You see Johnny Lingo just posting up in a 1-by-1.
Yeah. Circle starting to shrink into Dusty Divot. And that's not bad for, in particular, Jesse. Remember, that's where he's been dropping all day. You can still see him sitting down there right in toward the middle of Dusty Divot, farming up some wood. He's going to be in a good position later on in the game.
Meanwhile, Jinx, key player to keep an eye out for as well in a 1-versus-1. Again, another playground 1v1 style fight as Jinx currently with 1 elimination. He is in 4th place. Needs to pick up at least 1 or 2 of these limbs. And look what he has out. That's dynamite to his name. He can really cause a commotion here if he so decides to choose so. Drops 1 and gets ready for the aftermath. That's going to be a couple shots on Johnny Lingo. Ooh, but not able to connect.
Yeah, the build coming up quite quickly. Jinx still wants to continue the aggression, pushing in forward, looking for the high ground. At the moment, probably going to have to reset, slow things down. He knows that he's lost that build battle for now. And Johnny Lingo just wants to get the heck out. No interest in taking a fight there. What I want to see is, how's Napa and Iraqi going? Because those are the two that are really chasing Jesse right now. They're sitting at 8 points, Jesse at 10. Definitely within striking distance. We haven't seen much from them throughout this game. I wonder if they've already been eliminated, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great point. Those are 2 players we haven't been talking about a whole bunch either, and they've really snuck into that top 3, top 5. That's something that happens often in broadcasts, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. Meanwhile, you see Jesse ghost riding the whip right here with the Stormtrooper. See what he can do. Smart decision here.
This is his ideal strategy. This is what he really loves to do. Get into that Stormwing, play it out, play the circle out. Ensure he's in there for the late game, for those placement points. Well, only halfway there. 51 players still alive.
Yep, I just realized I said Stormtrooper. I meant Stormwing. My apologies there.
Happens to the best of us.
Indeed, nice job at so Jesse. He manages to get a hold of a Stormwing, which this is actually how he won game number 1. Mid-game, grabbed a Stormwing, was able to hold on to that long enough to make it to late game, and then use his mats and his advantage to secure a first place heal-off finish. Can he do it again here? Jax right now in a tough spot.
Yeah, just turtled up. MrFreshAsian finding his 3rd elimination. Actually, no, that I should say is his 4th elimination now. He really seems to have picked up towards the, games 5 and 6, 4, 5, and 6, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to catch the top.
Still, 48 people left in this one, going on to the 4th circle now. Spoiling still alive.
Iraqi. I see Iraqi.
Yep.
Still in.
3 players we've been keeping a close eye on in this one. Jordy, one of the better and more fun entertainers in Australia. Funner, I said. In Australian competitive Fortnite. Looking forward to seeing what Jordy can do. Been a lot of fun to watch his streams and watch him play.
Yeah, he hasn't been having a terrible day. Actually came 2nd in the first heat, if you remember, but still needs to get it work done here in the 6th game. Obviously not really within striking distance of the first place, but there's a big difference between even 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
That's for sure. Chiefs Parpy still alive as well on your screen. So you point these players out because you really got to keep a close eye on these ones that, again, are on the threshold and could burst into a top 5 finish and the prize pool finish as well. See here over towards, I believe this is Dusty. Tough situation to be in mid-game because you really are in a divot, a true divot. It's hard to break out of that with a lot of the natural high ground above you. So really important to have an early rotation. That's why we saw Jesse, the X2 twin, rotate early, which he does so well.
Well, MrFreshAsian will jump on board with him once again. Still finding himself in sticky situations, always in this game in particular. Going up against someone, it's netted him 4 eliminations already. Seems to be doing pretty well for himself. Does have a pretty nice loadout.
Yep. Just trying to dig his way out of this 1-by-1. Not in a good situation. They manages to do so. Sneaky here for MrFreshAsian as he avoids Doom from Shy. Over towards Shifty Shafts now. Trap is placed. Is he going to connect? No, not just yet. Good job by MrFreshAsian again, avoiding danger. That's the 3rd trap he's avoided this game.
Really playing quite passively in this one, MrFreshAsian. He doesn't seem to want to take this fight. Shy. We can see does have a bit of an advantage in terms of the health pool. 100-100, so sitting pretty. Jinx with another elimination. Always important to keep an eye on.
That's his second, by the way.
That's his second, yep.
Keep a close eye on that. Every point matters. X2 Twin in the Stormwing, still alive. Great use of the Stormwing to force his hand in getting to late game, which he does so incredibly well.
Well, here we start to see some of the bigger rotations, some of the more important rotations as we get later and later into the game. And the Storm's starting to shrink. Everyone's getting pushed together. Not too much high ground in the middle.
I see Mind Freak's very own Vince still alive. We know Twiz got taken out earlier. More players to keep an eye on here. There's a couple fights ensuing on the rotation. This is your chance to really get some picks. One thing I've noticed about the Australian scene, not afraid to take shots on people as they're rotating.
Yep.
And really, really aggressive, more aggressive with those Stormwings, shooting down those Stormwings as well. It's really a breath of fresh air to see how aggressive some of these Australian players are in the mid-game.
Hey, who knows if that player that you're shooting at has only got 1 HP. Hold that pawn for a second, MrFreshAsian. He's down. Shy's finally found his mark. It took a lot of hunting, it took a lot of chasing, but inevitably, MrFreshAsian now knocked out on our 6th round.
And hat goes off to him. What a performance. He's put on a show yesterday and today, day in and day out. 4 eliminations right there. He was consistently getting high eliminations. Honestly, he might be one of the more high elimination players in this series. So again, my hat goes off and a major kudos to MrFreshAsian for a great performance this tournament. And we still get more to see of him. He's gonna be in the Pro-Am in just a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse just chilling right now in the Stormwing. Lots of mats to his name as well. So this game, as far as he's concerned, is going perfectly. Everyone just eliminating each other. And he's chilling like a villain. But really, I think at this point, as far as the Australian Fortnite scene is concerned, he's more of a hero than anything else.
Agreed. Talk about the exposure that he brings, a fan favorite for sure, and really all of his content really is competitive. You see him only playing in scrim lobbies and CPL matches, and all of his YouTube content is exactly that. So really bringing a lot of light to the competitive Fortnite scene, which is great. Meanwhile, Chiefs Parpy takes out Rubsy. Dongers gets taken out by Noodle, which is probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever said in this sentence.
Yeah, someone's going to have to clip that.
Please don't, or please do.
38 players left alive here in game number 6. Again, we're...
Look at Rocky there, too.
Yeah. Still alive. I don't think I've seen Napper in a while. Maybe he's gone already. Fortunate perhaps for him, but maybe still in the running for some big money toward the end of today. For now, just waiting for that Storm to start surging, to start moving. That's where push comes to shove. That's where we're going to see the winners from the losers being separated.
Here you see.
Oh, Barn just getting knocked off his little perch there. Rotation going to be quite difficult for him. Tommy being put under pressure by the Storm and also by Parpy. Here should be a free kill for Parpy, but he's landing absolutely nothing. Inevitably, Tommy will go down. Parpy gets spoiling, though. That's a pretty good pickup.
Oh, and hits another shot with the hand cannon as well. Parpy with some brilliant long-range play right there. Good accuracy from him. Let's see if Chief's very own Parpy can go big here. He has 2 eliminations, 1 more for a point from him. But he's going to need more than that. He needs a Royale flush. First place and 7 eliminations.
7 or more would be great at this point for any of these players. I think Taylor still...
Oh, the X-Twin lost his Stormwing, I believe.
Yeah, he did. He's down on the ground. See him, well, not on the ground. Not yet, anyway. Just turtling up. And this is exactly how we've seen him play time and time again. Getting ahead of everyone else, right next to that Storm, hugging it, turtling, and finding that best position. I don't know, this is looking a bit scary for everyone.
And I think if any player benefited from rotating circles, that change that was made in the middle of Season 4, I believe, it really was Jesse and his brother Jordan. They're so smart at those rotating circles, and in the late game, they really capitalize. Meanwhile, Jax picks up 1. It's been a pleasure watching him so far. And we're on board. All eyes on Jesse, putting some shots in already. He's going to continue the early rotation, the first one to do it. But he's going to get tagged up quite significantly from the back there.
Yeah, looks to just build around himself. Still got a few bandages there to play with as well, so he's okay for now. If we get into a heal battle, absolute chaos going on in this final circle. So many players left alive, 29.
And look at this, Jax trying to regain high ground, but he's gonna get spotted out there. Nice job recognizing that he's in a pretty bad spot. He's rotating through. And I love the mid-game, or the mid-game meta play here. Everyone's fighting for mid-ground, and Iraqi picks up 1 as well.
Yeah, still alive, finding another elimination. Looking to take that 100K at the 11th hour away from Jesse at the moment, who is currently leading. Keith, 11 HP for him, does have a couple of minis at least. Jordy getting taken down. Kieran also falling. But Iraqi, the one I think that we need to keep an eye on. Iraqi and Jesse, it's the race to the finish. It's the race right now to the 100K.
And it all comes down to this. Iraqi trying to stay on top here. Goes to Keith, not much HP to his name, but still playing with such aggression against Jax, who has full HP and full shield.
Cool Kid Casper currently has high ground as well. Jax takes out Arwen. And Jax still alive and making moves. Big play for Jax. Needs to stay alive right now. He's going to get another one. Jax connects with a shotgun shot. He is out of mats, though. He is using the branch of the tree to stay alive.
No way.
Some way, somehow, Jax is still in this one. Araki takes out another one. It is going to be an epic finish here in game number 6 of the Fortnite Summer Smash at the 2019 Australian Open. It comes down to this.
Jax on the low ground, being contested right now, but should be able to pick up this elimination. He's going up against someone with very low HP in the end. That is going to be... Jax actually drops as well. Shy gets them absolutely nuts here. I wasn't thinking he was going to get contested for that low ground, but a few players dropping down. And there you go.
Look at this. It all comes down to materials. Jesse only has 30 mats to his name.
He's got another elimination.
On shot to this. Jesse, the X-Twin. All eyes on him.
He's got no mats. Poppy's down now, but X2 Twins, they're on the ground.
This is not the situation Jesse likes to be in. He's going to put some shots in on the mid-ground, but not many bandages to his name. Jesse, with 5 people left, needs to try
Where's the
to stay alive. Oh! It's going to be...
Oh! Almost it was Jesse, but it's going to be the Snake. The Snake. Araki, okay, let's break this down. 3rd place for Araki. He gets 2 points off that. He gets 6 eliminations, 2 points off that, so that's 4. Jesse, he came 2nd, I think. Yes, he did. Just confirming. 2nd with 3 elims.
So he gets 3 points.
He gets 3 points.
Araki had 6 elims. He was 1 away from the 7th threshold.
I think it's tied right now. Jesse and Araki on 11 points each.
Jesse just picked up 3 points.
Oh, 3. Okay,
yep.
So he's got 13. Never mind
13. You got to think.
Never do maths on stream.
You got to think that Jesse's in a good spot to close this one out.
Yeah.
I see everyone in the audience on the edge of their seats right here as it was the Snake who's cheesing right now with a huge performance. I mean, that might put him in the running as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
First place finish, that's 3 points for him. He came out of nowhere. We were talking about Araki, we were talking about Jesse the entirety of that match. And really, it's going to come down to the wire here. The top 3, top 5 finish, I have no idea where 2 through 5 are really going to end up.
I don't really want to make too much of a comment because it really does come down to those intricacies, those extra eliminations. I'm not seeing the Snake up on the top eliminations for that last round, though. So I think he's probably quite safely obviously got those 3 points off the Victory Royale, but past that, how many more he's going to be able to get, a little bit of a question mark. We'll have to see.
Look at this guy. He's not a controller, by the way.
You love the controller.
Man, Jake the Snake here.
I was watching you play a little bit. I don't know how you would have gone in these matches, but I probably wouldn't write home to mom about it.
All right?
Yeah.
But that's a great performance right there. So you're right. We can't speculate on points. We can really only let the standings and the admin team calculate that. But what we can talk about is what a performance. Let's break that down as it was an unbelievable showing throughout the entirety of that late game finish. Once again, it is Jesse, the X2 twin, who gets 2nd place in that one. And really, when it comes down to him securing his own dynasty, his own fate, he comes out on top.
What I really like about watching Jesse, I think, is the consistency that he's able to offer here in the Australian scene. You know, you're not seeing the same players time and time again. The top 10 is always a bit of a mix, but in particular for Jesse, he seems to always be in there. He seems to always be putting himself in a position to win the round. Whether he wins it or not, obviously that comes down to the clutch, but when you're in there time and time again, inevitably, once or twice, you're going to pick up a Victory Royale, and that's really what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a great point. And how about Araki? 6 eliminations. I mean, he goes big in the elim category, also places 3rd. So when it matters the most for him, I got to pay a lot of respect to Araki, who's putting his name on the board from a global perspective on Fortnite right now as he performs in a huge way as well. That's a player we have not given enough credit and talk about. His performance has been consistent throughout all 6 of these games. I'm excited to see where he finishes.
Super important for all of these players as well to put their name up in lights in this particular event, because like I said earlier on this broadcast, we don't get events like this often in Australia. And for all of the Fortnite community, and not just the community in Fortnite, but all of the gaming community in Australia, I think this is such a massive deal. And hopefully for these guys in particular, you know, the likes of Jesse, the likes of Araki, the ones that are sitting toward the top of the scoreboard and really putting in that effort and the performances, that's going to elevate them maybe over to some international events, get their name up in lights, and maybe we'll see them further afield.
Yeah, and you got to be happy. Your heart absolutely lights up for players like this. You see the Snake here with a great Game 6 performance. You see Araki go big and put his name on the map as well. But what was so interesting about that end game was it came down to materials, Jordan. It came down to the fact, almost foreshadowing, earlier we were really giving praise to X2 twin Jesse for his ability to farm early, get materials, but he had no materials that really cost him.
Well, I think a lot of people were contesting Jesse in that game, so his early game farming might have been disrupted a little bit. He got up to around 1,500 mats, but normally when we get into into those late game situations, he was sitting around 2,000 plus. So he was maybe a little bit lower than what he would have liked to have been as a result of players dropping on top of him, trying to take some fights, and might have turned his game off a little bit. But I mean, still, you get third place and you're sitting on the top of the leaderboard, you're not going to be complaining about that at all.
Yeah, well, we can speculate, we can analyze all we want, but let's hear it straight from the source. We got Vandy with the Snake.
So I'm here with the Snake, who managed to snake his way into a Victory Royale. How are you feeling?
Freaking out. Freaking out. I don't know what to do. It's just kind of unreal.
I mean, the whole crowd was getting behind you. What was your game plan heading into that? Did you think that you were going to be in this final sort of heel-off?
I was planning on it. I didn't really go for many kills the whole game. And then I just ended up getting the high ground at the end. And then just tried to stay up there. And then just, lucky enough, everyone died from the storm and I got the win.
All right, well, how long have you been playing Fortnite for?
Since it came out, pretty much. A couple of my mates were playing before, and I used to play Call of Duty. And I looked at it, I thought, nah, third person, can't really do that. And then I started playing it and then just got hooked, and now I'm addicted and I'm here.
And you've got a Victory Royale under your belt. That's an impressive feat. How has the competition been?
Oh, tough. PC players are crazy, but they're sleeping on us console players, and we're going to take over.
And there you have it. That was the Snake who's managed to win this one. We're going to throw it back to you guys up there.
Thanks, Vandy. It's great to see a console player come out and control the player.
Control the squad, dude.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
show some of the PC players what it's all about. Pretty impressive result, picking up a victory royale there at the end. For me, it was interesting to see Jesse O so close, but not close enough just there.
He tried to push his game as much as he could, but a number of players, it was impressive to see people that were not necessarily there in previous matches, weren't keeping up with the rest of the field, show up at the last second and say, hey, I'm here too. I mean, Snake put on an excellent show right there at the end, and a lot of players, like we were discussing, dropping basically no mats towards the end of the match, and
yeah.
Instead of a build fight, it turns into like a panic jump around. We have multiple players kind of land on top of each other, and just a flurry of eliminations come out.
Yeah, they do come out thick and fast as you get towards the pointy end of the match, that is for sure. When literally you can't fit your body into the final circle of the storm, it goes down very, very quickly. And I think the point about the mats, right, the cool part there is that I feel like Jesse made it look easy in the first 3 matches. Like, oh, it's easy. You farm up the match, you stay alive, and clearly it's not that easy. It's still pretty difficult to do. You have to play it right.
Just don't fight any at all. It's the easiest strat in the game, right? And the first 3 matches clearly paid off. As things got a little more heated, I think people were picking up on strategy changes that were occurring and changing their own game to match that, and it showed big time because people were putting themselves in much better positions for late game plays than they were previously. I think Jesse took advantage of the fact that players were trying to be a little more aggressive maybe the first couple games, and he was just kind of standing on the outside, avoiding that kind of stuff.
Yeah, take advantage while you can. He made the most of it. Whilst his play style was coming out on top, whilst it was starting to make sense. We take a look now at our match results. Of course, the Snake up there, first place. Only one elim that's going to find him with 3 points on the board. X2 Twins, Jesse coming in second. Actually going to get 3 elims finally. Gets a point for elims as well when it matters and finds himself 3 points.
Almost all of his eliminations from the entire event in the last game.
In one game.
It's pretty funny. Iraqi there is 6 eliminations, 1 away from that extra point at 7. Super close, but still 4 on this single game. And a handful of players coming away with even just 1 or 2, which means the board that we saw previously before match 6, things are going to change. Placements they're going to adjust. They're going to bump a little bit, and things are all kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah, the top 10 in particularly, I think we're going to see a bit of a shake-up there. Some people that were perhaps in the big bucks just 20 minutes ago, now on the outside. Other players who are lagging behind might find themselves in some big money.
The dollary dues, as they say.
Oh yeah, some real big dollary dues today. And look, I know we joke about it, DrLupo, but this money, again, it is life-changing money. It can pay off your debts. It's a deposit for a house. As a young Aussie, look, I could not think of a better way than to make a bit of cash playing my absolute favourite game in such an incredible arena. You can tell this story for years to come. You can say, I won 100K at the Australian Open. People go, I didn't know you played tennis. And you'd be like, I did it.
Oh, no. It was Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially for an event like this is the largest esports prize pool in Australian history. That is absolutely ridiculous. And it's excellent to see a game like Fortnite being the one to kind of break the ground and push forward with something like that. I look forward to more events like this down here. And the day's not even done yet. Don't forget, we have the Pro-Am. I will be playing it, among others. It'll be. Are you going to root for me, Ben?
Yes. For all the DrLupo fans out there, please don't tweet mean things at me. I will definitely be cheering.
I appreciate that.
For my other Ben over here. But look, I think it's cool. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a couple of maps to play there as well. A lot of pressure on the line. We talked about 400K for this event. 100K still up for grabs for charity. And I know that charity is something that is quite close to your heart in particular.
I don't know if you're putting me on the spot on purpose for this, but yeah, in 2018, I did, I'd like to imagine what I could with the platform that I've been given. If you know the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, my channel raised $1.3 million in 1 year for St. Jude. It runs the hospital for half a day.
Yeah, that's incredible. Obviously, it costs a lot of money to keep a hospital going, but it's great to see you doing that work, of course.
I think it's important to note, too, that it's not me, it's the people that have formed around the community that my channel has built. They do all the work. I'm just the guy to kind of try and lead people.
Well, it is, of course, all about community, all about the players. And right now, it is about one player in particular. I would like to invite onto the stage the winner of the Fortnite Summer Smash here at the Australian Open. Bring him up on the stage from the Renegades. Won 3 games in a row from the X2 twins. It is, of course, Jesse! Swing that one around to the front. Very, very nice. Firstly, mate, an absolutely huge congratulations to you. This has been an incredible day. Firstly, how does it feel to come out as champion? And secondly, what does $100,000 mean to you?
It's really good to come out with a win. A lot of practice that goes into it. Been last year screwing really hard. And in terms of the 100K, I don't know what it feels like. Hasn't sunk in yet.
It'll hit you eventually, don't worry. Now, we watched over the first 3 games, 3 victory royales. I think you might be the first person in a major event like this to three-peat. I even tagged you guys on Twitter and said, give me the three-peat, and you did it. So I appreciate you delivering on that one. That was huge. But what was the decision to just play how you played? Nobody else really played nearly as reserved as you did, and you managed to take advantage of that in a way I don't think anybody's seen yet.
Yeah, so with landing Dusty, I can be very consistent because I've always got zone. It's always in the middle, and there's mushrooms everywhere. So I can get 100 shield every game, and rotating around, just using your mats well.
Not trying to give your secret away, but that seemed to be extremely effective, so it would not surprise me if certain people take advantage of that in the Pro-Am. Just putting that out there.
I hope maybe some of our celebrities are paying attention. Maybe some of them won't know what Dusty is, but be very quickly onto Google trying to work out what they're supposed to be doing. Now, obviously, X2 twins, there's 2 of you. Jordan, he didn't qualify for today. What does it mean for you knowing that as a duo, you've come together? Sure, one of you didn't make it through. The other one manages to come out on top. That must feel pretty good.
Yeah. Hopefully he feels better because I know he was really bummed out, missing out on the qualifier. This is the first big tournament, so unfortunate he missed it, but good we got a win.
Yeah, a great win is that. And 3 victory royales. Yeah, feeling pretty good. Now, what about everyone else who you played with today? Obviously, in Australia, this is the first big Fortnite event that we've seen, a first real opportunity for, I think, a lot of players who, as you said, put a ton of time and work into their passion, into this game. What do you think an event like this means for them? Did it cause a bit of a stir when it was announced?
Yeah, for sure. It's good to finally showcase our talent because we've sort of been under the radar being in OCE. So yeah, it's good to see we're getting some recognition.
Nice.
Now, as competitive Fortnite goes forward, this is definitely not, this isn't the end, especially for Australia and New Zealand and everybody else down here. I'm curious, compared to the rest of the world, and I'm not trying to get you to flex on anybody or anything like that, but do you guys, you think that the audience down here, the competitive crowd down here can compete with the rest of the world?
Honestly, I think so, yeah. We're all pretty competitive in OCE, and yeah, it's like the land of the sweats, so.
That's what I like to hear. You guys put on an excellent show. Can we get a round of applause, please?
Fantastic, good job, man. Before we let you go and enjoy your win, is there anyone you want to thank today?
Shout out to my dad. He gave up a lot to let me do what I do, so yeah.
Well, enjoy the win. Enjoy the 100K, mate. You can duck off now. Enjoy that with your family and friends, and of course, with your brother. Congratulations once again. Give it up one more time. It's Jesse.